Lin Xin thought this would be the happiest day of his life. Flowers in hand, he was ready to celebrate 1 month with the girl he loved. Instead, she dumped him on the spot, and seconds later, another man arrived in a luxury sports car and pulled her into his arms. Everyone laughed at Lin Xin. They called him the school lapdog, mocked him for working overtime just to buy her gifts, and reminded him of the one thing he could never change, his boy. Humiliated and completely broken, Lin Xin swore he would never love another woman again. And that was exactly when everything changed. A mysterious system suddenly appeared for him, giving him access to TR allowance and counterattack money. There was only one rule. He couldn't spend a single cent on himself. The money could only be spent on women. But every time Lin Xin spent it, part of that money became his personal fortune. The guy everyone mocked for being broke was about to become richer than anyone could imagine. And his first target was standing right in front of him. Our protagonist, Lin Xin, is excitedly holding a bouquet of flowers, eager to celebrate his 1-month anniversary with his girlfriend, Lu Cheng, whom he loves deeply. But just as he happily asks her where she wants to go for their anniversary, Lu Cheng coldly interrupts him, ready to drop a bombshell. Without a second thought, she brutally dumps him right on the spot, bringing his 1-month relationship to an abrupt and painful end. Heartbroken and confused, Lin Xin desperately reaches out toward her, begging Lu Cheng not to leave him like this. Before she can even answer, a sleek white luxury sports car comes screeching to a halt right beside them, pulling everyone's attention. The driver takes off his sunglasses with a smug grin, apologizing to Lu Cheng for being late to celebrate her birthday. She immediately wraps her arms around the wealthy guy, whining about how bored she was listening to Lin Xin's pathetic talk, while her new man offers to take her shopping and dining at a luxury mall. Looking back at Lin Xin, the rich guy mockingly reminds him that dating attractive girls requires serious money, something a broke guy like him clearly lacks. She arrogantly boasts that only a wealthy man like him deserves her, walking away hand in hand and leaving Lin Xin completely humiliated in the background. As he walks away with his head down, nearby students mockingly point at him, calling him the school's notorious simp who worked endless part-time jobs just to get dumped for a rich hair. Overwhelmed by humiliation and heartbreak, Lin Xin collapses to his knees right on the sidewalk, questioning why poverty forced him into such a pathetic role. He stares blankly at the ground, crushed by the realization that his genuine feelings were so easily trampled on simply because he didn't have money. Filled with bitter rage, he clenches his fist tightly and vows to himself that he will never waste his heart or play the hopeless simp for anyone ever again. Right at that moment, a mysterious divine system activates, binding directly to 22-year-old Lin Xin and granting him a mind-boggling counterattack fund of trillions of yuan. Stunned by the glowing digital screen appearing before him, Lin Xin can barely believe his eyes as he stares at the insane trillion yuan balance. The system presents him with a special card containing trillions, explaining that 1% of whatever counterattack funds he spends will instantly become his own personal cash. Although the system clarifies that this counterattack money must be spent on target women, Lin Xin quickly realizes that spending as much as possible is the fastest way to build his personal fortune. With newfound confidence and unlimited financial backing, he smirks as he officially declares the start of his ultimate counterattack strategy. He heads over to the bustling Yida commercial district, looking for a suitable opportunity to test out his new system funds while noticing a massive line at a popular milk tea shop. As he glances around the crowded area, his eyes suddenly catch sight of a gorgeous, elegantly dressed woman sitting alone near the counter. He immediately recognizes her as Lu Yaxi, his ex-girlfriend's stunning roommate, right as the system flags her as a high-level target for a counterattack mission. The system displays her status profile, informing Lin Xin that raising her favorability past 90% will net him a 10% rebate straight into his personal account. Lin Xin approaches her directly to ask for a moment of her time, but is greeted by a system warning showing her starting favorability toward him is sitting at negative 20%. Thinking he came to beg for help getting his ex back, Lu Yaxi cold-heartedly advises him to give up, pointing out that Lu Cheng has already moved on with a rich hair. Lin Xin chuckles and reassures her that he isn't here for his ex, simply offering to buy her a cup of milk tea as his first test subject. She casually declines his gesture, stating that they aren't close enough for him to buy her drinks. Pointing out the exclusive designer milk tea priced at nearly 200 yuan per cup, Lin Xin asks if she's sure, while Luo Yaxi mockingly wonders if he can even afford 10 days' worth of meals. Seeing him cut near the front, the impatient crowd behind them starts yelling at him to get in line, but Lin Xin smoothly asks everyone to hold on for just a moment. He walks up to the cashier and casually asks how many cups of the special milk tea are left for the day, learning there are 180 cups remaining. Without flinching, Lin Xin hands over his card to buy out all 180 cups, announcing to the entire crowd that everyone gets a free drink courtesy of Luo Yaxi. Lu Yaxi stands completely stunned, warning him that buying out the store costs tens of thousands, but Lin Xin ignores her doubt and tells the clerk to swipe his card immediately. The transaction for nearly 40,000 yuan goes through instantly, shocking the entire store as Lin Xin casually urges the staff to start packing drinks for the crowd. The crowd erupts into wild cheers over the grand gesture, causing Lu Yaxi to blush in embarrassment as her favorability toward Lin Xin ticks up twice. Turning back to the baffled beauty, Lin Xin leans in with a confident smile and asks if she would be willing to do him a small favor. She asks what he needs, only for Lin Xin to drop the ultimate request, asking her to spend all his money with him. The scene shifts to a high-end luxury shopping center, where top international designer brands line the multi-story storefronts. Inside one of the high-end boutiques, an exquisite pink designer handbag sits proudly on display, sporting a price tag of nearly 19,000 yuan. Lin Xin's ex-girlfriend, Lu Cheng, admires the bag, but her wealthy new boyfriend quickly makes up excuses about his mother complaining about his spending to avoid buying it for her. He pressures her to behave if she wants to impress his family, forcing Lu Cheng to swallow her disappointment despite inwardly complaining about his stinginess. Suddenly, a familiar voice echoes across the store asking Lin Xin what he thinks of a bag, instantly grabbing Lu Cheng's startled attention. To her absolute disbelief, she turns around to see her roommate Lu Yaxi holding an ultra-exclusive 380,000 yuan handbag and asking Lin Xin if he'd buy it for her. As Lin Xin nonchalantly considers the purchase, a stunned Lu Cheng stumps over and aggressively demands to know why the two of them are shopping together. She arrogantly accuses Lin Xin of stalking her, claiming he paid her roommate to put on a fake rich act, just to make her jealous after getting dumped. Lin Xin looks at her like she's completely crazy, calmly explaining that he isn't following anyone and is simply here to buy luxury bags for Lu Yaxi. Li Cheng loudly scoffs at his answer, refusing to believe a broke student could buy high-end designer goods. Just the system triggers a new counterattack mission targeting her. Her target status panel appears before Lin Xin, outlining similar favorability rebate rules for putting his arrogant ex-girlfriend back in her place. Lin Xin gives her a cold, dismissive smirk, reminding her that since they broke up, she has zero right to dictate his life or assume he's still the same helpless pushover. Her wealthy boyfriend bursts out laughing, mocking Lin Xin for pretending to be rich and daring him to actually buy the massive 380,000 yuan bag right now. When Lin Xin playfully rubs his chin and acts hesitant, the rich guy aggressively taunts him to get lost if he can't pay up. But instead of backing down, Lin Xin bursts out laughing and turns straight to the store manager, announcing that buying just one bag isn't nearly enough to satisfy him. With a dramatic sweep of his arm, he declares to the entire store that he's buying every single bag on display. The store manager is left completely speechless, and even Lu Yaxi stares in absolute disbelief at his ridiculously bold proclamation. Lu Cheng's jaw drops in shock, unable to comprehend what she's hearing. Lin Xin just stands there with a cool, confident smile, confirming his order to pack up every last item in the boutique. The manager, surrounded by fawning employees, nervously brings over the card machine, informing him that the grand total comes to a staggering 11.32 million yuan. Lu Cheng's rich boyfriend bursts into a fit of insane laughter, loudly promising to eat his own crap on the spot if Lin Xin can actually afford the purchase. Ignoring the pathetic display, Lin Xin calmly takes out his system card and swipes it through the machine without a single hint of hesitation. The 11 million yuan transaction is approved instantly, and Lin Xin turns to the humiliated boyfriend, sarcastically commenting on his impressive talent. Lu Yaxi covers her mouth, her eyes sparkling with admiration as she blushes, completely captivated by Lin Xin's overwhelming display of wealth and confidence. The rich boyfriend's face turns a sickly green, realizing the entire store just witnessed his humiliating promise, leaving Lu Cheng to stare in horror. The system lights up with notifications as both Lu Yaxi's and Lu Cheng's favorability skyrockets, prompting Lu Yaxi to hug Lin Xin and praise him for being so genuinely kind. Trying to savage his wounded pride, Wang Shou whispers to Lu Cheng that they're different from classless, new money peasants who shamelessly show off. He arrogantly claims that a truly high-class, second-generation heir like himself always maintains a much more low-key profile. But his speech is cut short when a large, imposing woman storms into the shop, screaming his name, causing him to freeze in terror and stammer her name. She delivers a brutal slap across his face, furiously demanding to know why he's cheating on her after she bought him clothes, shoes, a watch, and even a car. The powerful blow sends the so-called rich hair flying across the polished floor of the luxury boutique. He lands pathetically on his hands and knees, completely exposed in front of everyone. Scrambling over to the woman's feet, he desperately begs for forgiveness, pointing at Lu Cheng and claiming she was the one who seduced him first. Lu Cheng is left utterly speechless as the crowd begins to laugh, realizing her rich boyfriend wasn't in hair at all, but just a kept man. His sugar mama gives him an ultimatum: either he slaps the girl he was cheating with, or they're done for good. Without a moment's hesitation, the spineless man raises his hand, ready to prove his loyalty to his benefactor. He strikes Lu Cheng with full force, sending her crashing to the ground with a cry of pain and shock. To add insult to injury, he then violently rips the necklace from her neck, screaming that the gold digger doesn't deserve to wear things his real girlfriend bought for him. From the floor, a humiliated Lu Cheng looks up just in time to see Luo Yaxi standing comfortably beside Lin Xin. In a desperate move, she tries to grab onto Lin Xin for support, but he immediately pushes her away. He coldly shoves her hand off his arm, making it clear he wants nothing to do with her. As she lies defeated on the ground, Lin Xin turns his back and walks away without a single word of sympathy. As Li Cheng runs off sobbing, Lin Xin is baffled to see a system notification that his favorability with her actually went up by 1%. The scene ends with the sugar mama dragging her pathetic boy toy out of the store by his ear, leaving behind a trail of public humiliation. Liu Yaxi notes how pitiful Liu Cheng's situation is and subtly tests Lin Xin, wondering aloud if he feels sorry for his ex. But Lin Xin just smirks, coldly stating that a gold digger deserves no sympathy, and that they should get back to their shopping. Realizing he truly doesn't care about his ex, a visibly impressed Liu Yaxi coyly asks how she could ever repay him for his incredible kindness. Leaning in close, Lin Xin playfully suggests she could pay him back with her body, causing her to blush and call him a scoundrel while her favorability jumps to 62%. Not wanting the day to end, Liu Yaxi suggests they do some shopping for him now, an offer that catches Lin Xin by surprise. He double-checks if she's serious about spending her own money on him. A moment later, they find themselves in a high-end men's clothing store, with Lin Xin looking slightly out of place. Liu Yaxi takes the lead, enthusiastically picking out a new outfit for him to try on while the store staff looks on. She personally helps him adjust the collar of a stylish new shirt, telling him how good it looks on him. She then confidently walks to the counter and spends over 10,000 yuan of her own money to buy him a complete new wardrobe. Lin Xin emerges from the dressing room completely transformed, looking sharp and sophisticated in his new designer coat. The other customers in the store can't help but stare, whispering to each other about how incredibly handsome he is. Liu Yaxi is equally stunned, realizing he's a true hidden gem. Her favorability soars to 72% as she silently vows to make him hers. Looking at his reflection, Lin Xin admits he never realized his own potential, crediting the system for his newfound confidence and appearance. Later that evening, Liu Cheng is back in her room, blow-drying her hair while still processing the day's disastrous events. Liu Yaxi enters and, with a look of fake concern, asks if Liu Cheng's face is okay after being slapped. Liu Cheng reassures her that she's fine, dryly thanking Lin Xin for exposing what a fraud Wang Xiao really was. Liu Yaxi then presents her with the expensive handbag, saying she hopes this gift prevents Liu Cheng from falling for another loser in the future. She insists that Liu Cheng take the bag, claiming that Lin Xin had bought it for her anyway. Liu Cheng accepts the gift, and the two share a hug, pretending to be good sisters who have each other's backs. However, their inner thoughts reveal a completely different story, as both women now see each other as direct rivals in the silent battle for Lin Xin's affection. Walking back down the hallway of the men's dormitory, Lin Xin sighs in exhaustion, realizing that taking women shopping in person to spend his counterattack money is far too tiring, and that he needs a better method. On his way up the stairs, he runs into a few of his dorm mates, including an older student who casually greets him. The senior Wang Jin looks at Lin Xin's fancy new outfit and sneers, assuming Lin Xin bought cheap knockoff brands just to pose as a rich heir. Wang Jin wraps an arm around Lin Xin's shoulder with a smug grin, mentioning that he heard all about what happened to him earlier that day. He mockingly reminds Lin Xin that spending fortune on a girl who dumped him was stupid, suggesting it's much better to throw money at online live streamers who will actually obey every command. The other guys join in, boasting that sending a few thousand yuan to live streaming goddesses makes them instantly fawn over you, mentioning that a popular streamer named Cao Cao is currently live. A light bulb immediately goes off in Lin Xin's head as he realizes that streaming platforms might be the easiest and fastest way to dump massive amounts of money. With a bright smile, Lin Xin taps his senior's shoulder and sincerely thanks him for the brilliant idea. Wang Jin and his friends laugh at him, assuming Lin Xin is just an idiot who didn't realize he was being mocked, before hurrying off to watch a big dunner named Young Master Chu flex his cash in the stream. Unbothered by their taunts, Lin Xin heads straight to his dorm room, lies down comfortably on his bed, and pulls out his phone. He quickly downloads and opens the popular streaming platform, Leopard Tooth Live. After creating a new account under the username, Pure Asmoni, he browses through the platform, noticing the top-ranking streamers. Remembering the streamer his dorm mates mentioned earlier, he types Xiao Tao into the search bar. He taps into her live stream room and finds her dancing energetically in a tight outfit, surrounded by a flood of flirty chat comments from male viewers. Seeing how attractive she is, Lin Xin gets excited, wondering if sending gifts to online streamers counts toward his system's counterattack missions. A system prompt informs him that while live filters prevent official mission triggers unless met offline, he can still freely spend his funds, which is more than enough for Lin Xin since he just wants to burn cash. Right on cue, a flashy gift animation lights up Cao Cao's stream as young Master Su drops 5 golden leopards worth 10,000 yuan. Sitting comfortably on his couch with a cigarette, young Master Shu smiles arrogantly as Cao Cao profusely thanks him, while the chat hypes up his big spending. Young Master Shu announces in chat that a battle match against another popular streamer named Shuang is about to start, while Lin Xin figures out how the gift system works. When Lin Xin asks in the chat whether he should buy a gift or a title first, Wang Jin aggressively tells him to shut his mouth while young Master Shu is talking. Annoyed by the newcomer's presence, young Master Shu orders Cao Cao to immediately kick Lin Xin out of her stream room. Eager to please her biggest donor, Cao Cao doesn't hesitate to ban Lin Xin, focusing entirely on relying on young Master Shu to win her battle. Finding himself kicked back to the home screen, Lin Xin isn't angry at all and actually finds the entire situation hilariously foolish. Without care, he simply switches over to watch the opponent Shuang instead. The lead PK battle between Cao Cao and Shuang officially begins on screen. Cao Cao cockily tells Shuang that she stands zero chance of winning and suggests she give up now to spare herself a harsh punishment dance. Dressed in a cute cat girl outfit, Shuang snaps back, telling Cao Cao to stop talking big and just start the match. As the timer starts, Cao Cao's viewers shower her with expensive gifts while Shuang's fans try their best to keep up with smaller donations. Cao Cao takes an overwhelming early lead with nearly 600,000 points compared to Shuang's 200,000, smugly drinking milk on stream. In the chat, Wang Jin and young Master Shu mockingly tell Shuang to stop struggling and prepare her humiliating defeat dance. Pouting in defeat, a dejected Shuang prepares to accept her loss and start the embarrassing punishment. But out of nowhere, a massive glowing golden dragon animation suddenly bursts across Shuang's screen as Puoras Muni drops a massive gift. Sitting on his couch, young Master Shu jumps up in total shock, stunned that someone just dropped a 15,000 yuan dragon out of nowhere. Shuang's eyes light up with joy as she makes a heart gesture, showering brother Puoras Muni with enthusiastic thanks. Over on the other side, Totso squints at the notification screen in horror, realizing that this mega donor is the exact same guy she just kicked out of her stream. Meanwhile, Lin Xin lies back on his bed, thrilled to discover that his system card can seamlessly top up his streaming account with unlimited funds. Having loaded millions into his balance, he smirks and taps his phone screen to unleash his real financial power. An endless wave of golden dragons erupts across Shuang's stream in rapid succession, completely obliterating Cao Cao's score as both streamers gape in shock. Overwhelmed by the sudden barrage, Shuang nervously leans into her camera, telling him to save his money for the double-point round instead of wasting it now. Young Master Shu and Wang Jin mock him in chat, calling him a clueless amateur who panicked and burned all his cash too early without knowing the match rules. Unfazed by their comments, Lin Xin continues to spam the screen with a mind-boggling multiplier stack of golden dragons that keeps climbing into the hundreds. Young Master Shu and his friends stare at their phone screens with bulging eyes and gaping mouths, completely frozen by the terrifying display of wealth. Lin Xin rests comfortably in bed with a relaxed smile as the gift counter rockets all the way up to an unbelievable 1,600 golden dragons. Young Master Shu drops his hands in trembling horror, realizing that while he spent 3 million over 3 whole years, this mysterious wild just dropped millions in a few seconds. Cao Cao sits frozen in her chair with goosebumps covering her skin as she calculates that 1,600 golden dragons equals a staggering 24 million yuan. Shuang goes wild with excitement, dancing in her cat ears and shouting her love for brother Puoras Muni, while the chat ruthlessly mocks Cao Cao for kicking him out. Having secured an absolute victory, cat girl Shuang smugly demands that Cao Cao accept her punishment dance without any excuses. Cao Cao bites her lip in deep regret and humiliation, unable to back out in front of thousands of laughing viewers. She stands up and reluctantly performs an embarrassing, energetic jump dance on stream, begging Mr. Puoras Muni for forgiveness while the chat explodes with laughter. Sweating profusely and completely exhausted from jumping up and down, Cao Cao bitterly curses herself for listening to young Master Shu and kicking out a multi-millionaire super whale. Lin Xin's massive donation spree instantly crowns him as a level 27 king rank on the platform, stunning all the viewers as his top-tier status lights up the entire stream. Realizing he has been completely outclassed and humiliated, young Master Shu rage quits and leaves the stream room. The chat explodes in absolute awe over brother Puoras Muni becoming famous in a single battle, as Shuang is officially declared the winner of the PK match. Shuang makes a cute heart gesture with her hands, winking at the camera and showering brother Puoras Muni with endless gratitude for helping her win. Back in his dorm room, Lin Xin lies on his bed as his phone continuously buzzes with dozens of new notification alerts. Opening his inbox, he finds humble apologies from Wang Jin, a private message from Shuang leaving her contact info, and desperate pleas for forgiveness from Cao Cao. Feeling regretful, Cao Cao checks his profile and notices he lives in Yanjiang City, immediately messaging him with an offer to treat him to dinner when she visits for a photo shoot. Lin Xin smiles as he reads her message, realizing that having attractive women seek him out offline is the perfect, effortless way to trigger more system cashback tasks. On the other end, Cao Cao blushes happily as she hugs her phone, eagerly anticipating her upcoming meeting with her mysterious multi-millionaire donor. The next morning dawns brightly over the university campus. Lin Xin wakes up with a satisfied stretch, feeling more refreshed and relaxed than he has in a long time. At 7:35 in the morning, his phone chimes with a new text message. As his roommates get ready to head out, one of them calls up to Lin Xin's bunk, inviting him to join them for breakfast. Lin Xin looks down at them with a relaxed smile, telling them to go ahead without him since a girl is already bringing him breakfast. His 3 roommates instantly freeze in their tracks, staring up at him with wide, shocked eyes. Assuming he's losing his mind from heartbreak, his buddies whisper among themselves, deciding they need to take him out for drinks tonight to let him cry his heart out. Meanwhile, a crowd of male students gathers near the entrance of the girls' dormitory. Several guys compare the breakfast bags in their hands, discovering that they're all waiting to deliver food to either Lu Cheng or Lu Yaxi. They discuss recent social media posts, noting that Lu Cheng declared herself single while Lu Yaxi posted a romantic message hinting that her ideal partner was right behind her all along. Wang Jin strode over holding a fancy gift box, arrogantly mocking the other guys for acting like cheap simps while bragging about his superior status. He proudly shows off an expensive 600 yuan gourmet macaron breakfast set from a luxury French restaurant, boasting that real big spenders can easily win a girl over in a week. Just then, Lu Cheng and Lu Yaxi walked down the outdoor staircase arm in arm, looking stunning in their elegant dresses. The crowd of simps immediately swarmed them, offering up their breakfast bags while Wang Jin proudly presents his luxury macaron box to Lu Yaxi. But Lu Yaxi barely gives Wang Jin a glance, coldly pushing past him and announcing that her food is already on its way. Completely misunderstanding her words, Wang Jin assumes she accepted his gesture and smirks proudly while the other guys admire his confidence. Just then, Wang Jin spots Lin Xin arriving at the doorway steps alongside his 3 roommates. Smirking mockingly, Wang Jin calls out to Lin Xin in front of the entire crowd. He publicly taunts Lin Xin, asking if he came to deliver breakfast to Lu Cheng again despite getting dumped yesterday. Wang Jin sneers that Lu Cheng already ordered food, telling Lin Xin that he came too late and should try coming earlier tomorrow. Ignoring Wang Jin completely, Lu Yaxi walks right up to Lin Xin holding the fancy French macaron box, warmly asking if he's ready to eat the breakfast he asked her for. Lin Xin's 3 roommates stand behind him with their jaws dropped to the floor, completely unable to process that he was telling the truth. Wang Jin and the surrounding sims freeze in horrifying shock, their faces turning pale with utter disbelief. Right at that moment, a delivery driver pulls up shouting out Lu Cheng's name, delivering the cheap takeout bag she ordered for herself. Lu Yaxi opens the luxury box with a sweet, blushing smile, presenting the high-end French macarons to Lin Xin as her favorability toward him ticks up by 7 points. Lin Xin looks pleasantly surprised by her gesture, secretly wondering why her favorability increased when she was the one buying him breakfast. Seeing this, a desperate Lu Cheng pushes forward and thrusts another expensive breakfast set into Lin Xin's hands, begging him to forgive her past behavior. She clings tightly to his arm, looking up at him remorsefully and claiming she was naive when she broke his heart. Lin Xin looks down at her with a cold, unyielding gaze, resolving never to become a foolish simp for her ever again. He calmly raises his hand and pushes her back, telling her to keep her distance so they don't draw unnecessary attention from the teachers. Misinterpreting his words as deep concern for her reputation, Lu Cheng's favorability skyrockets by 70%, while Lu Yaxi assumes he rejected her solely because of her own presence, raising her favorability by 10%. Lin Xin gets hilariously overwhelmed as system alerts pop up simultaneously, completely bewildered as to why both women's affections spiked at the exact same time. The surrounding male students and his roommates scream in pure envy, unable to comprehend why the 2 campus goddesses are fighting over a supposedly broke guy. Both girls immediately begin competing for his attention, shoving their food toward him and begging him to eat theirs first. Trying to get some space, Lin Xin backs away and takes a seat on a nearby park bench. Lu Cheng immediately bends down right in front of him to hand-feed him a bite, provoking a furious glare from Lu Yaxi. Wang Jin clutches his head in total mental devastation, screaming in agony over why these 2 top beauties are fighting over Lin Xin. Smirking to himself, Lin Xin holds up his middle finger, mentally noting that he's hamped from tapping his phone 1,600 times last night, so having someone feed him is actually pretty nice. Seeing his raised hand, Lu Yaxi quickly kneels close to check if his fingers are sore. Squatting right between his legs in her tight dress, Lu Yaxi holds up a macaron with a charming smile, softly telling Lin Xin to open wide. The crowd of guys nearly faints from jealousy as they watch both beauties take turns hand-feeding Lin Xin, cursing in envy at the incredible view and royal treatment he's getting. Leaning right against Lin Xin's ear while squatting between his legs, Lu Yaxi whispers an intimate suggestion that sends a surge of electricity through the air. Watching this ridiculously sensual sight, Wang Jin's jealousy explodes so violently that he literally vomits a fountain of blood on the spot, causing surrounding students to scream for a doctor. While paramedics rush Wang Jin away on a stretcher in the background, Lin Xin sits back like a king, enjoying being hand-fed delicious macarons by 2 campus goddesses at the same time. By noon, photos of the insane scene go viral on the university campus forum, sparking fierce debate over whether Lin Xin is a secret rich hare or just a god-tier strategist. Additional posts link Lin Xin to the recent online streaming scandal, speculating if he could be the mysterious multi-millionaire donor who dropped 24 million yuan on Leopard Tooth Live. Back in the dorm, his roommate bursts through the door holding his phone, warning Lin Xin that student journalists are on their way to interview him right now. Terrified of losing his low-key lifestyle, Lin Xin immediately bolts out of the building at full speed, leaving both Lu Cheng and Lu Yaxi calling after him in vain. Outdoors, Lu Cheng and Lu Yaxi turn on a heated argument, blaming one another for creating such a public spectacle and driving Lin Xin away. Meanwhile, Lin Xin carefully peeks around the corner of a brick wall, relieved to see that no reporters managed to track him down. Checking his phone, he opens a message from streamer Tata containing a cute selfie and a request for him to pick her up at Yanjing Airport tonight. Lin Xin smirks with satisfaction, happy to have another attractive tool to help him spend system money and generate cash rebates. Later that evening, he arrives at the bustling airport lobby as travelers filter out from incoming flights. Standing among the waiting crowd, Lin Xin scans the area, wondering if he'll be able to recognize Cao Cao in person without her online beauty filters. Across the terminal, a pushy fan in a sweater grabs Cao Cao by the arm, aggressively trying to force her into taking a ride in his car. Spotting her distinct outfit and luggage in the distance, Lin Xin immediately zeroes in on her position. Lin Xin steps in firmly, grabbing the fan's wrist and telling him to back off since the lady clearly expressed that she isn't interested. Recognizing Lin Xin's outfit and phone screen from her messages, Cao Cao gasps in sheer excitement, realizing her savior is her top donor. Lin Xin gives a cool smile, confirming his identity, leaving the pushy fan stuttering in absolute terror upon realizing he just confronted a multi-millionaire. The fan bows repeatedly an apology before fleeing, while Cao Cao clings tightly to Lin Xin's arm, deeply relieved to be rescued. Walking together through the terminal, Cao Cao compliments his handsome looks, admitting she expected a wealthy donor like him to be an out-of-shape middle-aged man. A sudden system alert rings in Lin Xin's mind, signaling the official start of a new counterattack mission. The system panel displays Cao Cao's profile details, establishing her starting favorability at 30%. Before they can exit the building, a well-dressed man in a formal suit waves over to catch Cao Cao's attention. She introduces him as Mr. Zhao, another wealthy donor from her stream who showed up to pick her up in his private car. When Mr. Zhao smugly asks how Lin Xin planned to transport her, Lin Xin casually replies that he drove his electric scooter over. Mr. Zhao awkwardly offers to give them both a ride, leading to a hilarious solution for handling Lin Xin's humble vehicle. Out on the city highway, Mr. Zhou's multi-million yuan Rolls-Royce cruises through the night with Lin Xin's blue electric scooter securely strapped onto its roof. Driving the car, Mr. Zhou glares into his rearview mirror in confusion, unable to comprehend why a guy who spent over 20 million online drives a cheap scooter. Mr. Zhou tries to play it cool by claiming his luxury car is much more practical for luggage, to which Lin Xin casually agrees while admiring the city view. Sitting in the back seat, Cao Cao squints suspiciously at Lin Xin, secretly beginning to doubt if he's actually the real top donor. Shortly after, the Rolls-Royce pulls up outside the grand entrance of the ultra-luxurious Carlton Hotel. Entering the hotel's private VIP dining suite, Cao Cao warmly greets the room with Lin Xin following closely by her side. Around a massive banquet table sit several wealthy, middle-aged businessmen who eagerly rise to meet the legendary big spender who crushed Yu Xiao online. The older executives stare at Lin Xin in shock, marveling at how surprisingly young the mysterious donor turns out to be. Lin Xin narrows his eyes in sharp realization as he takes in the sight of the private banquet hall. He quickly deduces that Cao Cao didn't invite him out of personal gratitude, but rather to parade him around as a trophy guest at a dinner party for her top stream sponsors. At the table, the executives laugh hysterically when Mr. Zhao reveals that Lin Xin arrived on an electric scooter, assuming it's just an eccentric joke made by an ultra-rich playboy. An influential executive named President Chen strokes his chin, reasoning that if someone can throw away 20 million on a stream, their net worth must exceed 1 billion yuan. President Chen then places a firm hand on Lin Xin's shoulder, pointing out that despite calling himself Mr. Qian online, his real surname is Lin. Leaning in close with a predatory grin, President Chen smugly asserts that there isn't a single prominent billionaire family named Lin in the entire city. The entire table immediately turns hostile, with Mr. Zhao furiously accusing Lin Xin of being a broke fraud who tricked him into hauling a scooter on his Rolls-Royce. Sitting beside him, Cao Cao silently eats her food with chopsticks as her favorability toward Lin Xin instantly drops by 10 points. Recalling his account activity, Cao Cao wonders if Lin Xin is actually a vengeful rich guy who used a fake profile just to humiliate her for kicking him out earlier. Deciding to test him herself, Cao Cao leans intimately close to Lin Xin, asking the table if he could perhaps be the young master of the elite Lin family from Shanghai. Lin Xin catches on to her subtle ploy immediately, smirking as he realizes she's trying to probe his true background while pretending to defend him. Taking a smooth sip from his glass, Lin Xin boldly declares that while he isn't part of that Shanghai family, his wealth far surpasses theirs. The older businessman burst into loud laughter, mocking him for acting tough and asking how many luxury supercars he owns if he's really that wealthy. Lin Xin casually admits that he doesn't own a single car, causing Cao Cao to freeze beside him in total dismay. Turning toward Cao Cao with an irresistible smirk, Lin Xin gently pulls her close and whispers asking what kind of luxury car she likes, promising to buy it for her right now. The room erupts into chaotic mockery as the older bosses ridicule his absurd promise, convinced that President Chen has completely exposed him as a broke pretender. Xiao Chao rests her head sweet against Lin Xin's shoulder, promising him a special reward if he buys her a 15 million yuan Ferrari, even as her actual favorability plummets by 15 points. Lin Xin smirks inwardly, noting that despite her enthusiastic surface acting, her plummeting favorability proves she's just a gold digger putting on an act. Acting completely unbothered, Lin Xin gets up from the banquet table and casually announces that he's going outside to buy the car. Half an hour later, the wealthy bosses walk out of the hotel with Cao Cao, laughing at Lin Xin for being a lying clown and inviting her to karaoke. But before they can take a step, blinding headlights and golden light flash across the hotel driveway, stopping everyone dead in their tracks. Lin Xin steps out into the neon glow, standing calmly in front of a brand new roaring red supercar. Everyone's eyes bulge in pure horror as they behold an entire fleet of multi-million-dollar supercars parked along the street just for him. Lin Xin apologetically explains that the local dealership owner Boss Nu insisted on bringing over his top inventory after verifying Lin Xin's billion-yuan Dragon Bank Black Diamond card. The older executives tremble in fear, realizing that Boss Nu only bows to true power and that Lin Xin is an actual multi-billionaire. Lin Xin turns towards Cao Cao and gently informs her that the 15 million yuan model she wanted is far too cheap for a gift from him. He looks at her with an irresistible gaze, declaring that he's giving her 32 million yuan Ferrari LF instead. As Boss Nu respectfully swipes the system card, a transaction confirmation confirms the 32 million yuan purchase on the spot. Cao Cao stands completely frozen with goosebumps covering her body, her face flushing crimson at receiving a 30 million yuan dream supercar. The arrogant businessmen cringe in absolute terror, berating President Chen for messing up their standing with an ultra-wealthy tycoon who spends 50 million in 2 days. When Boss Nu asks if he wants to buy a car for himself, Lin Xin rejects the dealership's inventory, casually stating he prefers buying even more expensive models elsewhere. Cao Cao looks up at him with teary and enamored eyes, thanking him profusely for gifting her the absolute car of her dreams. Lin Xin simply smirks, reassuring her that spending 30 million is nothing more than pocket change to him. Touched by his generosity and class, Cao Cao's favorability skyrockets by 50% as her heart pounds out of her chest for him. The older executives immediately crowd around Lin Xin, bowing submissively and begging for his forgiveness while offering massive discounts on future deals. Clinging tightly to his arm, Cao Cao sweetly asks Lin Xin to accompany her for a test drive, but he suggests she take the wheel herself. Leaning right against his ear, Cao Cao blushes furiously and whispers that she wants to pay him back for the car in private installment payments. Lin Xin blushes slightly, amused by her creative proposal and looking forward to seeing how hard she's willing to work for him. Dust fills the air as the red Ferrari roars down the street, leaving the bowing dealership bosses coughing in its wake. The sleek supercar tears through the night highway as Cao Cao drives them out onto the open road. Inside the passenger cabin, Cao Cao hands Lin Xin a marker and coyly asks him to write his name directly on her leg. Lin Xin reaches over and gently pulls back her skirt, resting his hand against her soft thigh. As he prepares to write, Lin Xin blushes in surprise at what he discovers already written on her skin. Written right above her garter belt are the words, "My brother, I'm sorry," serving as the official record of her first installment payment. Looking at him with bedroom eyes, Cao Cao blushes and asks if he's satisfied with her creative way of keeping score. Speeding through the glowing city night, Lin Xin smirks and admits that he's actually quite satisfied with her progress. The scene shifts to the luxurious skyline surrounding the Carlton Hotel in Yanjiang City. Cao Cao posts an update about her 30 million yuan gift, sending online live stream communities into a complete frenzy over Mr. Qian's terrifying wealth. Outside the hotel, President Chen and local tycoons respectfully invite Lin Xin into their exclusive elite networking group, which Lin Xin casually accepts. Later, Lin Xin receives a phone call from his old high school classmate, Lao Li, inviting him to a class reunion in Yanjiang City tomorrow. Lao Li mentions that the drop-dead gorgeous campus goddess Shi Yuxuan will also be attending, prompting Lin Xin to eagerly confirm his attendance. The next day, Lin Xin arrives at the ultra-luxurious 5-star Meridian Hotel riding his humble blue electric scooter. Spotting his former classmates at the entrance, Lin Xin waves hello and asks where he should park his scooter. Suddenly, his electric scooter lets out a loud puff of dark smoke and sputters out right in front of everyone. Lin Xin kicks the broken vehicle in frustration, wondering why his trusty ride suddenly gave out on him. He realizes that Boss Zhao must have accidentally damaged the engine when he hauled the scooter on top of his Rolls-Royce last night. Lin Xin smirks angrily, resolving to make Boss Zhao pay for breaking his vehicle, while his classmate assumes he's talking about a cheap delivery guy. Just then, a roaring black Lamborghini convertible pulls up to the entrance, driven by a guy wearing expensive sunglasses. The driver takes off his glasses to reveal himself as their rich former classmate, Feng Billion, who mockingly asks if Lin Xin's scooter broke down. As Lin Xin tries to explain, Feng Billion dramatically facepalms and apologizes, sarcastically blaming himself for picking a luxury hotel with no scooter parking. Valets rush to take his keys while the surrounding classmates shower Feng Billion with praise, marveling at how his family owns the multi-million-dollar hotel. The classmates gush over how humble and considerate Feng Billion is, while Lin Xin nonchalantly tells them to go ahead while he parks his broken scooter. Meanwhile, back in her room, Lu Yaxi sits on her bed painting her toes, messaging Lin Xin to ask if he wants to grab a meal this Saturday. Lin Xin texts back that he's busy with his reunion, casually telling her to take care of her body and drink hot water after she hints at being out of commission. Surprised by his blunt yet caring straight man response, Lu Yaxi smiles softly as her favorability toward him increases by 2%. The system announces that Lu Yaxi's favorability reached 91%, completing the first counterattack mission and depositing a massive 1.13 million yuan rebate straight into Lin Xin's personal bank account. Opening his personal attribute interface, Lin Xin sees his baseline level 1 stats right before the system rewards him with a +1 upgrade across all attributes and a free skill draw. Instantly, a surge of power boosts his strength, dexterity, physique, and intelligence to level 2, washing a pleasant warmth through his entire body. Feeling the surge of energy, our MC moves on to the skill draw, hoping for a lucky pull as he taps the prompt screen. The system gives him 3 random choices, but looking at options like lightning whips and dancing rap, Lin Xin wonders what kind of useless skills these are supposed to be. Deciding to put the choice on hold for now, he arrives outside a luxury hotel for a classmate gathering, realizing he needs to buy a car soon while grumbling about his cash restrictions. Stepping inside the private dining room, he finds his former classmates already gathered around a large, elegant banquet table. Taking a seat next to a classmate, Lin Xin casually asks if Shi Yuxuan has made it to the party yet. Hearing him, an arrogant guy named Lian immediately scoffs, mockingly telling Lin Xin that an elite literature department beauty like her is completely out of his league. Curious, Lin Xin asks about her background, and his classmate explains that her family comes from a prominent, scholarly lineage that keeps a very low profile. The rest of the table chimes in, revealing her family even owns the city museum, as they sneer that only wealthy lion has any right to pursue someone of her status. Lin Xin just sips his drink silently while the door to the dining room suddenly opens behind him. Xie Yuxuan enters the room looking stunning in an elegant dress, apologizing to everyone for her late arrival due to traffic. Seeing her walk in, the guys at the table are visibly captivated by her effortless beauty even without heavy makeup. Scanning her appearance, Lin Xin's system evaluates her face value at 94 points, confirming she meets the high standard needed for his counterattack system. Liang quickly stands up to invite her to sit near him, but the female classmates instantly push him aside to greet the campus beauty themselves. Taking advantage of the moment, Lin Xin calmly raises his hand and calls out to Shi Yuxuan, pointing to the empty chair right beside him. To everyone's surprise, Shi Yuxuan actually walks over to his table and politely greets Lin Xin as she sits down right next to him. Lin Xin jokes that he thought she had forgotten him, but she warmly replies as she remembers all her former classmates, triggering a system alert in his mind. The counterattack target panel binds to Shi Yuxuan, detailing her stats and rules for cash back rewards as her current favorability starts at 0%. Meanwhile, the rest of the group is completely shocked, stunned that a regular guy like Lin Xin had the nerve to invite her over, and even more amazed that she actually accepted. Lian glares at Lin Xin with pure envy and rage, furious that his attempt to show off was completely upstaged. As the atmosphere grows tense, Lian calls out Lin Xin's name to drag him into a public confrontation. Smirking, Lian maliciously brings up Lin Xin's past relationship, mocking him about the girlfriend he pursued for 3 years and asking why she isn't here. Lin Xin plainly states that they broke up yesterday, but the others immediately mock him, claiming he's lying just to make a move on Xie Yuxuan. The snobbish girls at the table quickly join in, accusing Lin Xin of acting like a dishonest scumbag, though he maintains his calm and says he is simply telling the truth. Hearing the gossip and drama, Xie Yuxuan lowers her head uncomfortably, causing her favorability rating toward Lin Xin to drop by 1%. Noticing the deduction, Lin Xin realizes he needs to change the subject fast before his reputation tanks any further with her. Seeing Lin Xin go silently and smirk smugly, believing he has completely humiliated his rival in front of everyone. Pivoting to flex his wealth, Lian addresses Shi Yuxuan, mentioning her love for cultural relics before bragging about acquiring a rare painting by Defitch from a Shanghai collector. He points toward the framed masterpiece hanging on the wall, inviting Xie Yuxuan to take a closer look and admire his pricey acquisition. Intrigued by the artwork, Xie Yuxuan gets up from her seat and walks over to the wall while Lian eagerly follows close behind. Before moving away, Lian leans in and angrily threatens Lin Xin, warning him that he'll blacklist him from finding any job in the city if he keeps hitting on her. Unfazed by the threat, Lin Xin watches as Lian enthusiastically talks up his passion for art, even mentioning an upcoming city auction for another artwork. Xie Yuxuan asks if she can inspect the painting closer, making Lian secretly rejoice that all the tedious research he did on her highbrow hobbies is finally paying off. Suddenly, Lin Xin steps right between them and takes the framed painting down, casually declaring that he is also extremely interested in Big Fitch's artwork. Offering a friendly smile, our MC politely asks if they can inspect the piece together, completely disrupting Lin's romantic move. At that exact moment, Lin Xin activates the system interface and selects the A-level Relic Appreciation skill he had drawn earlier. Lian smugly agrees, inwardly snickering that an uncultured guy like Lin Xin is only setting himself up for massive embarrassment. While Shi Yuxuan wonders if Lin Xin genuinely appreciates classical art, Lian mockingly puts him on the spot, telling him to share his expert thoughts on the piece. As the Cultural Relic Appreciation skill activates, analytical data floods Lin Xin's vision, and he bluntly declares the painting to be a complete fake. With full expert knowledge unlocked, Lin Xin breaks down the technical flaws, explaining how the real artist used thin castor oil glazes to create translucent strokes, whereas this canvas uses heavy, opaque pigments. Shi Yuxuan listens in awe as Lin Xin effortlessly points out the crude shading and rigid brushwork that failed to replicate the original master's subtle style. Looking Lian dead in the eye, Lin Xin finishes his flawless analysis by delivering the verdict that Lian spent his money on a worthless counterfeit. Shocked beyond belief, Lian stands there frozen with a frantic expression as his prize flex is utterly demolished in front of everyone. Desperate to save face, Lian stammers that Lin Xin is just parroting superficial internet trivia, while his sycophantic friends try to back him up. But Xie Yuxuan leans over to inspect the details herself and firmly validates Lin Xin, confirming that as an art scholar, she knows for a fact the painting is a high-quality imitation. The entire room gasps in utter disbelief as the museum heiress herself confirms that Lin Xin's harsh verdict was 100% accurate. Turning toward Lin Xin, Xia Yuxuan looks at him with newfound respect and admiration, blown away by his deep knowledge of art history. She warmly asks him how someone like him acquired such sophisticated, professional expertise on Renaissance art. Striking a patriotic pose, Lin Xin proudly claims he studied art since childhood because he hated seeing national treasures lost abroad, declaring his goal is to repurchase them all for his homeland. Lian bursts out laughing, sarcastically asking if money can really buy back stolen historical artifacts, but Lin Xin calmly replies that everything has a price if you have enough cash. The snobbish classmates join in on the laughter, ridiculing Lin Xin's statement and mocking him for sounding like a naive schoolboy with big dreams. However, Xie Yuxuan looks at him with sympathy and respect, admitting she had the same dream as a child, boosting her favorability toward him by 5%. The mocking crowd instantly falls silent as they realize the campus beauty actually agreed with Lin Xin instead of ridiculing him. Lin Xin offers a calm, confident smile, stating that to him, these aren't far-fetched dreams but concrete goals he fully intends to accomplish. To Lian's utter infuriation, Xie Yuxuan turns around and sits right back down next to Lin Xin at the dining table. Seething with humiliation, Lian vows to crush Lin Xin completely and showing the massive gap in wealth and power between them. Soon after, the waiter serves an elaborate, high-end course meal featuring luxury gourmet dishes from around the world. The classmates are blown away by the exquisite food, marveling at how every single person at the table received a completely different dish. Lian proudly explains that the dishes were custom, made by a former Michelin 3-star chef whose cooking depends entirely on his personal mood for each guest. However, everyone notices that Lin Xin was served a plain steamed bun and a tiny side dish, prompting comments that his luck must be terrible. Some classmates wonder if it's some kind of high-concept molecular cuisine secretly disguised as an ordinary ballsy. Examining the food, Lin Xin realizes it's literally just a basic steamed bun, instantly catching on to Lian's petty attempt to embarrass him. Lian feigns concern, offering to order a replacement dish while smugly warning that Michelin prep takes 2 hours, leaving Lin Xin to either eat his plain bun or starve. But when Lian turns around, his jaw drops as he sees Xie Yuxuan happily sharing her luxurious dish with Lin Xin while chatting away warmly. Our MC uses his art knowledge to discuss ancient golden masks with Xie Yuxuan, impressing her so much that her favorability jumps another 2% as she invites him to meet her mentor. Watching Lin Xin effortlessly win her over once again, Lian completely loses his mind in anger, feeling like an absolute clown. As he eats, Lin Xin gets a phone notification inviting him to an exclusive group chat for the city's elite, sent by the rich contact he made the night before. Opening the chat, he sees members freaking out over his alternate identity as the mystery billionaire Mr. Qian, leading Lin Xin to wonder if he should send a greeting gift. Knowing his system funds can only be spent on women, Lin Xin browses the member list to find a female user to transfer money to. He casually transfers 18.88 million yuan to a female member as T-money for the group, completely blowing everyone's mind with his insane flex. When a member asks where he is, Lin Xin reveals he is currently at the hotel club, prompting the wealthy group members to immediately rush over to meet the legend in person. Unaware of who Mr. Qian actually is, Lian excitedly messages the chat, offering to pay for Mr. Qian's entire tab to suck up to him. Seeing Lian's desperate brow noozing in the chat, Lin Xin chuckles to himself at the hilarious coincidence. Lian smirks maliciously, convincing himself that once the super-rich Mr. Qian arrives, he will use his new connection to completely ruin Lin Xin. Lian imagines himself chatting up the billionaire, planning to casually mention how a pathetic loser at his table insulted him. He daydreams about the wealthy elite banding together to beat Lin Xin up and blacklist him from ever getting a job in the city. Standing up grandly, Lian announces he is taking everyone up to the top-floor VIP lounge to meet Yanjing's top-tier socialites, earning praise from his sycophants. Upstairs at the exclusive Golden Hall, Lian proudly introduces his classmates to high-society businessmen, making himself look like a big shot. Lian introduces Xie Yuxuan to a real estate tycoon named Mr. Shu, who immediately recognizes her prominent family name and nods politely. Xie Yuxuan greets him with cool elegance, receiving compliments from the tycoon for her stunning presence. Just as Lian is enjoying the spotlight, a venue waiter approaches him nervously to ask a question. The waiter explains that Lin Xin, who is sitting at the bar, wants to order a bottle of rare old sherry, asking if he should fulfill the order. Hearing that Lin Xin is trying to order high-end liquor, Lian is caught off guard and immediately suspicious. The nearby classmates express outrage, accusing Lin Xin of being wildly inconsiderate for ordering an insanely expensive bottle on Lian's tab. At the bar, Lin Xin casually confirms his order with a smile, unbothered since Lian promised to cover all expenses tonight. Lian grins evilly, realizing this is the perfect trap to saddle Lin Xin with a massive bill he can't afford. He orders the waiter to pop the bottle immediately, while the surrounding guests whisper about how much the ultra-rare vintage costs. Slamming the open bottle down, Lian cackles that this vintage costs 250,000 yuan, threatening that Lin Xin will have to dig coal to pay it off. Lin Xin acts oblivious, casually shrugging that he just assumed a longer name meant higher quality wine. Lian sneers, telling him to keep pretending to be cool, because he won't be smiling once the massive bill arrives. Turning to his group, Lian impatiently asks why the mysterious billionaire Mr. Qian hasn't arrived yet, as a classmate confirms he is already in the building. Suddenly, the entrance door swings open, revealing a shadowy silhouette that catches everyone's attention. It turns out to be Mr. Shi, who apologizes for being late, leaving everyone wondering where Mr. Xian could possibly be. But as soon as Mr. Shi scans the room, his eyes lock onto Lin Xin, and he immediately dashes past Ian straight toward the bar. Bowing deeply, Mr. Chi grabs Lin Xin's hand and respectfully greets him as Mr. Chuan, begging for forgiveness for keeping him waiting. The entire room freezes in total disbelief as they watch the prominent VP bow down to a guy they thought was a nobody. Chaos erupts across the lounge as everyone realizes the legendary, ultra-wealthy Mr. Qian and their classmate Lin Xin are the exact same person. Even Xiaoxun looks on in silent confusion, having never paid attention to elite wealth circles or local internet gossip. Meanwhile, Lian's face completely twists in horror and panic as he realizes he just tried to threaten the most dangerous billionaire in town. Lin Xin turns around with a calm smile and casually admits that he is indeed Mr. Chuan. The high society guests instantly crowd around him, showering him with compliments and eagerly offering to introduce him to their eligible sisters. His former classmates watch in utter awe, amazed at how all these powerful millionaires are kissing the feet of someone they treated as a nobody. Refusing to accept reality, Lian screams in anger, accusing Lin Xin of being a fraud and claiming his parents are just poor working class laborers. Outraged by his disrespect, Mr. Chi loses his temper and yells at Lian to shut his mouth, calling him absolute trash. He exposes Lian in front of the entire crowd, revealing that despite leeching off his parents' allowance, Lian has failed every single investment he ever attempted. The other wealthy socialites join in, shaming Lian for losing money on all his stock trades and calling him an embarrassment to their circle. While Lin Xin calmly sips his wine, Mr. Shi snaps at Lian, demanding to know how a worthless parasite like him dares to insult a real billionaire. Banished from the elite group chat on the spot, Lian cowers in panic as his precious social status evaporates right before his eyes. Taking advantage of Lian's earlier promise, Lin Xin raises his glass and orders the most expensive drinks in the venue for everyone present on Lian's tab. The entire venue erupts in ecstatic cheers, lavishing praise on Mr. Qian for treating them to a night of luxury. Realizing he just got saddled with an astronomical bill he can't possibly afford, Lian collapses onto the floor in tears. As the party wraps up, the wealthy crowd bows and sees Lin Xin off outside the luxury club. Xiaoxuan also bids farewell to her former classmates before heading down the steps to her waiting private limousine. The classmates stare in envy at her extended Rolls-Royce, marveling at how someone so immensely wealthy remains so modest and humble. Lin Xin notes that raised in high society, Xiaoxuan wasn't impressed by his display of wealth at all, leaving her favorability unchanged. Still, our MC smiles excitedly, realizing that her high standards make her the perfect target for him to spend system funds on. Shortly after, Mr. Shi approaches him to offer an ultra-rare 80 million yuan hypercar, with only 10 existing in the world. Satisfied with the exclusive specs, Lin Xin gives him an easy nod of approval to secure the deal. Overjoyed to close the multi-million deal, Ms. Chi leaps into action while the surrounding elite look on in extreme envy. Checking his bank account later, Lin Xin reminds himself that he needs to keep spending system counterattack funds to convert them into real personal wealth. While walking back at night, he spots his gold-digging ex-girlfriend crying alone on a bench near campus. Noticing him, she looks up tearfully, relieved that Lin Xin has finally returned. She begs him for 800,000 yuan, claiming her father had a sudden heart attack and desperately needs surgery. But Lin Xin calls her out immediately, pointing out she used the exact same fake hospital excuse 5 times during their relationship just to buy designer items. Caught red-handed in her lie, the girl freezes in complete shock and embarrassment. Throwing a tantrum, she accuses him of being heartless for spending millions on streamers while refusing her, but Lin Xin reminds her it's his money to spend as he pleases. He casually turns his back on her, stating how much better his life has been since they broke up before walking away to prepare for his next dinner date. Desperate, she begs him not to be so cold, but her plummeting favorability triggers another system notification, dropping her rating by 20%. Lin Xin doesn't care in the slightest, resolving never to waste another single penny on an unrepentant leech like her. The next day arrives under a bright sunny sky as students walk across the bustling university grounds. Checking his notifications on campus, Lin Xin sees a dinner invite from Lu Yaxi, chuckling as he refuses to let anyone derail his system goals. Suddenly, his phone alerts him that streamer Cao Cao has gone live, alongside a message from the platform assistant offering custom luxury gifts. Intrigued by the option of sending customized high-tier gifts, a sly smirk crosses Lin Xin's face. Entering Cao Cao's stream, his arrival triggers a grand entrance announcement, prompting the attractive host to immediately offer him a personalized dance. Lin Xin drops a newly customized God of Wealth gift worth 880,000 yuan each, eclipsing the platform's previous top gift record. Cao Cao gasps in complete shock as Lin Xin begins rapidly spamming the massive 880,000 gift over and over again. The system gift counter rapidly skyrockets, accumulating to a mind-boggling 341 God of Wealth gifts in a matter of seconds. The entire stream platform crashes from the sheer value of 300 million yuan, instantly boosting Cao's favorability by 20%. Flustered and breathless from the insane 300 million flex, Cao Cao eagerly whispers that she'll do absolutely anything he asks. But without saying a single word in chat, Lin Xin immediately logs off and leaves the broadcast room. Chao Kao is left staring at her screen in total shock, dumbfounded that he dropped 300 million and vanished without demanding anything. Meanwhile, Lin Xin celebrates happily, knowing that spending 300 million system funds will yield a massive 30 million yuan cash back refund into his personal account. Chao Kao blushes alone, frantically trying to figure out why a mysterious billionaire would gift her a supercar and 300 million yuan without even staying to watch her show. She slaps her cheeks to snap out of it, trying hard to keep her composure. Reminding herself that men are untrustworthy, she tries to convince herself that Lin Xin is just an automated cash machine and that she'll never fall for him. Yet, despite her words, she gazes softly at his picture on her smartphone screen, unable to stop thinking about him. Back near the university campus, Lin Xin is suddenly interrupted by hostile voices shouting behind him. He turns around to see a gang of aggressive thugs cornering his ex-girlfriend, forcefully ripping off her face mask as she struggles to escape. As the thugs corner her, the terrified girl looks directly at Lin Xin, desperately hoping he will step in to save her. Watching Lin Xin walk away, the ex-girlfriend realizes in despair that he truly won't come to her rescue this time. Surrounded by loan sharks, she frantically begs for 3 more days to pay off her debt, but they refuse to believe her anymore. The head thug scoffs, mocking her about the boyfriend she claimed would cover her debts after she broke his heart. They mockingly tell her to call her ex over so they can force him to pay up, while she cowers in shame. Losing their patience, the thugs grab her arms forcefully, ignoring her terrified screams as they pull her away. The loan shark brutally declares that they are going to force her into sex work to recoup their cash. One of the men slams his hand over her mouth to muffle her desperate cries for help as they haul her toward the vehicle. They pin her down in the dark alley, threatening her that no one in this city has ever dared to interfere with their operation. Tears streaming down her face, she is filled with deep regret for betraying Lin Xin and realizes her greed led directly to her ruin. Just as the van door slams shut and the driver prepares to speed away, her final apology fades into silence. Suddenly, a powerful fist shatters the driver's side window and punches the driver square in the face. Lin Xin rips the side door wide open, staring inside with cold eyes as he orders the thugs to get out immediately. The terrified girl gasps in total shock as she sees her ex standing there like a hero coming to her rescue. Furious at the interruption, 2 angry thugs leap out of the vehicle and charge straight at Lin Xin. Instead of fighting, Lin Xin pulls thick wads of cash out of his bag and slaps both thugs across the face with literal money. Bills rain down all over the pavement, leaving the thugs completely dazed and falling to their knees in shock. Lin Xin throws 800,000 yuan right at their feet, coldly telling them to take the cash and get lost. Scrambling to scoop up the scattered bills, the stunned loan sharks ask if he is the girl's boyfriend. Annoyed by their chatter, Lin Xin brushes his hair back and tells them to shut up, grab the cash, and vanish. The thug leader quickly retreats to his van, shouting a weak threat that debt is settled before speeding off. As the van disappears down the street, Lin Xin stands on the pavement, wiping his hands clean of the mess. Sitting on the ground in tears, she looks up at him with immense remorse and stammers out another sincere apology. Unmoved by her tears, Lin Xin coldly warns her that if she's truly sorry, she should never bother him ever again. Her favorability jumps by 10% as she watches his departing figure, silently swearing to earn back his respect through her future actions. Meanwhile, a sleek yellow sports car speeds down the city avenue. Inside a rideshare car, Lin Xin browses various live streaming apps on his smartphone as female hosts thank him for big gifts. The talkative driver asks which streaming platform he prefers, chatting about the recent viral news of the mystery billionaire spending hundreds of millions. Lin Xin casually replies that he's been following the news too, secretly tapping his phone to drop even more massive gifts on other apps. Suddenly, a news broadcast alert pops up on the car dashboard, announcing that the mysterious Miss Xian just gifted another 100 million yuan on Douyu Live. The driver glares at the news pop-up in total disbelief, flabbergasted that someone has so much money to burn across different streaming sites. Seeing Lin Xin switch apps again, the driver inwardly scoffs, assuming his passenger is just a penniless user grinding daily tasks for free virtual gifts. The driver proudly boasts that he never spends money on streamers, condescendingly advising Lin Xin not to waste his hard-earned money on online girls. Before he can even finish his sentence, another breaking news notification blares from the dashboard, announcing another 100 million gift. The driver breaks into a cold sweat as he notices the timing of the news pops matches the exact moments his passenger taps his smartphone screen. A third system alert confirms that Mr. Chuan dropped yet another 100 million yuan on Kuaishou Live. In sheer shock, the driver swerves the car wildly across the road, forcing Lin Xin to ask him to keep his hands steady on the wheel. Step by step, Lin Xin steps out of the car, leaving the terrified driver gaping in utter shock as he connects the dots. Lin Xin smirks as he reflects on spending another 300 million yuan, realizing that casting a wide net across all platforms is the easiest way to farm cash backs. Looking around the bustling street, Lin Xin searches for the address his next target gave him. He realizes he has arrived at Nanting Village, an affordable student rental hub near campus, wondering why Liu Yaxi invited him to dinner here. As he arrives at the apartment door, Liu Yaxi opens it wearing an extraordinarily seductive black dress, welcoming him with a sweet smile. Lin Xin blushes instantly, caught off guard by her stunning, provocative appearance. Without giving him time to hesitate, she takes him by the arm and gently pulls him inside her private apartment. Stepping into her beautifully decorated apartment, Lin Xin feels a wave of tension in the intimate setting. Suddenly, she wraps her arms tightly around his neck, confessing how much she admires his loyalty and how he spent millions on her without expecting sexual favors in return. Blushing deeply, she whispers that despite past relationships, she preserved her purity, hinting at what she wants to give him tonight. As her lips drift closer to his in a passionate kiss, a sudden realization flashes through Lin Xin's mind. He remembers her favorability reached 91%, which means she is genuinely head over heels in love with him. Smiling warmly, our MC decides to embrace the moment, figuring there's no reason for a grown man to refuse a beautiful woman throwing herself into his arms. Leaning into his touch, Liu Yaxi lets out a soft sigh as the romantic atmosphere completely consumes the room. In an intimate embrace, Lin Xin gently apologizes if he was too forward, but Liu Yaxi softly blushes and gives him her consent. Giving into the heat of the moment, they share a passionate kiss as she lets out a soft sigh of pleasure. Just as things get intimate, desperate shouting from outside suddenly interrupts the romantic atmosphere in the room. Pausing instantly, Lin Xin recognizes the voice outside as his college friend and roommate Zhou Tong. Looking down from the window, Lin Xin sees Zhou Tong desperately chasing after his crying girlfriend on the sidewalk below. Before Zhou Tong can say another word, his girlfriend turns around and slaps him hard across the face, sending his glasses flying. Furious, the girl screams at him for making a public scene and embarrassing her in front of everyone on the street. She angrily storms off, warning him that his desperate behavior will make him a laughingstock across the entire university by tomorrow. Utterly humiliated, Zhou Tong drops to his knees on the pavement, pathetically searching around for his fallen glasses. Running downstairs, Lin Xin picks up the glasses and hands them back to his shocked, tearful roommate. Adjusting his glasses, Zhou Tong dejectedly explains how he and Nana have been dating for 6 months until everything suddenly fell apart. Looking up, Zhou Tong gasps in disbelief when he sees the campus beauty Liu Yaxi standing right beside Lin Xin. Lin Xin casually brushes it off, explaining she invited him over for dinner before urging Zhou Tong to continue his story. Zhou Tong explains that Nana threw a fit and canceled their movie date simply because he couldn't afford an 8,000 yuan luxury skincare set. Hearing this, Liu Yaxi chimes in, revealing she heard rumors from her circle that Chen Nana secretly picked up a wealthy sponsor. Zhou Tong immediately denies it in disbelief, refusing to accept that his sweet girlfriend would ever cheat on him. Liu Yaxi stays confident in her intel, while poor Zhou Tong continues to cry in total denial. Seeing his friend's heartbreak, Lin Xin steps in, telling Zhou Tong to offer to buy the cosmetics while asking Liu Yaxi to track down the rival guy. A sharp smirk forms on Lin Xin's face as he resolves to help his bro expose Chen Nana's true gold, digging colors once and for all. Meanwhile, in a hotel room, Lian sits on the bed smoking a cigarette with an anxious, miserable expression. A purple-haired woman beside him asks what's wrong, and Lian sighs that his social standing and personal life are in complete shambles. Remembering how close he came to total social exile, Lian realizes Lin Xin's tab covering saved him, though everyone in the elite group now ignores him. Depressed, Lian feels like he is falling into a dark abyss, terrified of losing his wealthy lifestyle forever. Suddenly, his phone on the bedside table chimes with an incoming notification. Grabbing the phone, Lian stares at the screen with wide eyes, completely stunned by the message he sees. He leaps up on the bed in pure joy, cheering that he finally found a golden opportunity to redeem his reputation. In the group chat, Mr. Qian asked if anyone owns a shopping mall to help his roommate, and Lian enthusiastically offered his family's Silver Moon Plaza. When Lin Xin accepts Silver Moon Plaza, Lian gushes with gratitude, while the other rich members express jealous envy at his luck. The following morning, Lian drives his luxury car to pick up Mr. Qian, secretly bringing a girl along to prove to Lin Xin that he gave up on Shi Yuxuan. Pulling up to an unassuming street-side food stall, Lian spots the billionaire eating breakfast outdoors. The girl curiously asks where the legendary billionaire is, and Lian excitedly points toward a wooden table. Sitting on a cheap wooden stool in casual shorts and flip-flops, Lin Xin quietly enjoys a 5 yuan bowl of noodles. While the girl is dumbfounded by his humble look, Lian aggressively flatters Lin Xin, marveling at how a true tycoon radiates presence anywhere. Lian gushes over Lin Xin's unpretentious lifestyle, before inviting him to head straight over to Silver Moon Plaza to execute the plan. Under the bright morning sun, the bustling cityscape of Yanjiang comes alive. At Silver Moon Plaza, crowds of shoppers gather around the massive commercial shopping center. Zhou Tong waits anxiously outside the mall gate per Lin Xin's plan, hoping to see whether his girlfriend is truly cheating on him. To his absolute heartbreak, Zhou Tong watches as Chen Nana passionately kisses an older middle-aged man right in broad daylight. Overcome with rage, Zhou Tong charges forward, screaming at her for betraying their relationship for an ugly older guy. The middle-aged sugar daddy smirks condescendingly, mocking Zhou Tong for being the broke college boyfriend Nana complained about. Zhou Tong tells him to get lost, but the rich older man laughs arrogantly, claiming he has the power to banish Zhou Tong instead. Calling a plaza security guard over, the older man orders the guard to remove Zhou Tong for disturbing his shopping date. A towering security guard immediately blocks Zhou Tong, sternly ordering the distressed student to leave the premises. Chen Nana snuggles up against her older sponsor's arm, coldly telling Zhou Tong to stop making up lies. Heartbroken, Zhou Tong cries out in agony, unable to grasp how 6 months of genuine love lost to a rich stranger. Chen Nana coldly lectures him on economic reality, boasting about her new lover's VIP status and telling Zhou Tong to focus on making money before pursuing women. Completely broken, Zhou Tong sinks under the heavy weight of financial reality and betrayal. Just as Zhou Tong hits rock bottom, the roaring engine of a sleek black Lamborghini supercar echoes across the plaza entrance. Recognizing the vehicle, the older man boasts to Chen Nana that the car belongs to the young owner of Silver Moon Plaza himself. As Lin steps out of the supercar and walks over, the older man quickly bows, assuming the mall owner came over to personally greet him. Unexpectedly, Lin steps out of his sports car and enthusiastically hugs Zhou Tong like a VIP guest. Lin dramatically addresses Zhou Tong as a key investor, begging him to consider funding their future shopping mall developments. Both the older sugar daddy and Chen Nana stand frozen in absolute horror, unable to comprehend what is happening. Adding to the drama, Lian's attractive female companion struts over, flirting playfully with Zhou Tong for keeping them waiting. She clings affectionately to Zhou Tong's arm, sweetly pleading for him to buy her designer bags from Bali's new spring collection. Turning around, the glamorous woman delivers a devastating insult to Chen Nana, leaving her sputtering in rage and confusion. Glancing toward the plaza entrance, Zhou Tong spots Lin Xin standing nearby, casually sipping a juice box. Seeing Lin Xin's reassuring wink, Zhou Tong realizes his rich roommate orchestrated this whole spectacular show to give him ultimate revenge. The girl complains to Lian about the older man, pointing out how his rude behavior ruined their mall inspection. Furious, Lian orders his security guards to immediately revoke the older man's VIP status and banish him from the plaza. Realizing his entire construction business is on the line, the old man shoves Chen Nana to the ground and tearfully begs Zhou Tong for forgiveness. Smirking alongside Lian, Zhou Tong orders the mall manager to permanently blacklist both the old man and Chen Nana from Silver Moon Plaza. Stripped of their prestige and public dignity, both gold diggers collapse onto the floor in total despair. Looking down on his ex-girlfriend's sponsor, Zhou Tong coldly tells the aging man to be careful, mocking his inability to bounce back at his age. While Chen Nana weeps over her ruined life, her sponsor furiously grits his teeth, vowing to rely on his other high society connections. But before he can even finish his sentence, a massive fleet of exotic supercars roars directly into the plaza parking lot. Yanjiang's most powerful young heirs step out of their luxury rides, bantering casually among themselves. The old man's eyes nearly pop out of his head as he recognizes the top power players of the entire city arriving together. The wealthy heirs surround Zhou Tong, eagerly competing for his favor and complaining that Lian hogged all the prestige of helping him today. Surrounded by the city's top elite, Zhou Tong feels like an absolute king, completely transformed from the broke student he was moments ago. The sight of all these billionaires treating Zhou Tong like a boss strikes the old man like a bolt of thunder. Realizing he just offended someone connected to every major family in Yanjiang, the old man breaks down crying, knowing his business is dead. Zhou Tong warmly shakes Lin Xin's hand, thanking him from the bottom of his heart for helping him reclaim his dignity. When Zhou Tong asks how he knows so many billionaires, Lin Xin hilariously claims they were just paid actors from a theatrical troupe, and Zhou Tong actually buys it. As Zhou Tong leaves to grab cafeteria food, the watching multi-millionaires marvel at how grounded and humble Mr. Qian truly is. Among the wealthy crowd, a stunning teal-haired businesswoman gazes at Lin Xin with deep intrigue. Lin Xin turns to thank the group, casually offering to treat the crowd of elite millionaires to cheap street-side hot soup. Laughing at his joke, Lian invites everyone up to his 7th-floor VIP lounge, insisting that Mr. Qian cover the bill as promised. The group moves upstairs to the top level of Silver Moon Plaza for the private gathering. Lounging inside the plush VIP suite, the socialites continue discussing Mr. Qian's viral 100 million yuan spending spree on live streams. While they theorize that he must be the heir of a secret capital dynasty, someone asks the quiet teal-haired woman why she is silently drinking. A flashback reveals how everyone ridiculed her ambitious tech startup, urging her to abandon her chip program and just become a wealthy man's trophy wife. Refusing to abandon her dreams, she slams her glass onto the table, determined to secure funding no matter what. Declaring she will pitch her project directly to Mr. Qian, she walks over while the other heirs snicker that she is bound to fail. Nearby wealthy heirs shower Lin Xin with invitations to high-stakes poker, private yacht parties, and exclusive nightclubs. Sitting back with a relaxed look, Lin Xin swirls his wine as everyone clamors for his attention. He politely declines their party offers, casually stating that he prefers spending money on investments over mindless play. Hearing his response, Jiang Xian immediately steps forward and approaches the sofa. Leaning right over him, she places a hand on his chest and asks if he'd be willing to invest his money in her project. The other heirs panic, warning Lin Xin that Jiang Xian's project is a money pit that burns tens of millions without any return. Without turning around, she brutally knocks out one of the shouting heirs, commanding everyone else in the room to shut their mouths. As he looks at her, the system triggers a new mission notification, identifying Jiang Xian as a high-tier counterattack target. Reviewing her profile panel, Lin Xin sees her initial favorability starts at 10%, inwardly grinning at such a perfect spending opportunity walking right up to him. With absolute seriousness in her eyes, she looks Lin Xin in the face and reveals that her team is developing advanced domestic industrial chips. The surrounding socialites plead with him not to be fooled, while Lin Xin stays calm and quietly digests her statement. She passionately defends her research, explaining that her team is on the verge of a breakthrough despite the naysayers mocking her multi-billion yuan budget. Losing her patience again, she kicks the doubting Hare across the room, telling him to get lost. Turning back to Lin Xin, her confident facade softens as she vulnerably asks if he is going to laugh at her ambition too. Instead of mocking her, Lin Xin smiles brightly, praising the strategic importance of domestic chip technology and declaring that he will fund her project completely. The entire lounge gasps in sheer flabbergasted shock as a young billionaire commits to backing the most notoriously expensive tech project in the city. Stunned by his instant agreement, Jiang Xian asks if he's truly willing, warning him that her chip project is a massive gamble with a high risk of failure. Without hesitation, Lin Xin transfers 500 million yuan directly to her account, assuring her that he admires her passion and doesn't care if the money goes down the drain. Her eyes widen in sheer disbelief as she stares at him, her cheeks flushing with deep emotion. Glancing down at her phone, she sees the official notification confirming 500 million yuan deposited instantly, proving he wasn't joking. Overwhelmed that someone finally believes in her vision, Jiang Jian's favorability toward Lin Xin surges by another 20%. The surrounding Hares lose their minds, marveling at how Mr. Qian dropped $500 million on a whim, theorizing he must be madly in love with her. Having dumped $500 million system cash, Lin Xin casually bids everyone farewell and exits the VIP suite to handle his personal affairs. Holding her phone close to her chest, Jiang Xian watches him walk away, her heart thoroughly captured by his unmatched generosity. Back at the table, the group realizes Mr. Qian left without paying the small lounge tab, quickly making excuses that a multi-billionaire simply forgot such pocket change. Outside, our MC literally sprints away, hilariously admitting to himself that he dodged the bill because he can't use system money on personal club tabs. Later at the gym, Jiang Xian works out on an exercise bike while discussing her miracle 500 million yuan investment over video chat. Her video caller turns out to be Shi Yuxuan, who congratulates her on securing the funding while acknowledging how unique Mr. Qian truly is. Softening her gaze, Jiang Xian nods softly, reflecting on how Lin Xin stood by her when everyone else turned their backs. She remembers how her own family froze her bank accounts and refused to support her business, trying to force her into living an obedient life. Her elders dismissed her ambitions simply because she was a woman, telling her to abandon technology and find a husband instead. Shaking off the painful memories, she raises her fist with fierce determination, swearing to prove her family wrong with Shi Yuxuan's support. Jiang Xian shifts the topic to Shi Yuxuan's recent class reunion, and Shi Yuxuan shares how impressed she was by a classmate's art expertise. Teasing her friend, Jiang Xian jokes that hell must have frozen over for the icy campus goddess to finally praise a guy. Shi Yuxuan immediately fires back, teasing Jiang Xian about the mysterious tycoon who gave her $500 million yuan without asking questions. Their conversation is interrupted when Shi Yuxuan's mother knocks on her door, telling her it's time to head out. Softly hanging up her call, Xia Yuxuan prepares herself to meet her family's guests. Her mother sternly reminds her that Mr. Cao is a vital future shareholder for their private museum, ordering her to stay close to him. With a solemn gaze, Xia Yuxuan quietly obeys her mother's demand, hiding her inner reluctance. Meanwhile, back at his college dorm, Lin Xin opens the door after returning from his morning walk. Inside, he finds his roommate Wu Zhi shivering in bed with a high fever, begging Lin Xin to cover his part-time shift for 150 yuan. Lin Xin refuses the money and tells his sick friend to rest up, grabbing Wu Zhi's work uniform to cover for him. Dressing in the smart gray uniform, Lin Xin recalls that Wu Zhi works part-time at the Wuxi Museum, deciding to handle the shift himself. Telling his sick roommate to stay in bed, Lin Xin locks the door and heads out. A short while later, he arrives outside the grand facade of Wujiang Museum. Finding the museum lobby completely empty due to a private booking, Lin Xin sits at the front desk and pulls out his phone to gift streamers. Outside, an arrogant middle-aged man in a brown suit steps out of a luxury sedan with his assistant, exuding an air of self-importance. The museum manager bows obsequiously, informing Mr. Cho that the Xia family is waiting for him upstairs. As the manager escorts Mr. Cho through the lobby, they walk right past the front desk where Lin Xin is working. Suddenly, Mr. Cho stops in his tracks and barks out an angry shout, pointing directly toward Lin Xin. He aggressively berates the staff, accusing Lin Xin of being a blind fool for not standing up to bow and greet him the moment he walked in. Lin Xin gives a lazy casual welcome, while the manager sweats nervously and apologizes that Lin Xin is just a part-time student. Mr. Chow sneers, mocking Lin Xin's future and demanding that a peasant student should bow 90 degrees before a wealthy benefactor. Lin Xin casually responds that his university taught him respect, but never taught him to bow to arrogant fools. Enraged, Mr. Chow orders the manager to fire Lin Xin on the spot, refusing to tolerate an insubordinate employee. Screaming furiously, Mr. Chow boasts that even Director Xia must bend to his authority, demanding Lin Xin's immediate termination. As the manager ushers the angry VIP upstairs, Lin Xin realizes this museum is owned by Shi Yuxuan's family, seeing a great opportunity to find her. Upstairs, Director Xie welcomes Mr. Ka with open arms, standing alongside Xie Yuxuan and her mother. The two men shake hands warmly, exchanging formal greetings about art preservation and corporate sponsorship. Director Xie calls his daughter over, instructing Xie Yuxuan to act as Mr. Ka's personal tour guide through the exhibition. Turning to her, her father quietly whispers that the museum's entire financial future depends on her pleasing Mr. Cha. Xie Yuxuan leads him toward the central gallery, completely unaware of Mr. Ka's creepy, predatory gaze fixed on her. Stopping before an ancient Tang Dynasty calligraphy scroll, she passionately explains the poetic history behind the masterpiece. Her face lights up with genuine passion as she breaks down the emotional depth hidden within the ancient brushstrokes. Suddenly, Mr. Cha steps up from behind and grabs her bare shoulder, leering creepily while pretending to admire the art. Disgusted by his sleazy hands, Xie Yuxuan instantly knocks his hand away and demands to know what he thinks he's doing. The sleazy Mr. Cho creeps closer to Yuxuan, admitting he finds her too beautiful to resist, while she calls him out for having zero genuine interest in cultural relics. Chow just laughs off her accusation with an arrogant grin, making it clear that as far as he's concerned, hobbies are useless compared to making money. Disgusted by his sheer greed, Yuxuan angrily insists that real artifacts are priceless, unable to believe her father allowed a man like him to invest. Mocking her passion, Cao asks if she thinks she's living in a fairy tale, though he creepily admits that her innocent attitude only makes him desire her more. Wanting to crush her pride, Cao offers her father 600 million yuan to buy the museum, but under one despicable condition, Yuxuan must marry him. Her father, Uncle Mao, stands there completely stunned alongside his wife, stammering that Cao's extreme proposal is going way too far. Furious at being treated like a bargaining chip, Yuxuan glares directly at Cao and firmly states she will never marry a bastard like him. She urges her parents to call security to throw the creep out immediately, but her father hesitates, completely stunned by the massive 600 million yuan figure. Defeated, her father drops his head and reveals that the museum hasn't made any profit in 2 years, leaving them facing total bankruptcy if they don't sell. As Yuxuan gasps in disbelief, To smugly adds that no other investor will save their failing business, arrogantly claiming he is their only remaining salvation. Desperate, Yuxuan tearfully clings to her mother, asking if they really plan to sell her off, but her parents sorrowfully admit they have no other way out. Horrifying thoughts fill Yuxuan's mind as she imagines their priceless artifacts being liquidated on the black market while her family sinks into ruin. She remembers back to her childhood when her father taught her that every single artifact holds the soul of its creator and carries priceless historical value. Looking at the museum displays, she had always felt a deep, genuine passion for the craftsmanship and effort embedded in each ancient masterpiece. Throughout her life, she grew to despise wealthy elitists who cared nothing for history and only saw precious cultural relics as investments to flip for profit. Rich suitors had constantly tried to woo her with expensive perfumes and luxury cars, foolishly assuming that money could buy absolutely anything in the world. She had proudly held onto her strong morals for years, determined never to let wealth define her worth or control her future. But now, forced to face harsh financial reality, she realizes just how fragile those high ideals truly are when survival is on the line. Seeing her spirit break, So smugly promises to treat her well, even offering to buy her another museum as long as she gives him a son. Looking at the ancient calligraphy on the wall, Yuxuan realizes she has to make the ultimate sacrifice to protect her family and the museum. Holding back her overwhelming grief, she solemnly closes her eyes and accepts her miserable fate. Relieved that their bankruptcy problem is solved, her father tells her to sign the acquisition paper, while her mother silently weeps in guilt. The attorney presents the document explaining that once signed by both parties, the acquisition agreement becomes legally binding and completely unchangeable. Her parents hand her the pen with heavy hearts, urging her to place her signature on the dotted line to finalize the takeover. Meanwhile, Cao watches like a predator in the shadows, licking his lips in triumph as he prepares to claim his prized bride. Her hands trembling, Yuxuan presses the fountain pen against the paper, her voice cracking as she whispers that she will sign it. Tears stream down her face, heartbroken over the fact that she has to throw away her entire future just to clear her family's debts. But just as the pen touches the paper, the door suddenly slams open, and Lin Xin casually walks into the room asking about the museum sale. Stepping inside with absolute composure, our MC makes his entrance, calmly looking over the surprised group. Yuxuan turns around in complete shock, barely able to process seeing Lin Xin standing right in front of her. Enraged by the interruption, To immediately points at Lin Xin, screaming at the top of his lungs for security guards to throw him out. The museum assistant nervously steps up and stammers that Lin Xin is actually the only security guard working the night shift. Losing his temper completely, Cao curses under his breath and lunges forward to strike Lin Xin himself. But our MC doesn't even flinch, effortlessly dodging the sloppy swing before landing a devastating right hook straight to Cao's face. The sheer force of the blow sends Cao flying across the room, crashing hard onto the floor with a painful scream. Holding his bruised jaw, So shouts in anger, threatening to sue Lin Xin and ruin his life for daring to lay a finger on him. Completely ignoring the loudmouth on the floor, Lin Xin walks straight past him toward Yuxuan, reaching his hand out as she stammers in confusion. With surprising gentleness, our hero softly wipes away the tear running down her cheek. Caught completely off guard by his sudden tenderness, Yuxuan's heart skips a beat as a deep blush spreads across her cheeks. Her parents watch the intimate scene in disbelief, hurriedly asking their daughter if she actually knows this security guard. Yuxuan mentions he was her high school classmate, prompting her father to scold Lin Xin for wasting his life and demanding he apologize to Tao before he ruins the deal. Instead of apologizing, Lin Xin calmly grabs the takeover contract right out of the father's hands and rips it into tiny pieces. Everyone in the room freaks out in sheer horror, screaming in absolute panic as the legal document gets completely destroyed. Her father drops to his knees in utter despair, frantically trying to grab the shredded paper fragments off the floor. Standing tall over the panicked old man, Lin Xin coolly announces that he will buy the museum himself for 1 billion yuan. Chao laughs hysterically at the claim, swearing he'll eat filth if a broke student has 1 billion yuan, but Lin Xin just casually brushes off his stupid bet. Her mother nervously whispers to Yuxuan to ask if her classmate is secretly rich, but Yuxuan admits she has no idea about his background. Furious, Ka pulls out his phone to call his head enforcer Chiangzi, ordering him to bring a gang of thugs inside to beat Lin Xin to a pulp. Seeing an opportunity, her greedy father steps in and tells Lin Xin that if he can provide a 500 million yuan down payment, the museum and Yuxuan are his. But if Lin Xin fails to deliver the cash, the old man declares he will proceed with Ka's deal, leaving Yuxuan's fate hanging completely in the balance. The lawyer hands Lin Xin a newly drafted contract, explaining that the terms are identical to the previous version, with only the purchase amount and buyer's name updated. Lin Xin glances at the document, mentally summarizing all those thousands of legal words as nothing more than ugly agreement for a father to sell off his own daughter. Chao grunts angrily nearby, warning our MC that he won't let him walk away empty-handed and threatening that his thugs will arrive shortly to break his bones. Paying zero attention to Chao's barking, Lin Xin sighs to himself, finding the whole greedy situation to be a massive pain in the neck. His eyes drift toward the ancient calligraphic scroll on the wall, feeling a strange and unexpected emotional connection to the deep poetry written upon it. Reaching out to touch the frame, Lin Xin softly remarks that this profound artwork represents the true strength and character of real cultural heritage. Chao the lawyer and Yuxuan's parents all freeze in complete silence, utterly bewildered by the security guard's sudden philosophical outburst. Suddenly, Lin Xin dramatically strikes a pose and extends his hand, loudly declaring that he wants to modify the specific details of the contract right now. He orders the assistant to adjust the agreement on the spot, assuring the nervous lawyer that he won't reduce the purchase price by even a single penny. Lin Xin points back at the artwork, clarifying that the huge 1 billion yuan price tag is strictly for the museum building itself, meaning the artifacts inside are not included in the deal. Everyone in the room gags in sheer shock, unable to fathom why anyone would pay 1 billion yuan while leaving the actual treasures behind. Yuxuan looks on in awe as Lin Xin explains that since the cultural relics are priceless heirlooms, they should remain under the rightful ownership of the Xia family. He further decrees that since Yuxuan truly loves these artifacts, she will receive full management rights to run the museum, while he simply remains the primary decision-making shareholder. Leaning close to a blushing Yuxuan, Lin Xin softly reassures her to contact him if she ever needs money or runs into trouble, causing her favorability toward him to jump by 20%. Without skipping a beat, our MC pulls out a black card and swipes it on the terminal, instantly completing the astronomical 1 billion yuan transaction. Chao and Yuxuan's parents grab their heads in utter disbelief, screaming in panic as the terminal confirms the payment went through without a hitch. Sweating profusely, Tao realizes in sheer terror that a guy who can casually throw around 1 billion yuan on a whim must possess unimaginably terrifying wealth. As the lawyer stares at the bank notification confirming the money, Yuxuan turns to Lin Xin and softly asks why he went out of his way to help her family. With a calm smile, Lin Xin reminds her of his goal to retrieve China's lost historical relics, stating that national treasures belong to the people, not greedy merchants. Picking himself up, to snorts in disdain, mocking Lin Xin for spending a fortune on a mediocre collection and daring him to prove his grand goal at the major auction in Japan next month. Chao taunts that priceless national masterpieces worth over 1 billion each will be up for grabs there, warning Lin Xin to put his money where his mouth is instead of just boosting. Unbothered by the challenge, Lin Xin smirks and accepts the bet, declaring that anyone who chickens out from attending is a coward. Embarrassed and defeated, Cao shouts at his assistant to leave, hastily rushing out of the museum hall. Outside, Tao's thugs ask if they should still beat the guard up, but Cao angrily orders them to stand down, admitting he can't mess with someone powerful enough to casually drop 1 billion yuan. As Tao walks toward his car, his phone suddenly begins ringing in his pocket. On the line is Mr. Kometa from the powerful Japanese Kometa Zaibatsu, asking if the museum purchase was successful for their program, forcing a sweating Tao to admit a brat ruined the deal. However, Tao quickly reassures the caller that he tricked Lin Xin into attending next month's auction in Japan, giving Kometa the perfect chance to crush the kid personally. On the other end, Kometa chuckles darkly in his traditional room, quoting an ancient Chinese proverb while eagerly anticipating the upcoming showdown. Chao flatters the Japanese executive, claiming he looks forward to witnessing Kometa's overwhelming power put the brat back in his place. With the contract officially finalized and signed, Lin Xin officially becomes the sole primary shareholder of Wujiang Museum. Overjoyed by their salvation, Yuxu's parents repeatedly bow in gratitude and offer to treat Lin Xin to a fancy dinner at the Marriott, suggesting Yuxuan accompany him for drinks. But our MC coolly turns down the lavish dinner offer, nonchalantly stating that he can't go because he still has to finish his night guard shift. Seeing his funny work, dedicated reaction, Yuxuan giggles softly behind her hand, causing her favorability rating to climb another 10%. Following him down the stairs later, Yuxuan asks if he really intends to go to Japan next month, and Lin Xin reassures her that he never makes empty promises. Struck by his confidence, Yuxuan poses sweetly and happily asks if she can tag along with him when the time comes. The scene shifts to the bright daylight of the university campus the following morning. Lin Xin walks into his classroom dressed in casual clothes, telling someone on his phone that Yuxuan stayed up chatting with him for half the night during his shift. He chuckles, remembering how she suddenly fell fast asleep right in the middle of their conversation. With dark circles under his eyes, our MC groans about how he was stuck sitting there staring at her all night, leaving him completely exhausted. Seeing his dead, tired face, Liu Yaxi and another wealthy classmate immediately approach him, expressing deep concern over his apparent severe insomnia. Nearby male students pull out slices of watermelon, laughing among themselves as they prepare to enjoy the inevitable romantic drama about to unfold. Gently caressing his neck, Liu Yaxi urges Lin Xin to ditch class and come back to her rented apartment so he can get some proper, cozy rest. The blonde girl angrily cuts in, telling Yaxi to curb her wild desires before offering to sit next to Lin Xin in class instead. Blushing heavily, the blonde girl sweetly suggests that Lin Xin can rest his head on her lap during the lecture so he can sleep while listening. Exhausted, Lin Xin asks what she's doing here again, but the girl interrupts him, claiming she remembers every single harsh word he said to her in the past. Tearfully confessing her feelings, she admits that she has completely fallen for him and doesn't care whether he's rich or poor, begging him to take her back. Holding out a golden origami crane, she tearfully asks if they can move past their history and start over from the very beginning. Looking at the shiny paper crane in her hands, she promises to cherish him from now on and make up for all her previous mistakes. Seeing the intense public confession, the surrounding classmates cheer for him to accept her, while Luo Yaxi clicks her tongue in pure irritation. The blonde girl remorsefully reminds him that he once made her 999 cranes that she threw away, revealing that her favorability sits at 86% as she hands him 1,000 handmade cranes to win him back. Lin Xin sees right through her act, mockingly thinking that he won't fall for her lies when the system clearly shows her favorability is only at 86%. Knowing Lu Cheng is an ungrateful gold digger who manipulates men, our MC walks away, realizing she's only chasing him now out of petty, bruised pride. Before their confrontation escalates any further, the professor enters the room and orders everyone back to their seats as class begins. As soon as the lecture ends, students pack up their bags and filter out into the hallway. Liu Yaxi immediately hooks her arm around Lin Xin's, sweetly inviting him back to her private apartment so he can sleep without any interruptions. Lu Cheng quickly intervenes, calling out Yaxi for taking a guy who isn't even her boyfriend back to her house. Unfazed, Yaxi smirks and points out that Lin Xin is single, teasingly telling the ex-girlfriend to step aside so she can take good care of him. As both girls cling tightly to Lin Xin's arms, Yaxi sarcastically remarks that good men don't go back to their exes, making Lin Xin sweat in discomfort. Refusing to back down, Lu Cheng fires back with her own proverbs, leaving our overwhelmed MC trapped right in the middle of their heated argument. Lin Xin makes a comedic face, wishing they would leave him out of their petty drama so he doesn't become the talk of the entire university campus. Suddenly, a flashy red Ferrari sports car screeches onto the campus walkways at full speed. Surrounding students gasp and leap out of the way in pure panic as the luxury vehicle zooms straight past them. Before he can react, Lin Xin gets pulled in the open convertible, landing flat on his back in complete bewilderment. Looking up, he realizes the driver is Cao Cao, who warmly asks if he got hurt during her sudden rescue stunt. As the Ferrari speeds away, Lin Xin offers to sit up, but Cao Cao happily tells him to stay put and rest his head on her lap. Resting comfortably on her thighs, our MC smiles in relief, genuinely thanking her for showing up at the absolute perfect moment. Cao Cao affectionately asks if saving him was worth her trouble, and Lin Xin enthusiastically agrees, prompting her to tease that he belongs to her now. Back on campus, Lu Cheng fumes in utter disbelief as she watches the mystery woman speed off with Lin Xin right before her eyes. Surrounding male students whisper in envy, identifying the car as a 30 million yuan Ferrari and assuming Lin Xin hooked up with a rich heiress. Furious, Lu Cheng grits her teeth, realizing that all these attractive, wealthy girls are now aggressively competing to claim Lin Xin for themselves. Liu Yaxi smugly taunts her, pointing out that Lu Cheng threw away his love back when he was poor and now can't even afford to stand near him. Lu Cheng retorts that the rich heiress in the supercar is far wealthier than either of them, meaning she poses a threat to Yaxi as well. But Yaxi casually smiles, confidently boasting that those other girls don't compare because she and Lin Xin have already made deep, romantic progress. Hearing that, Lu Cheng's eyes widen in sheer horror as she demands to know what kind of progress they made. Grabbing Yaxi by the shoulders, Lu Cheng frantically presses her for details, but Yaxi playfully refuses to reveal her secrets. As Yaxi walks away laughing, Lu Cheng tries to convince herself it's a lie, though deep down anxiety begins to consume her. She imagines Lin Xin surrounded by seductresses, worrying that his simple, innocent nature won't survive under such intense siege. Realizing she can no longer afford to hesitate, Lu Cheng firmly stomps her heel against the pavement. Striking a seductive pose, she vows to use her insider knowledge as his ex-girlfriend to win him back, causing her favorability rating to tick up by 4%. System notifications suddenly pop up in Lin Xin's view, revealing Lu Cheng's favorability hit 90%, completing a counterattack milestone and adding 80,000 yuan to his bank account. Another system prompt awards him a level 3 stat upgrade, boosting his strength, agility, physical endurance, and intelligence all at once. The system then presents him with a limited time choice between 3 bonus skills: running mastery, swimming mastery, or dancing proficiency. Choosing swimming mastery, Lin Xin instantly feels a flood of expert aquatic knowledge enter his brain while his upper body muscles visibly strengthen. High above the campus, someone peers through a pair of binoculars, keeping a close eye on the red Ferrari parked below. The observer turns out to be a sharp-looking student council chairman standing by a high-rise glass window. His secretary approaches from behind, informing the chairman that all the student representatives are gathered and ready for the meeting. Inside the conference room, board members gossip about the recent drama involving Lin Xin, Lu Cheng, Yaxi, and the mystery girl in the supercar. Hearing Lin Xin's name again, the chairman grits his teeth in deep envy and resentment. Addressing the room, the chairman sternly calls out the recent chaotic love triangle and high-speed campus driving for ruining the university's reputation. He questions Representative Zhou from the literature department, who nervously confirms that the male student causing all the trouble is indeed Lin Xin. Zhou promises to immediately issue a harsh disciplinary punishment against Lin Xin to maintain the student council's strict standards. Smirking slyly, the chairman instructs Zhou to frame the punishment as a chance for Lin Xin to repent, ordering him to execute the plan right away. The next afternoon, Lin Xin finds himself forced to clean the school's massive outdoor swimming pool alongside a fellow male classmate as punishment. His friend complains about the harsh penalty, but our MC casually brushes it off, admitting that speeding on campus was indeed a rule violation. Looking over at the pool, Lin Xin mentally admits the punishment isn't bad at all as he admires the crowd of attractive girls in swimsuits. Among them, a beautiful pink-haired girl named Xiaoyu splashes water playfully while her friend compliments her stunning figure. Her friend points out a male admirer staring at her, but Xiaoyu dismisses him, stating she has extremely high standards for the guy she dates. Xiaoyu declares that any potential boyfriend must be able to swim faster than her, which her friend calls impossible since Xiaoyu is a state-level swimmer. Her friend then points out Lin Xin mopping by the poolside, noting that he's currently the most popular topic among the students. Diving gracefully beneath the water, Xiaoyu glances up at Lin Xin and dismisses him as just another boring guy. Underwater, Xiaoyu suddenly feels a sharp muscle cramp in her leg, panicking in confusion since she made sure to stretch before jumping in. High above the surface, her oblivious friends mistake her desperate flailing for another impressive display of her advanced diving techniques. As her lungs burn for air, Xiaoyu sinks deeper into the pool, hopelessly reaching her hand upward as water fills her mouth. From the poolside, Lin Xin immediately notices the abnormal splashing and realizes that the pink-haired swimmer is drowning. Without a second thought, our MC leaps off the edge and executes a flawless dive straight into the deep water. Activated by his new swimming mastery skill, Lin Xin cuts through the water like a human torpedo with unbelievable speed. Reaching her in a split second, he securely wraps his arm around Xiaoyu's waist and scoops her up from the bottom. As she frantically struggles in panic, Lin Xin firmly tells her to calm down and take a deep breath as he breaks the surface. Supporting her weight effortlessly with just one arm, Lin Xin powers toward the pool edge so quickly that Xiaoyu is left completely speechless. Pressed snugly against his broad chest, Xiaoyu's face turns beet red as she realizes this is the closest she's ever been to a boy. Reaching the side, Lin Xin carefully lifts her out of the water and onto the deck while both of them catch their breath. Standing up, our MC casually pulls up his damp shirt to wipe his face, casually telling her to be more careful next time while flexing his shredded abs. Her friends finally realize what happened and rush over in a panic, surrounding the dripping Xiaoyu to make sure she's unhurt. As Lin Xin walks away, the surrounding girls chatter excitedly, showing off viral video clips they recorded of the handsome hero swimming like a lightning bolt. Her friend notes that despite his bad reputation, Lin Xin saved her life and matches her high standard of being an insanely fast swimmer. Looking over at Xiaoyu, her friend playfully points out how her face is burning red, making her clutch her chest in embarrassment. Watching from across the pool, the jealous Yang Li fumes in pure anger as he sees Xiaoyu falling for another man. Within hours, news of the heroic rescue explodes all over campus social media, with students marveling at Lin Xin's world record speed. In his office, the student council chairman Wei Zhengtang angrily slams his desk, cursing Lin Xin's name as he stares at the viral post. Gripping a marker until his knuckles turn white, the corrupt chairman vows to personally ruin Lin Xin at the upcoming event. A few days later, the grand campus dance party hosted by the student council begins, with everyone gossiping about the famous love triangle surrounding Lin Xin. The crowd gasps as Lu Cheng in a dark blue gown and Luo Yaxi in a sleek white dress walk into the ballroom side by side like stunning runway models. Yaxi softly taunts her rival, mocking Lu Cheng's outfit and confidently asserting that Lin Xin will choose her tonight. But Lu Cheng smirks back with absolute confidence, warning Yaxi to enjoy the evening while she can because everything will change after tonight. Watching Lu Cheng strut past, Yaxi narrows her eyes, nervously wondering what dirty scheme her rival is plotting. While Yaxi plans to prepare drinks to seduce Lin Xin, Lu Cheng innerly mocks her rival for thinking sweet gentleness can control a man. Confident in her feminine charm, Lu Cheng believes men are creatures of primal instinct who can't resist a bolder approach. Before putting her plan into motion, Lu Cheng spots Xiaoyu dressed casually nearby, nervously waiting around to thank Lin Xin for saving her life. Sipping her soda, Xiaoyu blushes as she remembers how heroically Lin Xin rescued her from drowning in the pool. Suddenly, a dark shadow looms over her as Lu Cheng creeps up behind the girl, viewing her as just another opportunistic rival. Getting right into Xiaoyu's personal space, Lu Cheng aggressively introduces herself as Lin Xin's girlfriend. As Xiaoyu gasps in shock, Lu Cheng fabricates a story, claiming Lin Xin only saved her because he's an overly enthusiastic guy who loves helping people. She arrogantly brags that Lin Xin begged her for 3 years before she agreed to date him, boasting about how deeply in love they currently are. Leaning down, Lu Cheng sternly informs the intimidated girl that there is no need for her to ever thank Lin Xin again. Pushing Xiaoyu back against the wall, Lu Cheng aggressively warns her to stay away because Lin Xin is far too busy dating her. With a terrifying, dark glare, Lu Cheng coldly asks the trembling swimmer if she clearly understands her warning. Terrified by the scary encounter, Xiaoyu stammers out an apology and frantically runs away through the crowd in tears. Smirking arrogantly over her victory, Lu Cheng's ruthless territorial display causes her favorability toward Lin Xin to creep up by another 1%. Back in his dorm room, Lin Xin is gaming when a system window pops up, leaving him flabbergasted that Lu Cheng's favorability somehow hit 91%. His suited classmate enters and asks why he isn't ready for the dance, prompting Lin Xin to complain about the student council assigning his class trash cleanup duty. His classmate warns him that the council targeted him on purpose, confirming Lin Xin must have provoked someone high up recently. Dressed in a sharp black suit, Lin Xin steps outside, immediately identifying the corrupt student council president, Wei Zhengtang, as the mastermind. His phone buzzes with a text from his squad leader, claiming the president wants him at the dance immediately for a special public awards ceremony. Realizing the ceremony is just a cheap trap to embarrass him, Lin Xin smirks in his suit, fully prepared to take down the corrupt president tonight. As our MC walks up the stairs, the jealous Yang Li hides in the shadows holding a heavy brick, blaming Lin Xin for stealing his chance to be Xiaoyu's hero. Clutching the brick, the bitter stalker vows to knock Lin Xin out from behind and break both of his legs. Yang Li leaps out of the darkness with a wild scream, swinging the heavy brick directly at the back of Lin Xin's head. Thanks to his enhanced reflexes, Lin Xin effortlessly steps the sneak attack, leaving a blurred afterimage in his place. Swinging into empty air, Yang Li loses his balance and stumbles forward in complete shock. In one swift, fluid motion, our MC grabs the attacker and slams him face first onto the concrete ground. Looking down at the defeated attacker, Lin Xin recognizes him as the classmate of the girl he rescued from the swimming pool yesterday. Lin Xin asks why he launched a sneak attack, but Yang Li bitterly accuses our MC of stealing both the fame and the girl he loves. Flying into a rage, Yang Li screams that Xiaoyu ignored him for years but blushed for Lin Xin, spouting disgusting threats about forcing himself on her. Before the creep can say another filthy word, Lin Xin brutally stomps his shoe right onto Yang Li's face to shut him up for good. Cleaning his ear, our MC casually walks away, stating that human garbage like Yang Li belongs right next to the dumpster. Inside the Grand University Ballroom, the lively school dance party is already in full swing. Turning around, Lu Yaxi gasps as she spots Lin Xin making his entrance in a tailored black suit. Yaxi excitedly greets him, and Lin Xin apologizes for being late, mentioning he heard a dramatic show was about to start tonight. Offering her his hand, Lin Xin takes Yaxi onto the dance floor, dipping her smoothly into a romantic dance. As Yaxi wraps her arms around his neck and Lin Xin mentally notes how much his enhanced attributes improve his physical coordination. The surrounding crowd watches in complete fascination as the couple performs flawless, high-level ballroom moves across the floor. When another girl tries to cut in, Yaxi quickly defends her spot, telling the senior student to take a rest while she continues dancing with Lin Xin. Soon, a swarm of female students circles around Lin Xin begging for a dance, sending nearby male students into a fit of extreme jealousy. Bitter guys in the crowd grumble amongst themselves, questioning why the student council president plans to reward a former dog licker like Lin Xin. Right on cue, President Wei Zhengtang walks over holding 2 canned drinks, pretending to be a generous and supportive leader. Addressing Lin Xin directly, the president praises his heroism and offers a toast on behalf of the entire student council. Lin Xin stares down at the offered drink in silence, instantly sensing that something fishy is going on. The surrounding crowd begins whispering pressure, accusing Lin Xin of being rude for hesitating to accept the president's polite toast. Smirking, Lin Xin accepts the challenge, declaring he wouldn't dare refuse a drink personally brought by the student council president. He chugs the drink in one gulp while Wei Zhengtang watches with a hidden, gleeful grin, waiting for his trap to spring. While female students cheer at his cool gesture, Yaxi looks concerned, asking Lin Xin if he's feeling alright after downing the beverage. Evil delight fills Wei Zhengtang's eyes, thrilled that the arrogant security guard fell straight into his sinister plot. The president gestures for Lin Xin to follow him away from the crowd, claiming they need to discuss important student council business in private. He leads him down a quiet hallway and into the empty, darkened student council meeting room. Stepping inside, Lin Xin's eyes widen in surprise as he notices someone lying on the couch in the dark. It turns out to be Xiaoyu, who is unconscious and squirming on the sofa with a heavily flushed face and labored breathing. Kneeling down to check her temperature, Lin Xin notices she has a high fever, but suddenly feels a wave of intense dizziness wash over his own mind. As the potent drug takes effect, Lin Xin loses his balance and collapses directly onto Xiaoyu's body. Watching through the dark, Wei Zhengtang smirks at the hidden security camera, delighted to capture damning footage that will destroy Lin Xin's reputation forever. Locking the heavy door from the outside, the corrupt president chuckles maliciously, convinced that Lin Xin is completely ruined this time. Back in the main hall, students murmur in confusion, wondering why the promised award presentation hasn't started yet. Taking the stage with a microphone, Wei Zhengtang calms the audience down, inwardly gloating that his powerful aphrodisiac drug has taken full effect by now. He announces in the mic that Lin Xin will address the school via a special video feed on the projector screen, directing everyone's attention upward. The entire audience turns toward the massive screen, eagerly waiting to see what message will be displayed. Shocking video footage appears on screen showing a man intimately tangled on the couch with a pink-haired girl, making Yaxi gasp in sheer horror. Acting fake horrified, Wei Zhengtang points at the screen while students scream out in shock at Lin Xin's apparent scandalous behavior. The corrupt president dramatically shouts through the microphone, pretending to condemn Lin Xin while inciting the crowd to storm the meeting room. Influenced by the footage, the audience erupts into outrage, hurling insults and labeling Lin Xin as a fake hero and corrupt scumbag. Enraged male students chant in unison, demanding justice and declaring that Yanjing University cannot tolerate such a disgusting person. Feigning deep sorrow, Wei Zhengtang covers his face, publicly expressing how deeply disappointed he is by Lin Xin's actions. The furious crowd raises their fists in the air, loudly chanting for the university to expel Lin Xin immediately. Under his hand, Wei Zhengtang flashes a terrifying dark grin, savoring the absolute success of his scheme. Standing on stage with open arms, the president revels in the power of manipulating the masses, thrilled by the sensation of crushing his rival. Suddenly, a heavy footstep echoes across the stage as a calm voice asks if something exciting was missed, freezing Wei Zhengtang in his tracks. The president's eyes bulge in pure shock and horror as he turns around to face the speaker. Dressed in his pristine suit, Lin Xin casually walks out onto the stage, coolly asking why the crowd is making such a massive fuss about expelling someone. Seeing him completely fine, Lin Xin mocks the president for looking at him like he just saw a ghost, leaving the audience utterly bewildered. Sweating in sheer panic, the president stammers out, desperately asking how Lin Xin is standing here, and who is actually in the broadcast. Smirking knowingly, Lin Xin points up at the display, sarcastically asking if this whole presentation wasn't set up by the president himself. The live camera feed on the projector screen finally focuses, exposing the man in the video as Yang Li rather than Lin Xin, turning the entire room upside down. On the big screen, the video reveals Yan Li kissing a plastic mannequin wearing a wig while muttering creepy threats, leaving the entire audience in utter confusion. A flashback to 10 minutes earlier reveals how Lin Xin managed to completely outsmart the student council president's scheme. After drinking the laced beverage, Lin Xin's level 3 passive detoxification skill immediately activated, completely purging the love potion from his system. Standing up unaffected in the dark meeting room, our MC instantly analyzed the setup, spotting the comatose girl, hidden cameras, and locked doors. Scooping up Xiaoyu in a bridal carry, Lin Xin uses enhanced level 3 strength to kick open the heavy locked door with a single strike. He gently placed the heavily drugged Xiaoyu inside the women's bathroom to ensure she remained safe and hidden from the president's cronies. Returning to the room, Lin Xin watched as the intoxicated Yang Li crept inside from the hallway, desperately searching for Xiaoyu in a daze. Deciding not to let the president's elaborate trap go to waste, Lin Xin prepared a substitute actor to take his place on camera. Grabbing a mannequin in a pink wig from the nearby dressing room, Lin Xin placed it in Yang Li's arms, letting the delusional creep embrace the dummy. Striking a cool pose, our MC smirked in satisfaction, ready to head out and begin his grand counterattack. Back in the present, Lin Xin mockingly points out to the audience that Yang Li was put on display with a plastic doll, leaving Wei Zhengtang pale with horror. Refusing to accept his plan's failure, the frantic president screams into the mech, insisting he personally saw Lin Xin fall onto the girl. Lin Xin steps up close with a razor-sharp smirk, mocking the president and forcing him to slap a hand over his own mouth. The surrounding crowd gasps in sheer shock, suddenly realizing the president accidentally exposed his own insider knowledge. Towering over the trembling president, Lin Xin coolly demands to know how he could possibly know what happened inside a locked private room. Lin Xin presses him further, aggressively asking why he's suddenly speechless after getting caught red-handed. Suddenly, Teacher Sun, the oldest and strictest faculty member from the literature department, angrily marches onto the stage. Pointing an accusatory finger, Teacher Sun berates Lin Xin for questioning the student council president and labels him an unreasonable troublemaker. Unfazed by the corrupt faculty member, Lin Xin crosses his arms, sarcastically asking how the president plans to explain his shady claims. Teacher Sun screams directly in Lin Xin's face, defending the president's hard work and aggressively demanding that our MC be disciplined to protect the school's image. Watching from the sidelines, the president's student council lackeys smirk, confident that the biased teacher will crush Lin Xin. The lackeys incite the crowd, shouting that simple discipline is enough and demanding that Lin Xin be expelled immediately. Influenced by the corrupt faculty, the mob raises their fists and chants in unison for Lin Xin to be kicked out of the university. Liu Yaxi steps forward furiously, shouting at the crowd that the president is clearly hiding something, but her voice gets drowned out by the angry mob. Behind Lin Xin, Wei Zhengtang sneers evilly, gloating that Teacher Sun is his pawn and that no student can win against his absolute authority. Claiming Lin Xin is trying to run away, the president orders his student council enforcement team to restrain him by force. Two enforcers grab Lin Xin's arms, but our MC stands like an immovable mountain, not budging even a single millimeter. Seeing his guards hold him, Wei Zhengtang charges forward with a raised fist, thrilled at the chance to personally beat Lin Xin up. But before the punch can land, Lin Xin's hand shoots out like lightning, clamping tightly around the president's jaw. Lifting the president off his feet by his face with one hand, while holding off the guards with the other, Lin Xin coolly announces that the main event is starting. Panicking, Teacher Sun frantically orders the campus security guards to rush in with batons and beat Lin Xin down. A guard leaps up from behind with a raised nightstick, aiming a heavy blow directly at the back of Lin Xin's head. Before the baton can strike, a booming, authoritative voice commands everyone to stop, freezing the entire stage mid-fight. The crowd gasps as the university director arrives in the hall, flanked by official aides and leaning on his walking cane. As Lin Xin drops the president onto the floor, Teacher Sun nervously greets the director, wondering why he made a sudden appearance. The director huffs in anger, sternly stating that if he hadn't arrived, this whole situation would have spiraled completely out of control. Try to cover his tracks, Teacher Sun points at Lin Xin, lying to the director that they were merely detaining a student who caused a massive scandal. Enraged by the blatant lie, the director roars in fury and forcefully smacks Teacher Sun across the face with his heavy wooden cane. As the corrupt teacher clutches his bruised face, the director shouts that greedy, bribe-taking staff like him are the true disgrace to the university. A panicked Wei Zhengtang crawls over, desperately trying to blame Lin Xin and claiming Teacher Sun was just trying to help him. Turning to the audience, the director officially announces that Teacher Sun accepted bribes from Wei Zhengtang, declaring both of them immediately expelled and fired. Placing a hand on Lin Xin's shoulder, the director praises our MC as an outstanding student who helped expose the corrupt roots plaguing their campus. Cast out in disgrace, Wei Zhengtang and Teacher Sun collapse onto their knees as their entire world comes crashing down around them. The surrounding students stand in utter disbelief, horrified to realize they were manipulated by the very leaders they trusted. Lin Xin then plays a hidden recording on the projector screen from 40 minutes ago, showing the president boasting as he slipped sleeping pills into a drink. The broadcast plays the president's arrogant voice, exposing how he viewed the entire student body as brainless underlings to be manipulated. Watching the undeniable video evidence, the audience erupts into pure fury against the corrupt former president. The enraged mob pelts the stage with drinks and garbage, screaming for police intervention and demanding punishment for the two-faced traitor. Covered in trash on the floor, Wei Zhengtang breaks down in tears of despair, hopelessly blaming Lin Xin for destroying his life. Driven completely insane by rage, the ruined former president pulls out a concealed knife and lunges at Lin Xin from behind with murder in his eyes. Without giving President Wei a single second to react, Lin Xin kicks him straight off the stage in front of the entire crowd. Looking down at the fallen former president with a smirk, our MC casually tells President Wei to go enjoy his long overdue beating. Wei lands flat on his back right in the middle of the floor, leaving the surrounding students completely stunned for a brief moment. Having suffered under his abuse for far too long, the angry crowd instantly pounces on Wei, tearing his clothes apart while he screams for help. Beaten half to death and left in rags on the floor, the students declare that Wei isn't fit to be president and demand he be sent to prison. With the villain finally dealt with, attention shifts back to the stage, where someone points out that the student council urgently needs a new president. Impressed by how bravely Lin Xin handled the situation, the principal places a hand on his shoulder and personally offers him the position. Hearing that the principal personally recommended Lin Xin, the audience erupts into wild cheers, fully supporting him taking over the student council. Lin Xin thanks the principal for the honor, but quickly gives credit to Zheng Hao and Mr. Feng for uncovering the plot and warning everyone in time. He insists the title belongs to Zheng Hao, who was previously suppressed by Wei, adding with a grin that he has zero interest in doing administrative work anyway. The crowd goes absolutely wild over his humble refusal, with girls screaming in admiration and declaring him the coolest guy in school. Watching him dominate the spotlight from afar, the gorgeous blonde woman blushes softly, feeling proud that such an incredible man is hers. As the principal officially invites everyone to continue the dance party, Lin Xin quietly slips away to check if Xiaoyu has woken up. He finds Xiaoyu resting completely unconscious inside a private stall, still heavily affected by the drug Wei gave her. Try to wake her up, Lin Xin gently holds her and uses an antidote spray, wondering just how much dosage the villains gave her. But right in the middle of treating her, Lin Xin suddenly catches a sweet, unusual aroma drifting through the air. Before he can react, the strange fragrance overpowers his senses, causing him to collapse into Xiaoyu's lap as a woman giggles behind him. Suddenly, a pair of delicate hands roughly grabs Lin Xin by his shirt collar and pulls his dazed body back up. It turns out to be the blonde beauty, who straddles his lap inside the tight stall and tears her own dress to move more freely. Pressing her face dangerously close to his, she locks eyes with our immobilized MC and passionately declares that he belongs only to her. She aggressively pulls Lin Xin into a passionate kiss, completely ignoring the unconscious Xiaoyu sitting right beside them. Grabbing Xiaoyu by the chin, the crazy woman mockingly tells her to wake up and watch, declaring that Lin Xin belongs to her alone. She then turns back to our MC, breathing heavily as she obsessively confesses that she simply cannot live without him anymore. Under the heavy influence of the drug, Lin Xin's breath turns ragged as he firmly grips her shoulder, surprising the woman. His primal instincts begin taking over his mind, making him fight wildly against the urge to lose control right then and there. The woman gasped in overwhelming excitement as Lin Xin suddenly dominates the position, caught off guard by his raw intensity. But just before things cross the line, Lin Xin suddenly snaps back to his senses as his mind instantly clears up. Looking down, he finds both women passed out cold on the stall floor, leaving him completely bewildered by the chaotic situation. Examining the blonde woman, Lin Xin recognizes her as Lu Chen and spots an empty drug bottle lying right beside her head. Before he can figure out what to do next, his phone suddenly starts ringing loudly inside his suit pocket. Checking his screen, he sees group chat notifications showing photos of himself and others boasting about their connection to Mr. Chuen. Lin Xin angrily scratches his head, realizing his passive ability neutralized the poison just in time, leaving him furious at Lu Chen's crazy scheme. Answering the call, a wealthy acquaintance greets him warmly and mentions seeing others brag about helping him out earlier that night. The caller reminds him about an exclusive private yacht party happening tomorrow night along the Tamkang River and strongly invites him to attend. Feeling annoyed by everything that happened in the bathroom, Lin Xin agrees to join the boat trip just to blow off some steam. A short while later, Lin Xin meets up with his friends, clinking canned beers together to kick off their late night outing. The group happily walks down the street, enjoying fresh air and cold drinks while celebrating Zheng Hao taking over as student council president. Thanks to his enhanced physical stats, Lin Xin remains completely sober, but his sharp hearing suddenly catches a woman screaming for help nearby. While his intoxicated friends stagger toward the nearby public restrooms, Lin Xin turns his attention toward the origin of the distress call. Glancing into the nearby trees, he spots a group of sketchy men surrounding a helpless woman and harassing her in the dark. The woman desperately pleads with them to stop and let her go, but the men aggressively tell her to take responsibility for teasing them. She insists that they are only allowed to look at her, but the creepy guy chuckles and admits he likes her feisty attitude even more. Unable to restrain himself any longer, one of the thugs violently lunges forward to grab her, declaring he's going to take what he wants right now. Lin Xin steps up right behind them with his arms crossed, casually asking if they really need to force themselves on someone who clearly said no. The woman and the thugs turn around in utter shock, completely caught off guard that someone actually had the nerve to interrupt them. The thugs aggressively surround our MC, laughing and warning not to play the hero, but Lin Xin calmly asks what they plan to do if he refuses to leave. Infuriated by his calm attitude, the thugs throw heavy punches right at his head, shouting at the arrogant kid to go to hell. Seeing them swing at him, the woman anxiously reaches out her hand to warn him, terrified that the young man is about to get beaten up. But without even flinching, Lin Xin instantly counters, landing two brutal fists directly into the faces of his attackers at the same time. Both attackers slam onto the grass completely knocked out, leaving the remaining thugs staring in absolute terror at the MC's insane strength. Grabbing the last two thugs by the hair, Lin Xin violently slams their heads together in mid-air. Both men crash face first onto the grass completely knocked out cold. Lin Xin stands tall over the unconscious thugs while the woman in purple rubs her sore arm in pain. Shocked by his sheer power, the woman scolds him for taking such a dangerous risk, just as the system suddenly alerts Lin Xin that a high-level target has been detected. A system panel pops up revealing her identity as 24-year-old Shen Odong, along with a counterattack mission promising massive rewards once her favorability reaches 90%. Looking at her innocent appearance, Lin Xin is surprised to trigger a mission, but inwardly assumes she must be working an illicit job given the situation. Walking away casually, our MC advises her to quit this line of work and find an honest job to live freely, leaving her completely bewildered. Left alone on the ground, Shen Odong angrily fumes to herself about how this stranger almost ruined her covered operation while one of her suspects groans for help. Without hesitation, she stumps her high heel directly into the criminal's face to shut him up. Standing over the suspect with her heel on his jaw, team leader Shen contacts her squad via comms to report the suspect is secured and orders everyone back to headquarters. The next evening, a luxurious multi-deck yacht sits glowing on the water as a speedboat approaches it. Lin Xin boards the luxury vessel while his wealthy friend excuses himself to handle business on another boat, promising to catch up later. Inside the yacht, a wild and opulent party is in full swing, packed with wealthy guests and bikini-clad women. As Lin Xin admires the lively venue, team leader Shen is undercover nearby dressed as a rabbit waitress, reporting to her squad that she has her target locked down. Spotting her carrying a tray of drinks, Lin Xin approaches and casually asks if the champagne is free. The moment she turns around, Lin Xin recognizes her immediately, leaving Shen Odong completely shocked to see him on the ship. Our MC praises her for finding a respectable waitress job, while she politely welcomes him outwardly while inwardly praying he doesn't mess up her mission again. Before they can say more, a wealthy, obnoxious man named Boss Jin calls out demanding service. Staying in character, Shen Odong approaches Boss Jin's table and politely offers him champagne. The scantily clad women surrounding Boss Jin tease her, encouraging the new waitress to play along with the powerful billionaire. The surrounding wealthy guests laugh and toast to Boss Jin, admiring his decadent lifestyle. Wanting to try someone fresh and innocent, Boss Jin aggressively throws a stack of cash into Shen Odong's face and orders her to come over. Creepily licking his lips, the arrogant rich man commands her to sit down and entertain him. Shen Odong clenches her fists and suppresses her fury, reminding herself that she has to stay silent for the sake of her undercover mission. Seeing this, Lin Xin immediately steps in front of Boss Jin, pointing a finger and declaring that special legal services aren't provided here. Boss Jin explodes in rage, furious that a simple waiter dares to stand up and lecture him. Lin Xin casually clarifies that he isn't a waiter and claims he was personally invited by the ship's captain. The arrogant crowd sneers at his plain attire, demanding he show an official invitation letter if he's truly a guest. Popping a grape into his mouth, Lin Xin calmly explains that he doesn't carry an invitation letter since the captain invited him directly. The wealthy guests burst out laughing, calling him a shameless liar who snuck onto the $100,000 ticket ship and demanding he be thrown off. Boss Jin threatens to break his legs and throw him into the ocean unless he kneels, while also demanding the waitress kneel and apologize. Several large bodyguards surround Lin Xin and Shen Odong, preparing to teach the youngster a harsh lesson about the rich man's world. Shen Odong panics internally, knowing she will blow her operation if she acts, but worrying Lin Xin won't survive against so many men. With a confident smirk, Lin Xin pulls out his phone and remarks that money seems to be the only rule here, offering to call the owner directly. Boss Jin and his companions watch in disbelief as the young man actually makes the call. However, as the call dials across the lounge, the line returns an automated busy signal. The entire crowd bursts into hilarious laughter at his expense, while Lin Xin awkwardly excuses that the boss must be in a meeting. Mocking him relentlessly, Boss Jin dares him to buy the entire ship if he's so rich, promising to kneel to him if he actually pulls it off. Lin Xin simply smiles slyly and agrees to take him up on that offer. Our MC orders a nearby waitress to bring the ship's acting captain over, while Boss Jin laughs along, eager to watch the beggar embarrass himself further. A uniformed captain named Xiao Zhang quickly arrives and respectfully greets Boss Jin. Boss Jin mockingly tells Captain Xiao Zhang that this youngster wants to buy the ship, but the captain chuckles that the vessel is far too expensive for anyone to buy easily. Glancing at Lin Xin's casual outfit, Captain Xiao Zhang openly doubts that he has the funds to make such a purchase. Without wasting any time, Lin Xin pulls out an exquisite, glowing golden bank card and tells him to state the price. The surrounding guests recognize it as an upgraded black card from Dragon Bank, though some snicker that it must be a fake. Fearing he is making things worse, Shen Odong grabs his arm and begs him to stop embarrassing himself for her sake. Turning back with a warm and reassuring smile, Lin Xin calmly tells her that everything is fine. Moved by his unshakable composure, Shen Odong's heart skips a beat as her favorability toward him increases by 5%. Seeing the card, Captain Xiao Zhang presents the payment terminal and states that the ship costs 700 million, plus an urgent fee bringing the total to 800 million. Boss Jin mocks him to swipe the card immediately, boasting he'll swim home if the payment goes through, while the captain holds out the machine demanding proof or immediate expulsion. When handed the paperwork, Lin Xin bluntly refuses to sign, causing the mocking crowd to sneer that his rich act is finally falling apart. But before anyone can mock him further, he puts his arm around Shen Odong and declares that she will be the one signing the contract. The surrounding crowd drops their jaws in utter disbelief at his ridiculous statement. Lin Xin smiles warmly at the stunned woman, casually announcing that he will pay for the ship and register the entire $800 million boat under her name. Leaning close to her ear, he asks for her name, causing a heavily blushing Shen Odong to quietly introduce herself. The card reader chimes with a successful $800 million transaction, officially confirming the luxury yacht as a personal gift to Shen Odong. The entire lounge erupts into chaotic shock over his terrifying financial power, with Boss Jin choking on his drink in absolute terror. Captain Xiao Zhang and the entire ship's crew immediately bow down to Miss Shen, pledging to serve her as their new owner. Lin Xin approaches Boss Jin and the women, reminding them of their earlier claim that the waitresses now belong to him, causing the women to instantly cling to our rich MC. Seeing the tables turn, the opportunistic crowd immediately turns on Boss Jin to flatter Lin Xin, while Shen Aodong stands in the background completely baffled by who he really is. Feeling humiliated, Boss Jin approaches Boss Han, promising to hand over all his Myanmar business operations if Han Biao helps him get revenge on Lin Xin. Boss Han grins evilly, eager to sink his teeth into such a wealthy target and take full advantage of the situation. Walking over to the main room, Boss Han loudly remarks on how much bravado the young master possesses. Han Biao introduces himself as the leader of the Black Tiger Gang, while Shen Aodong instantly recognizes him as the high-profile criminal her department has been targeting. Remembering his dossier, she knows Han Biao runs illegal casinos and smuggling rings across Southeast Asia, making him the primary target of her secret operation tonight. Han Biao invites Lin Xin to join him for a few rounds of gambling, but our MC casually declines, stating he dislikes illegal gambling. Han Biao mockingly questions if someone who spent 800 million is suddenly scared, taunting him that he might have spent his entire life savings on the ship. He aggressively gets into Lin Xin's face, provoking him by asking if having money makes him a coward. Hearing the provocation, Lin Xin's eyes sharpen as a subtle smile forms on his face. As Boss Jin joins in the mockery, Lin Xin calmly changes his mind and agrees to play a few games with them. Shen Aodong pulls him aside, desperately warning him that Han Biao is a master cheater who will easily drain billions from him. But instead of being worried, Lin Xin's eyes sparkle with excitement at the thought of losing billions of dollars. To everyone's delight, Lin Xin calls back out to Boss Han and eagerly announces that he's ready to jump right into the game. He wraps his arm around Shen Aodong, playfully insisting she draw the cards for him and promising that all the potential winnings will belong to her. While Shen Aodong frantically shakes him to stop this madness, Lin Xin secretly rejoices over his system's cash, back perks that profit him whenever he loses counterattack money. Taking their seats at the VIP table, Han Biao and the dealer suggest playing a simple game of blackjack to keep things easy for the young master. Shen Aodong sits beside him, forcing herself to play along to protect her undercover identity, while the crowd whispers that Lin Xin is an easily manipulated rich kid. The seductive purple-haired dealer begins dealing the cards as Han Biao watches with a predatory grin. Han Biao smugly asks if Master Lin wants to raise the stakes right from the start. Without hesitation, Lin Xin carelessly shoves a massive stack of chips into the center, going all in on the very first hand. As expected, Han Biao wins the hand easily, but Lin Xin just grins and nonchalantly brushes off the loss. Raking in the pile, Han Biao gleefully encourages the young master to keep playing. Lin Xin casually ups the ante to 200 million for the next round, asking the dealer to exchange 2 billion worth of chips for him. The surrounding onlookers gasp in shock, stunned by how recklessly he throws around hundreds of millions. Han Biao claps his hands in utter joy, thrilled that this knave rich kid is about to fund his entire smuggling business. Over the next several rounds, Han Biao wins every single hand, quickly draining hundreds of millions from Lin Xin up to a full billion. Just as Lin Xin excitedly prepares to bet even more, Shen Aodong suddenly grabs his collar and physically drags him away from the table. The crowd chuckles at the sight, making crude jokes that the proactive bunny waitress is taking him away for a private session. Dragging him into a quiet corridor, Shen Aodong forcefully slams Lin Xin against the wall, asking if he has completely lost his mind. She angrily scolds him for blindly doubling his bets on a rigged table, causing her system favorability rating toward him to drop by 3%. Flustered by being pinned against the wall by a beauty, Lin Xin blushes softly and tells her not to get so worked up over a minor loss. Shen Aodong stammers that she isn't excited, internally panicking that her emotional outburst almost blew her secret agent disguise. When Lin Xin innocently asks if Han Biao is using movie-style card-rubbing tricks, she facepalms and explains that real-world cheating is far more advanced. She breaks down the rigged setup, explaining how hidden electromagnetic sensors under the table feed card data to the dealer, who signals Han Biao through a hidden headset. Hearing her detailed breakdown of the rigged table, Lin Xin nods in agreement and agrees that gambling is truly a dangerous habit. But then he smirks and grabs her waist, confidently declaring that since they know how the cheat works, he's going to teach the criminals a lesson. Striding back in the casino lounge, Lin Xin loudly demands to inspect the gambling table for full play. Han Biao and Boss Jin grin mockingly, happily agreeing to let him inspect whatever he wants just to crush his spirit completely. The crowd whispers amongst themselves, believing Lin Xin has lost all his money and is desperately searching for excuses. The attractive dealer temptingly offers to let him inspect the table or even her clothes, but Lin Xin calmly steps up to examine the electronic table first. Placing his hand on the table, Lin Xin quietly uses his level 3 strength to destroy the hidden sensors underneath. He pulls his hand back and scratches his head, feigning innocence by claiming he found no issues with the table. Spreading his hands, our MC tauntingly remarks that playing against Han Biao gets more boring by the second. Lin Xin openly mocks Han Biao in front of everyone, calling him stingy for only betting small amounts despite all his previous wins. The surrounding crowd agrees with Lin Xin, whispering among themselves that Han Biao looks remarkably cheap compared to the young master. Provoked by the insults, Han Biao snaps and aggressively shoves a massive stack of $1 billion worth of chips into the pot. The purple-haired dealer quickly deals out the cards for the massive $1 billion round. She secretly presses her fingers against the hidden table button, but to her surprise, the cheat system fails to trigger. Noticing the signal missing, Hanbiao glares at the dealer in total confusion and alarm. Lin Xin casually waves his hand, urging her to hurry up so he can win his money back. Sweating nervously, the dealer whispers to Hanbiao that the table's sensors have suddenly stopped working. Left with no choice, Hanbiao forces a confident grin and proceeds, believing the young master won't get lucky anyway. But when the cards are flipped, Lin Xin secures the winning hand, smugly giving a middle finger gesture as he takes the victory. The entire room gasps in disbelief, amazed that Lin Xin managed to win back every single penny he previously lost in one fell swoop. Outraged by the sudden defeat, Hanbiao violently slams his fist onto the table and glares at Lin Xin. Lin Xin calmly smirks back, mocking Hanbiao for losing his temper the moment he suffers a single defeat. Enraged, Hanbiao aggressively points at Shen Aodong, falsely accusing the bunny waitress of being an expert cheater brought in by Lin Xin. As the crowd whispers in doubt, Shen Aodong firmly defends herself and challenges anyone to review the security footage. Refusing to listen, Hanbiao suddenly pulls out a sharp hunting knife and slams it deep into the gaming table. Drawing a handgun with his other hand, he points it directly at Lin Xin's head, demanding he cut off a finger and surrender all the cash. Unfazed by the gun pressed against his head, Lin Xin smirks and wonders out loud whether his trained hand speed is faster than a bullet. Shen Aodong panics internally, warning him not to provoke a dangerous gangster who won't hesitate to kill. In a flash of blinding motion, loud impact sounds echo throughout the VIP room. Before anyone can comprehend what happened, Hanbiao lies face down on the floor bleeding while Lin Xin sits back calmly. Shen Aodong stares in total shock, her sharp eyes having barely caught his god-like movements. She realizes Lin Xin flicked a poker chip to alter the bullet's trajectory right as the gun was fired. In that exact split second, he delivered 3 lightning-fast punches that knocked the crime boss unconscious before anyone could react. Seeing his ally defeated, Boss Jin panics and screams for the ship's security to arrest Lin Xin for cheating and assault. 2 heavy security guards instantly rush forward, but instead grab Boss Jin and force him onto his knees. Lin Xin stands over him, reminding Boss Jin that as the new owner of the yacht, the security guards follow his orders alone. He then kicks Hanbiao's body over, exposing 2 extra cards hidden in his shirt to prove that Hanbiao was the real cheater. Baffled by the scene, Shen Aodong asks Lin Xin how he knew Hanbiao cheated when the sensors were broken. Leaning close to her ear, Lin Xin whispers that he broke the sensors himself, won by pure luck, and secretly planted those extra cards on Hanbiao while knocking him out. Amused by his clever scheme, Shen Aodong giggles warmly as her system favorability toward him surges by 15%. Suddenly, the lounge doors burst open as Mr. Chuan, the wealthy boat owner, rushes inside sweating profusely. Miss Chuan bypasses everyone and frantically checks on Lin Xin, desperately asking if he was harmed by any stray bullets. The crowd gasps in astonishment upon hearing the famous Mr. Chuan address Lin Xin as the legendary Mr. Chuan, while Shen Aodong quietly signals her squad. Mr. Chuan proudly announces to the room that Lin Xin is indeed the distinguished guest he personally invited to the party tonight. Just then, heavily armed police officers crash into the room, flashing badges and ordering everyone to freeze for a major drug and smuggling raid. The officers quickly handcuff Hanbiao's unconscious gang, confirming the raid's success to team leader Shen. Looking around the chaotic room, Shen Aodong notices that Lin Xin has completely vanished from the venue. Meanwhile, Lin Xin is already speeding away on a motorboat, chuckling that he had to slip out a window to avoid getting dragged into a police investigation. The scene shifts to the late-night quiet of the university girl's dormitory. Inside her room, a beautiful dark-haired girl dries her hair after a shower, while anxiously staring at her phone for Lin Xin's reply. She debates inviting him over to her apartment for dinner, worrying inwardly if that invitation might sound too bold. Frustrated that their previous meeting was cut short, she resolves to find another opportunity to get closer to him. Just then, Lu Chen walks in wearing her torn party dress and slumps into a desk chair, complaining about how exhausted she feels. Her roommate turns around in surprise, teasingly warning Lu Chen that she looks like someone who got completely taken advantage of. Rubbing her sore waist with a blush, Lu Chen playfully complains about Lin Xin's unexpected wildness while secretly admitting she enjoyed it. Suspicious of her story, the roommate smiles slyly and asks if Lu Chen actually tore her own dress just to tempt him. To prove her point, Lu Chen pulls up her dress to reveal dark red palm prints stamped across her upper thigh. Seeing the massive handprints, Lu Yaxi stares in utter disbelief, realizing the marks are far too large to be self-inflicted. Teasing her stunned roommate, Lu Chen chuckles and tells the shivering Lu Yaxi to put on some clothes before she catches a cold. Without saying another word, Lu Yaxi quickly grabs a cardigan and rushes out of the dorm room in a hurry. Watching her sprint away, Lu Chen smirks to herself, confident that it's far too late for Lu Yaxi to claim Lin Xin for herself. Touching her lips gently, the blonde beauty blushes as she fondly reminisces about Lin Xin's unexpected wildness from earlier. Meanwhile, Lu Yaxi paces anxiously outside the male dormitory late at night, wondering why Lin Xin isn't answering her calls. Knowing Lu Chen wasn't lying, she realizes she must act immediately before other women steal Lin Xin away forever. She imagines Lin Xin surrounded by swarms of beautiful women, knowing a wealthy, handsome bachelor is an irresistible target. Clutching her chest with determination, Luo Yaxi vows to herself that she won't let any other woman take him away. As she waits outside, passing male students gawk at her long legs and wonder why such a stunning girl is standing in the cold. The scene shifts to the bright morning sun rising over the university campus. Having spent the entire night fighting and gambling on the yacht, an exhausted Lin Xin walks back holding a sandwich for breakfast. Approaching the dormitory entrance, he is surprised to spot Luo Yaxi leaning against the wall waiting for him. Nearby students whisper among themselves, revealing that she has been standing outside in the cold the entire night. The moment she spots our MC, Luo Yaxi instantly rushes over and throws her arms around Lin Xin in an emotional hug. Clinging tightly to his shirt, she looks up with tearful eyes and expresses her relief that he is finally back. Lin Xin looks at her in shock, completely stunned that she actually waited outside for him all night long. Burying her face into his chest, Luo Yaxi gently says she understands he was busy and wanted to show him her unconditional support. She softly confesses that she feels inferior to the other women pursuing him, promising to be the most understanding partner he could ever ask for. Overcome by exhaustion from waiting all night, she suddenly gasps and feigns dizziness, collapsing right into his arms. Without hesitation, Lin Xin lifts her up in a princess carry and offers to take her back to her off-campus apartment to rest. Arriving at her apartment, Lin Xin places her gently on the bed, surprised when she sits right back up. Slipping her cardigan off her shoulders, Luo Yaxi gazes at him sweetly and thanks him for being so caring. She moves close behind him, offering to give him a relaxing massage to wash away his tiredness from the night before. Surprised by her devotion, Lin Xin blushes with a smirk, happily agreeing to let her massage his back. Lying face down on the bed, our MC rests comfortably while Luo Yaxi straddles his back and begins rubbing his shoulders. Under her gentle touch, Lin Xin sighs in pure bliss, thoroughly enjoying the soothing massage. Seeing how relaxed he is, Lin Xin takes the opportunity to promise her a brand new house located closer to the university campus. Overjoyed by the offer, Luo Yaxi wraps her arms around his neck and plants a sweet kiss on his cheek, boosting her favorability rating to 95%. Snuggling on top of his back, she happily promises to give him a shoulder massage every single day from now on. Exhausted from his long night, Lin Xin quickly drifts off to sleep, snoring softly on the bed. While he slumbers, Luo Yaxi pulls out her phone and sends a humble brag text to Lu Chen about Lin Xin buying her a new house. Back in her room, Lu Chen reads the text and bawls with rage, furious that Lin Xin is splurging on her rival. Hiding her anger, Lu Chen types back a venomous reply, claiming she doesn't care since Lin Xin's money is meaningless to her. The two roomies engage in a fierce catfight via group chat, hurling insults back and forth over who truly holds Lin Xin's heart. Lying back in bed with a triumphant grin, Luo Yaxi resolves to send a couple selfie the moment the deed to the house is signed. By the afternoon, the bright sunlight fills Lin Xin's quiet bedroom. Fresh out of the shower, Lin Xin wipes his hair with a towel, feeling completely revitalized after his nap and massage. Hearing his phone chime repeatedly, he picks it up to check his incoming notifications. Opening his lock screen, he finds unread texts from both Luo Yaxi and Lu Chen asking to meet up again. Scrolling further, he sees a flood of unread messages from business partners, museum curators, and actresses all vying for his attention. Lin Xin scratches his head in amusement, marveling at how drastically his life changed now that women are constantly chasing after him. Among the texts, he notices a message from the dealership manager informing him that his custom-ordered luxury car has arrived. Realizing he forgot about the order, Lin Xin replies that he will personally visit the auto show to pick up the vehicle himself. With a free afternoon ahead, our MC smiles in anticipation, eager to inspect his brand new ride in person. Soon after, he arrives at the Grand Yanjiang Auto Show conference venue. The massive exhibition hall is buzzing with crowd activity, featuring dozens of high-end sports cars and glamour models. Professional hostesses in crisp blue suits greet high-net-worth guests at the entrance. Walking through the venue, Lin Xin chuckles upon discovering that the dealer put his newly arrived supercar on display as a centerpiece attraction. Arriving inside the venue, Lin Xin notices several foreign businessmen in luxury suits browsing the auto show. Hearing nearby attendees whisper that Boss Steven has arrived, Lin Xin turns his gaze toward the VIP entrance. Steven, the foreign executive, strides in accompanied by his manager Chu Kun and the stunning purple-haired beauty Chimenjin. Su Kun desperately tries to fawn over Chimenjin by offering her food and water, but she coldly rejects all his advances. A server offers Steven a drink which he declines, prompting Lin Xin to step up and grab a beverage for himself. Gulping down the drink, Lin Xin happily remarks on how generous the venue is for serving free refreshments. He then spots a booth giving away free luxury ice cream cups that usually cost $30 each outside. Approaching the counter with a smile, Lin Xin politely asks the sales hostesses for a cup of ice cream. Sizing up his casual clothes, the snobbish hostess claims the ice cream is sold out, secretly judging him as a pauper. Lin Xin scratches his head to leave, but notices a foreign man step up to the exact same counter asking for ice cream. To his surprise, the hostess instantly hands the foreigner a cup of ice cream with a sweet and bowing smile. When a local Chinese girl asks for one right after, the hostess coldly lies again, claiming none are left. As the disappointed girl walks away, the hostesses exchange smug, condescending smirks behind her back. Disgusted by their obvious discrimination, Lin Xin stops in his tracks and loudly calls them out. Our MC confronts the hostesses directly, demanding to know why foreigners receive ice cream while local citizens are lied to. Hearing his words, the surrounding crowd notices the foreigners holding ice cream and begins murmuring in anger. Flustered by the backlash, the hostess nervously makes up an excuse that the ice cream is reserved for special VPs. Lin Xin glares at her, calling out her prejudice by asking if special customers simply means anyone who isn't Chinese. As the crowd's anger mounts, manager Shu Kun assures boss Steven that he will personally deal with the troublemaker. Chi Menjin rolls her eyes in annoyance as Shu Kun walks off, deeply disliking his arrogant and clingy personality. Shu Kun arrives at the counter with an authoritative aura, demanding to know what the disturbance is about. Getting right into Lin Xin's face, Shu Kun arrogantly defends the hostesses and tells the broke youngster to scram. Lin Xin calmly states he came to pick up his vehicle, causing Shu Kun and the hostesses to erupt in mocking laughter. Shu Kun sneers that every vehicle at this auto show costs at least $1 million, accusing Lin Xin of being a liar. Turning to the gathered crowd, Shu Kun yells that this beggar snuck in for free food and orders security to throw him out. Ignoring the insults, Lin Xin casually digs in his pocket and pulls out a sleek card given to him by boss Shi. The moment he flashes the card, the entire crowd gasps in shock upon recognizing the ultra-rare 5-Fire Diamond VIP card. Holding the prestigious card, Lin Xin coolly tells Shu Kun to shut his mouth and listen for once. Realizing they insulted a billionaire, the terrified hostesses instantly bow down and stammer out an apology. But Lin Xin refuses to accept it, demanding they apologize to all the local visitors they discriminated against. The crowd breaks into thunderous applause, cheering for Lin Xin and the brave girl who stood up against the bias. Smiling warmly, Lin Xin gives the girl a thumbs up while Shu Kun stands frozen in utter humiliation. Suddenly, Chi Menjin runs over and excitedly wraps her arms around Lin Xin from behind. She instantly hugs his waist, gushing that he is their most important VIP guest for the upcoming ribbon-cutting ceremony. Introducing herself as boss Shi's younger sister, she clings to his chest and admits how much she admires him. Seeing his crush embrace another man, Shu Kun bowls with insane jealousy and rage. Chi Menjin sharply orders Shu Kun to resolve the staff situation immediately before it damages their company's sales. Desperate to save face, Shu Kun publicly fires both hostesses on the spot, screaming at them to shut up. When Chi Menjin asks Lin Xin if he wants security to punish them further, Lin Xin casually tells her to ignore them. Relieved to escape further consequences, the disgraced hostesses bow repeatedly in gratitude before scurrying away. The crowd bursts into laughter as the two hostesses trip and stumble while fleeing the exhibition hall. Shu Kun grinds his teeth, recognizing Lin Xin as the famous internet tycoon who humiliated him previously on a livestream. Recognizing him as the legendary Mr. Qian, the surrounding guests swarm Lin Xin to hand him business cards. Seeking revenge, Shu Kun secretly whispers to Steven, framing Lin Xin as a fake rich troublemaker intent on hurting their sales. Shu Kun points out Lin Xin to Steven, urging his foreign boss to step in and confront him. Steven walks up behind Lin Xin with a stern expression, calling out his name. Steven arrogantly introduces himself, claiming Lin Xin's lavish spending smells like a classic Ponzi scheme scam. Lin Xin scratches his head in genuine ignorance, innocently asking what a Ponzi scheme actually is. Chi Menjin explains that it's an investment fraud invented by a foreign scammer, prompting Lin Xin to smirk at Steven. Pointing an accusing finger at Lin Xin, Steven insists high-profile fraudsters spend lavishly just to lure wealthy investors into fake schemes. Whispering among themselves, the swayed spectators fall for Steven's words, believing that Mr. Chuyan is just an elaborate fraudster. Chi Menjin steps forward and angrily demands Steven show solid proof before making such serious accusations against Lin Xin. Completely unbothered by the drama, Lin Xin openly yawns and excuses himself to get a glass of water. Furious, Steven points an accusing finger at the local girls, claiming they are co-conspirators helping Lin Xin scam the wealthy. Steven threatens to call security on the girls, prompting Lin Xin to turn around with an icy glare. Stepping in front of the girls, Lin Xin tells Steven he successfully crossed the line and made him angry. Steven proposes a wager, challenging Lin Xin to prove he has more money or publicly admit to all of Yanjiang City that he's a scammer. The crowd whispers that Steven is a top Shanghai car mogul, believing a fake rich kid couldn't possibly beat his vast fortune. Lin Xin smirks and accepts the bet, adding a condition that if Steven loses, he must publicly confess to exploiting Chinese consumers. Steven's face contorts in fury as the high-stakes challenge is officially locked in. To initiate the flex war, Steven points at a random bystander and gifts him a $10 million luxury car for free. Steven smugly asks if Lin Xin dares to compete, while Chi Menjin protests that gifting company stock is an unfair advantage. Steven scoffs that the cars are paid inventory, taunting Lin Xin for lacking the funds to match him. Gently patting Chi Menjin's head to calm her down, Lin Xin reassures her that everything is under control. Lin Xin steps up and buys 3 $20 million supercars on the spot, gifting one to each of the slandered girls for a total of $60 million. The crowd gasps in shock as the multi-million-dollar transaction instantly goes through without a hitch. The emotional girls bow in deep gratitude while Chi Menjin swoons over Lin Xin's heroic generosity. The two engage in an escalation war, with Steven gifting $10 million cars while Lin Xin retaliates by giving away vehicles worth $15 to $32 million. Panicking, manager Shu Kun whispers to Steven that their dealership has run out of high-end cars after losing tens of millions to Lin Xin. Lin Xin smirks at the sweating executive, teasingly asking why he stopped buying vehicles so suddenly. Desperate, Steven places his hands on a rare $40 million limited edition Lamborghini, challenging Lin Xin to match its exclusivity. Looking over at the luxury vehicle, Lin Xin remains entirely unfazed by the threat. Steven mockingly claims victory if Lin Xin cannot produce a vehicle of equal status, while Chi Menjin berates Steven's shameless tactics. Doubting spectators mutter that no fraudster could possibly secure a rare limited edition vehicle on such short notice. Lin Xin turns his gaze toward a magnificent hypercar sitting atop a rotating golden pedestal in the center of the hall. The crowd gasps upon recognizing the Rolls-Royce concept Phantom, shouting that the display model is strictly not for sale. Coldly staring down Stephen, Lin Xin remarks how amusing it is to watch a corner dog desperately jump over a wall. Stephen sneers arrogance, demanding Lin Xin drop to his knees and confess his fraud immediately. Suddenly, Boss Xu rushes into the hall with open arms, shoving Stephen out of the way to greet the legendary Mr. Qian. Boss Xu hands over the keys, revealing that the $80 million concept Rolls-Royce is the exact car Lin Xin pre-ordered. Stephen literally spits out blood in shock as the crowd realizes the concept car belongs to Lin Xin. Without missing a beat, Lin Xin hands his card to Boss Xi and announces he is gifting the $80 million concept car to Xu Menjin. The machine chimes 80 million yuan successful payment, causing Stephen to spit out even more blood in sheer defeat. The onlookers go wild, marveling at how easily Lin Xin gave away a vehicle worth double Stephen's limited edition model. Overjoyed, Xu Menjin wraps her arms around Lin Xin's neck and plants a passionate kiss on his cheek in front of her shocked brother. Blushing deeply, the purple-haired beauty stares at our MC with adoration, completely falling in love. Lin Xin mockingly asks if Stephen wants to continue, forcing the defeated executive to bow his head and surrender. With a sharp smirk, Lin Xin reminds Stephen that it's time to honor his end of the high-stakes wager. Trembling in fear, Stephen realizes Lin Xin's financial backing is far beyond anything he could ever comprehend. Forced onto his knees, Stephen tearfully confesses to the crowd that he is a greedy capitalist who exploited local consumers for profit. Furious at his admission, the local attendees raise their fists and demand full refunds while boycotting his brand. Lin Xin casually waves his hand and orders the humiliated executive to get out of his sight. An angry mob chases Stephen and Xu Kun out of the building, demanding financial compensation for his predatory practices. The remaining guests crowd around Lin Xin, showering him with praise for standing up against the foreign scammer. Blushing furiously, Xu Menjin realizes she has fallen completely head over heels for the charming young billionaire. Mustering up her courage, she prepares to ask Lin Xin out on a romantic date. But before she can speak, Lin Xin answers an urgent phone call and immediately vanishes into the crowd. Frustrated by her bad timing, Xu Menjin playfully beats her brother's chest while screaming in annoyance. Stepping outside the auto show building, Lin Xin heads toward the outdoor parking lot. He spots the elegant green-haired Yanbao leaning against a luxury vehicle, greeting her with a warm compliment as she waves him over. Blushing softly, Yanbao realizes that while other men disgust her, she secretly feels happy whenever Lin Xin compliments her beauty. Lin Xin asks Yanbao for help landing a senior year internship, while Yanbao assumes he's simply avoiding his own family business. Lin Xin laughs embarrassedly, admitting he just desperately needs college credits to graduate on time. As Yanbao drives him home, she offers him a high-paying executive job, but Lin Xin insists on starting as a low-profile worker. The scene transitions to the sleek skyscraper headquarters of Yanbao's corporation the next morning. Inside the bustling office, employees gossip excitedly about a new intern personally appointed by the company president. The arrogant team leader, Yu Wu, commands everyone to return to their desks while inwardly sneering at her colleagues. The department supervisor gathers the staff to introduce 2 new interns joining the marketing division today. The first intern, Zhu Wen, arrogantly flicks his hair and shows off his golden Rolex watch to make an impression. Lin Xin steps up next, politely introducing himself as a senior student from Yanjiang University. Observing them, Yu Wu immediately assumes the Rolex, wearing Xu Wen is the connected intern favored by executive management. In reality, the supervisor is secretly Xu Wen's father, who rigged the department placement to guarantee his son the full-time promotion. Wanting to curry favor with Zhu Wen, Yu Wu dumps a massive, crushing stack of heavy files onto Lin Xin's desk. In stark contrast, she hands Xu Wen a single, lightweight folder with a gentle, flirty smile. Noticing the obvious discrimination, Lin Xin points a finger and asks why his workload is 10 times larger than Zhu Wen's. Yu Wu crosses her arms arrogantly, warning Lin Xin that as a subordinate, he has no right to question her orders. Lin Xin sighs and gets to work, while Yu Wu inwardly scoffs at him for being an impoverished student unworthy of her attention. Yu Wu approaches Xu Wen's desk, flirtatiously offering one-on-one guidance whenever he encounters difficulties. Leaning tightly against his shoulder, Yu Wu gives him personal assistance while Zhu Wen smirks at her seductive behavior. By noon, the office clock ticks past 12:30 as the morning shift comes to an end. To Yu Wu's utter astonishment, Lin Xin stands up and presents the entire completed stack of files before lunchtime. Flipping through the documents, Yu Wu is shocked to find every single complex report thoroughly and flawlessly executed. Refusing to let him shine, Yu Wu snatches the completed work and gives it to Zhu Wen to take full credit. Outraged by her blatant corruption, Lin Xin confronts Yu Wu for stealing his hard work and handing his achievements away. Yu Wu turns her back dismissively, claiming an ungraduated intern should be grateful just to have the learning opportunity. Lin Xin smirks at her workplace manipulation, casually asking if she isn't afraid of the CEO discovering her crooked actions. Yu Wu scoffs that a lowly intern will never meet the CEO, while Lin Xin playfully bids her farewell for the day. At the end of the workday, employees begin filing out of the corporate headquarters building. Zhu Wen walks alongside Yu Wu, flattery dripping his voice as he invites her out for an expensive dinner. Giggling flirtatiously, Yu Wu accepts the invitation while Xu Wen heads off to the VIP parking garage to fetch his car. Heading toward the exit, Lin Xin spots Yu Wu standing right next to where his modest electric scooter is parked. Approaching his vehicle, Lin Xin politely asks Yu Wu to step aside so he can unlock his scooter. Misinterpreting his presence, Yu Wu assumes Lin Xin waited in secret to apologize and confess his feelings away from coworkers. She condescendingly lectures him, calling him an ambitious toad who could never hope to land a high-class woman like her. Lin Xin sighs and tries to explain her misunderstanding, but the narcissistic manager refuses to listen. Crossing her arms, Yu Wu coldly declares that a broke college student isn't even qualified to be her backup option. Ignoring her delusion, Lin Xin simply gets onto his scooter and tells her she is physically blocking his vehicle. Suddenly, a flashy red sports car pulls up alongside them as Xu Wen leans out to mock Lin Xin's cheap ride. Yu Wu smirks and boasts about riding in Xu Wen's luxury sports car, mockingly offering Lin Xin a lift out of pity. Xu Wen smirks from the driver's seat, agreeing to give the poor intern a ride if Yu Wu insists on charity. Completely ignoring both of them, Lin Xin starts up his scooter engine and prepares to take off. He revs the throttle and zooms past, creating a sharp gust of wind that catches Yu Wu off guard. Caught by surprise, Yu Wu loses her balance and crashes face down onto the pavement in front of the building. Xu Wen rushes out of his car in panic to help her up, both cursing Lin Xin for his reckless driving. Wiping her ruined, expensive makeup off her face, Yu Wu screams in rage, vowing to ruin Lin Xin's career at the company. Cruising smoothly down the street on his scooter, Lin Xin chuckles, content to let the corrupt duo dig their own graves. The next morning at the office, Yu Wu walks up to Lin Xin's desk and arrogantly commands him to go buy coffee for the entire team. Lin Xin looks back calmly and asks why he's expected to run personal errands for everyone. Yu Wu puts her hands on her hips, insisting it's company tradition for newcomers, prompting Lin Xin to point out why Xu Wen isn't going instead. Yu Wu glares in annoyance, while Xu Wen joins in mocking Lin Xin for being an ignorant student who doesn't understand workplace politics. Observing the unfair treatment from their cubicles, the other department employees exchange uncomfortable glances, feeling disgusted by the team leader's obvious corruption. Lin Xin sits back at his workstation, giving a polite smile to his quiet coworkers. Xu Wen creeps up behind Lin Xin's chair, smugly whispering that his high-level connections can easily ensure Lin Xin gets fired after his internship. Unfazed, Lin Xin casually picks his ear, replying that he only needs the credits to graduate and has zero interest in staying at this company anyway. Xu Wen and Yu Wu scoff, offering to let Lin Xin stay as a lowly errand boy if he bows down and begs for forgiveness. Lin Xin turns his head with a dark smile, remarking that Xu Wen should actually be thanking him instead. Our MC glares back sharply, cryptically warning Xu Wen that he saved his life by talking him out of reckless behavior earlier. Enraged, Xu Wen slams Lin Xin's desk, while Lin Xin innocently throws up his hands and claims a poor student like him can't afford company-wide coffee. Lin Xin cleverly praises Xu Wen's immense wealth, publicly challenging him to prove his status by buying coffee for all 1,000 employees in the building. Trapped by his own ego, Xu Wen boastfully accepts the challenge, while Lin Xin cheerfully orders an expensive mocha on his tab. Yu Wu loudly applauds Xu Wen for his generosity, while the rest of the staff sarcastically thanks the rich intern for the free drinks. Xu Wen forces a polite smile, but turns pale when Lin Xin remarks that he looks forward to Xu Wen buying coffee for them every single day. Watching from his office, the corrupt department supervisor, who is secretly Xu Wen's father, notices his son glaring at Lin Xin in frustration. Father and son exchange a sinister glance, silently agreeing to sabotage the newcomer at the next opportunity. The supervisor steps out and commands the room to gather for an urgent department announcement. He reveals an $80 million proposal due in 3 days, promising an $800,000 bonus to whichever group secures the client's approval. As teams quickly form around the room, Yu Wu and Xu Wen team up while deliberately isolating Lin Xin, so no one works with him. Lin Xin simply grins, completely content to handle the entire project solo without any dead weight dragging him down. Xu Wen and Yu Wu sneer at him, confident that a single intern will fail miserably trying to complete such a massive project alone. As the deadline approaches, Lin Xin calmly eats snacks at his desk while his rivals stressfully hunch over their computers. When 5 o'clock hits, Lin Xin immediately leaves on time every day, leaving the rest of the department stuck doing miserable overtime. 3 days later, Lin Xin finishes the complete city park proposal in minutes, thanks to his level 3 intelligence boost. Yu Wu and Xu Wen glare in disbelief as Lin Xin happily hums at his desk without having worked a single hour of overtime. The moment Lin Xin steps out to use the restroom, Yu Wu decides to sneak a peek at his computer screen. Looking closely at his monitor, Yu Wu gasps in total shock at what she sees. Calling Xu Wen over, Yu Wu realizes Lin Xin created an exceptionally brilliant, world-class business proposal all on his own. Xu Wen panics, realizing Lin Xin's solo work completely outshines all 3 official group presentations combined. Determined to crush him, Yu Wu maliciously decides to steal his proposal and present it as Xu Wen's original work in the upcoming client meeting. When Lin Xin returns, Yu Wu lays to his face, directing him to prepare in conference room while the real meeting takes place elsewhere. Watching him walk into the wrong room, Yu Wu smirks triumphantly, gloating over how easily she hijacked his brilliant proposal. Meanwhile, in conference room B, Xu Wen stands at the projector screen, presenting Lin Xin's stolen proposal to the client executives. Zhu Wen confident delivers the presentation, taking full credit for the innovative park development strategy. But as he clicks to the next slide, he freezes in horror upon seeing Lin Xin's name printed clearly as the original project author. Panicking, Zhu Wen frantically clicks his remote control to skip past the damning slide before anyone notices. Wiping away his cold sweat, Zhu Wen breathes a sigh of relief as the client praises the presentation as the best one yet. Zhu Wen arrogantly boasts that his degree from MIT guarantees top-tier quality, earning enthusiastic praise from Yu Wu. Impressed by his background, the client gives a firm thumbs up, declaring the project proposal completely flawless. Standing nearby, the corrupt supervisor grins proudly at his son for pulling off the stolen victory. The client hands over the contract binder, offering to sign the official $80 million deal on the spot. The supervisor grins greedily, knowing this massive contract guarantees his upcoming promotion to executive director. As Zhu Wen signs the papers, he and Yu Wu privately gloat about how they will split the $800,000 bonus. Suddenly, the doors burst open as Lin Xin strolls into conference room B, coolly calling them out for stealing his work. Terrified of being exposed, Zhu Wen screams at his father to throw Lin Xin out of the room immediately. The supervisor slams the table and berates Lin Xin for interrupting, but Lin Xin exposes that they deliberately tricked him into going to the wrong room. Staring down the duo, Lin Xin directly accuses Yu Wu and Zhu Wen of plagiarizing his entire presentation. The supervisor shouts angrily to cover for his son, threatening to fire Lin Xin on the spot for slandering senior colleagues. Unfazed, Lin Xin dares Zhu Wen to turn to page 11 of the contract and show everyone the digital watermark signature at the bottom. Backed into a corner, Yu Wu steps up and fabricates a lie, claiming she merely credited Lin Xin for giving a tiny suggestion during brainstorming. The surrounding colleagues side with the supervisor, accusing Lin Xin of being a lazy intern who is trying to steal credit from hard-working staff. Lin Xin smiles calmly at her ridiculous excuse, knowing the original rough drafts and timestamps are still sitting safely on his workstation computer. Seeing the tension rise in the office, Yu Wu stays completely quiet, realizing that things aren't going as smoothly as expected. Meanwhile, Supervisor Yudazi sneers to himself, preparing to execute a dirty trick to frame Armin C. Out of nowhere, the supervisor suddenly clutches his chest and screams in fake panic that his expensive watch has gone missing. He immediately points his finger directly at Lin Xin, accusing him of the theft and ordering his son to go search Lin Xin's workstation. Within seconds, his son returns holding a gold watch, loudly claiming he found it at Lin Xin's desk as ultimate proof. Lin Xin remains completely calm and calls them out, pointing out that this pathetic setup is just a cheap tactic to distract everyone. In his head, the supervisor gloats about secretly slipping off his watch earlier, knowing that even if Lin Xin figures it out, he has no proof. Smirking triumphantly, the corrupt boss tells Lin Xin to drop to his knees and beg if he wants to avoid getting handed over to the police. The brainwashed coworkers immediately jump on the bandwagon, demanding that the supervisor call the cops and kick Lin Xin out. Faced with all the false accusations, our MC just glares back with icy eyes, entirely unbothered by their desperate trap. Furious that Lin Xin isn't begging for mercy, Sudaji loses his patience and commands the security guards to throw him out of the building. Two guards instantly step forward and rush toward Lin Xin to drag him away. But before they can lay a finger on him, a sharp voice shouts for them to halt, freezing everyone in their tracks. The crowd turns to see the president's personal secretary strutting down the hallway, leaving everyone completely dumbfounded. Seeing her arrive, the supervisor immediately drops his arrogant attitude and bows down, humbly asking why she came down. Right behind her, the powerful and gorgeous president herself enters the office, instantly shocking every employee in the room. Su Daji instantly begins kissing up to her, apologizing profusely for not preparing a proper welcome for her arrival. Desperate to impress his boss, he starts barking commands at the staff to bring out the finest executive chair and serve tea immediately. Another manager tries to introduce himself, but the secretary swiftly cuts him off, stating the president is only here for important business. The supervisor eagerly offers the luxurious chair and tea to the president, boasting about an 80 million yuan deal he allegedly closed. Ignoring completely, President Jiang walks straight past the supervisor and offers the luxury seat and tea to Lin Xin instead. Seeing their low-level employee treated like royalty by the big boss, Su Daji and his corrupt group instantly freeze in sheer horror. Lin Xin casually takes the tea and mentions that it's a bit too hot, making President Jiang apologize and offer to cool it down for him. Right in front of the entire office, the cold female president gently blows on the tea with a blushing face. Seeing this unbelievable sight, the supervisor and his cronies completely lose their minds, unable to comprehend what is happening. The rest of the office staff watch with wide eyes, questioning whether they have somehow fallen into a bizarre dream. After carefully checking that the tea is at the perfect temperature, President Jiang sweetly tells Lin Xin to relax and let her handle the rest. Turning back toward the supervisor, her warm expression instantly disappears, replaced by an icy glare as she signals her secretary. The secretary steps forward and sternly confronts Su Dazi, asking if he realizes the massive mistake he has just made. Right on cue, an assistant hands over a file containing the actual original project documents found at Lin Xin's workstation. The secretary slams the draft directly against Su Daji's chest, telling the foolish supervisor to take a good look at his own corruption. Realizing he's been caught red-handed, the supervisor drops straight to his knees, forced to admit that the proposal was Lin Xin's work all along. The secretary doesn't stop there and exposes his entire list of crimes, including colluding to steal work and illegally promoting Yu Wu. She reveals that he even violated company regulations by sneaking his own son onto the payroll, committing endless shady acts behind the company's back. Hearing the overwhelming list of corruption, the surrounding employees gasp in utter shock at their supervisor's true nature. The secretary then delivers the final blow, informing Xu Daji that he made the fatal mistake of offending Mr. Qian. She reveals that Mr. Qian is the mysterious investor who poured 500 million into the company and holds the majority shares. And that man is Lin Xin. Upon learning that the humble employee they tried to ruin is actually the supreme owner of the company, the corrupt trio turns completely pale. Screaming in utter despair, Xu Daji clutches his head as the secretary officially fires him, his son and Yu Wu on the spot. Realizing his entire life is ruined, the supervisor's son turns his rage toward Yu Wu, blaming her for all of his father's mess. He grabs her by the collar in fury, while Yu Wu screams back, exposing that he's just the son of a fraud who pretended to be a rich heir. A chaotic brawl breaks out between the three of them as they slap each other, shout insults, and threaten to expose their scandalous affairs to the boss's wife. Annoyed by the pathetic circus, the secretary orders the security guards to clean the floor and throw the screaming trio out of the building. With the bullies gone, the brown-nosing coworkers immediately bow to Lin Xin, desperately trying to apologize and kiss up to the company's real owner. President Zhang leans in sweetly to ask if Lin Xin is satisfied, to which he replies that the company needs to hire better people in the future. She apologizes for letting him suffer under corrupt management, but our MC just chuckles, noting that he prefers keeping a low profile anyway. Changing the subject, President Zhang excitedly offers to show Lin Xin the incredible progress made by her top tech research team. She brings him into her private luxury office, explaining that she spends most of her time managing technology ventures. Lin Xin looks over her shoulder at the complex lines of code on her computer, admitting with a smile that he has no clue what any of it means. Impressed by her hard work, our MC casually pulls out his phone and transfers another 500 million directly to her account, spiking her favorability towards him. Thrilled by the massive investment, President Zhang sits down on her office chair and promises Lin Xin that she won't let him down. But the moment she settles in, the wooden chair suddenly snaps with a loud crash. Hearing the commotion, Lin Xin turns around in concern and asks if she is all right. To his complete surprise, President Zhang ended up slithering through the chair, getting her lower body awkwardly wedged inside the frame. Staring at her stuck position, Lin Xin's mind instantly flashes to classic internet tropes of stepsisters getting stuck in washing machines. He chuckles to himself, imagining a blonde girl getting trapped headfirst while trying to do her daily laundry. Pushing the ridiculous thought out of his head, our MC wonders why such absurd scenarios keep popping into his brain at the worst times. Snapping back to reality, Lin Xin looks at his gorgeous boss helplessly trapped, realizing he needs to help her out immediately. He grabs her hands and tries to pull her out, but President Zhang groans in pain, telling him that pulling directly isn't working. Meanwhile, outside the office, the secretary opens the door slightly after hearing suspicious noises, only to gasp in shock. Trying to keep her composure, the secretary knocks on the door and asks if everything is fine, making President Jiang yell out that she's totally okay. Terrified of losing her dignified image if anyone sees her like this, President Jiang begs Lin Xin to move her over to the sofa so they can untangle her. Without hesitation, Lin Xin scoops her up along with the chair, carefully carrying her toward the couch while making sure not to hurt her. Once on the sofa, he instructs her to lie back and lift her waist, gently attempting to slide the tight wooden frame off her legs. Hearing all the gasps, groans, and intense commands through the thin door, the secretary blushes red, desperately trying to stop her filthy thoughts. With one final careful push, Lin Xin finally manages to pry the chair off, freeing his boss at last. Exhausted, President Zhang catches her breath on the couch, thanking him profusely while rubbing her numb legs. Pointing out that her designer dress got ripped during the struggle, Lin Xin suggests she change into a fresh outfit in her private cloakroom. Walking into her walk-in closet, our MC is blown away by the sheer size of the room, realizing just how filthy rich she actually is. As she browses through her wardrobe, Lin Xin points toward a stylish dress on display and mentions that it looks great. President Zhang smiles and steps behind the translucent changing door, telling him to wait just a moment while she slips into it. Sitting outside, Lin Xin accidentally catches a glimpse of her seductive silhouette through the foggy glass, causing him to blush instantly. Watching her curves as she gets dressed, our MC finds it impossible to look away from such a gorgeous view. Placing his hands together like a refined gentleman, he jokingly justifies to himself that watching carefully is the polite thing to do. When she calls out to check if he's still waiting, Lin Xin panics and frantically denies that he was peeking at her. From behind the door, President Zhang sincerely thanks him, admitting that her own family doubted her startup and only Lin Xin believed in her vision without limits. Swearing to herself, she promises that she will work tirelessly to ensure his massive investment reaps incredible profits. Lin Xin secretly hopes she actually loses money so he can keep spending more, but out loud, he smoothly tells her to spend as much as she needs. Misinterpreting his words as grand encouragement to fund national chip research, President Jiang is deeply moved by his vision, causing her favorability to surge to 52%. Noticing another massive boost in system points, Lin Xin smirks to himself, realizing that unconditional financial support really is the ultimate romance. President Jiang then steps out wearing the exact cut-out dress Lin Xin pointed at earlier, asking if he's ready to head out for dinner. Seeing how breathtaking she looks in the outfit he picked, Lin Xin is left completely stunned. Admiring her stunning beauty, our hero realizes that his choice was absolutely spot on. Together, the two walk out of the office side by side, with President Jiang ordering her secretary to arrange a table at the Jilongshan Hotel. The entire office staff can only watch in disbelief, gossiping wildly about how the icy president changed into a sexy dress after spending private time with Lin Xin. As they leave, President Jiang promises to show him her proudest tech achievements after dinner, while the heartbroken male employees weep on the floor. Soon, they arrive at an upscale restaurant, enjoying a romantic dinner while discussing the impressive programming software Lin Xin developed. Humbling himself, Lin Xin casually replies that the project was actually pretty simple for someone with his skill set. Blown away by his effortless genius and charm, President Jiang looks him with sparkling eyes as her favorability jumps all the way to 77%. Meanwhile, over in a luxury bath, blue-haired Yuxuan chats on a video call, admiring how remarkably calm and capable Lin Xin handled everything. Teasing her friend over the screen, Yuxuan asks if their usually cold president has officially fallen head over heels in love. President Jiang sits in her room taking off her stockings, turning the tables by teasing Yuxuan back about her upcoming trip to Japan. She playfully asks Yuxuan if she's too excited to sleep because she gets to travel abroad together with her male classmate. Blushing intensely in the tub, Yuxuan nervously denies it, reminding her friend that they are strictly just former classmates. Unable to handle the teasing any longer, Yuxuan pouts and hangs up the call to get some rest, leaving President Jiang chuckling to herself. Soaking in the warm water, Yuxuan looks up at Lin Xin's image in her mind, secretly feeling like their trip to Japan feels just like a romantic date. The scene then shifts across the sea to a towering skyscraper located in the heart of Japan. Inside a traditional Japanese room, the corrupt chairman Komeda relaxes in his kimono while his subordinate reports that all auction funds have been prepared. The bow-tied henchman assures the chairman that they have more than enough capital to buy out whatever they want at next week's auction. Swirling his wine glass, the chairman sneers maliciously, eager for that arrogant young Chinese guy to land in Japan so he can crush him completely. The Japanese Yakuza bodyguards vow that if the young man dares to offend their Komeda consortium, they will first humiliate him at the auction and then ensure he never leaves Japan alive. 10 days pass and an international flight cuts through the sky, carrying our MC toward his destination. On the phone, a breaking news alert pops up announcing that the prestigious Appodo auction, held only once every 4 years, is about to officially open in Japan. Sitting in economy class, Lin Xin mentions to Yuxuan that he almost missed the flight due to last-minute booking, noticing how nervous she looks. Yuxuan admits she is excited to see China's lost cultural relics but worries that Cao Jun and the powerful Komeda consortium might plot against him if he loses the bid. Lin Xin gives her a reassuring smile, declaring that regardless of any bets, he's determined to bring those national treasures back home where they belong. Suddenly, the quiet cabin is disrupted by a spoiled brat running wildly down the aisle, yelling and playing superhero games. The loud kid runs past the seats, causing surrounding passengers to frown in irritation at the lack of supervision. Without warning, the brat slams violently into the back of Yuxuan's seat, catching her completely off guard. The kid then starts repeatedly kicking her chair, prompting Yuxuan to turn around politely and ask him to stop kicking. Instead of apologizing, the brat gives a nasty smirk and hurls vulgar, inappropriate insults directly at her face. Shocked by his disgusting language, Yuxuan gasps in disbelief that a young child could say something so offensive. The brat aggressively grabs at her belongings, knocking her phone onto the floor as Yuxuan cries out in surprise. Losing his temper, Lin Xin stands up to confront the brat, but Yuxuan gently holds him back, insisting that kids just don't know any better. Lin Xin sighs at her endless kindness, warning her that if spoiled kids like this aren't taught a proper lesson, they will grow up to be even worse. Seconds later, the unmanageable brat comes running back down the aisle, resuming his obnoxious game once again. As he passes by, the brat deliberately reaches out and yanks Yuxuan's dress upward, exposing her legs to the entire cabin. Pulling with all his strength, the brat tears her dress fabric completely before losing his balance and tumbling backward onto the floor. Yuxuan frantically clutches her ruined dress in distress, while Lin Xin's anger boils over at the brat's unacceptable actions. Facing the consequences of his own fall, the brat instantly bursts into fake, exaggerated tears on the ground. Hearing the crying, the boy's entitled mother barges through the cabin curtain, screaming fiercely about who dared to bully her precious baby. As the brat falsely points the finger, Lin Xin steps in front of Yuxuan, explaining that her spoiled kid was running recklessly and got his toy caught in her dress. Refusing to take responsibility, the arrogant mother screams at them, claiming there is nothing wrong with a child running around and insulting Yuxuan. Yuxuan defends herself by noting that planes aren't playgrounds, but the toxic mother and her brat double down, spewing vile insults about Yuxuan's clothes. Speechless at the mother's outrageous behavior, Yuxuan glares back in utter disbelief. She angrily reminds the mother that everyone has the right to wear what they want, demanding to know if this is really how she raises her child. The entitled mother smugly claims her child is well behaved, while the brat chimes in with another inappropriate comment about Yuxuan's underwear. Covering her son's eyes, the mother continues her hypocritical rant, attacking women who wear stylish dresses. She puts on a crazy, twisted smile and blames them for ruining her child's mental health with their presence. Shaking with anger at the absurdity of the situation, Yuxuan struggles to find the words to respond to such shameless people. Stepping firmly in front of her, Lin Xin takes over the fight, calling out the mother and son as uncultured fools who are publicly embarrassing their own country. Outraged that someone called her out, the mother threatens to call the flight attendant and have them thrown off the plane. Lin Xin smirks and encourages her to do so, listing all the brat's actual offenses and warning her that the airline staff will hold them accountable for harassment and property damage. Realizing they are in serious trouble, the brat panics and clings to his mother, while the mother's confident facade completely shatters. Turning to Yuxuan, Lin Xin asks if she's alright, making her favorability rise as she admires how effortlessly he stood up to the bully. Desperate to save face, the entitled mother shouts at the entire economy class, boasting about her wealth and claiming they will never afford first-class seats. Fed up with her snobbery, the surrounding passengers immediately unite and shout back, putting the arrogant woman right in her place. Trapped by the angry crowd, the mother accuses everyone of teaming up against her, while Lin Xin calmly asks for a flight attendant to remove the noisy woman. Meanwhile, in the break area, a blonde flight attendant casually sips her lat, completely ignoring the commotion in the back. Sitting comfortably, she complains about the noisy passengers whining over minor flight issues. Another flight attendant walks in with a snack tray, questioning why Xiaoying is applying so much heavy makeup while on duty. The two argue over who gets to serve the snacks, each desperately trying to get an opportunity to flirt with a wealthy passenger. A third attendant peeks in and tells them to quiet down, revealing that they are all trying to catch the attention of the same rich passenger in first class. They gossip about Mr. Fei, a famous wealthy second-generation businessman who sells airplanes and holds powerful industry connections. Even the plane's captain leaves his post in the cockpit just to bow down and flatter Mr. Fei in the first-class cabin. When the call comes in for someone to deal with the noisy first-class woman in economy, the flight attendants reluctantly tell Xiaoying to go handle it. Annoyed that she has to step away from her wealthy target, Xiaoying heads toward the economy cabin with an attitude. Putting on a fake customer service smile, she asks how she can help, only for Yuxuan to immediately report the entitled mother for disturbing the entire cabin. Lin Xin praises Yuxuan for taking charge and speaking up so firmly, giving her a proud thumbs up that makes her blush. Furious at being called out, the entitled mother tries to pull rank, aggressively boasting that she is the wife of a powerful group chairman to intimidate the flight attendant. Instead of taking the victim's side, flight attendant Xiaoying defends the wealthy woman, claiming a first-class passenger would never come to economy to cause trouble. Lin Xin immediately confronts her biased logic, pointing out that she is openly implying economy passengers are lesser and naturally at fault. Emboldened by the attendant's favor, the entitled mother boasts about her upper-class status, threatening to get Lin Xin blacklisted from the airline while her son laughs at him. Completely unbothered by her empty threats, our MC just picks his nose and smirks with pure disrespect. As the mother continues screaming, Mr. Fei steps out from the first-class cabin, annoyed by the endless commotion in the aisle. Xiaoying instantly bows down to Mr. Fei, profusely apologizing and blaming economy passenger for ruining his first-class experience. Smirking in triumph, the entitled mother boasts that Mr. Fei is a legendary rich heir whose family sells airplanes and can destroy Lin Xin with a single call. She eagerly struts up to Mr. Fei and extends her hand, reminding him that she's the wife of Chairman Sheng from Good Luck Group. Trying to butter him up, she trash-talks Lin Xin and Yuxuan, claiming she tried to reason with those low-level commoners to no avail. Ignoring her extended hand, Mr. Fei glares directly at Lin Xin while the arrogant woman and flight attendant eagerly anticipate his demise. To everyone's shock, Mr. Fei's eyes light up with pure reverence as he rushes forward to tightly hold Lin Xin's hands, introducing himself as a humble plane seller from Prince's Daughter Group. Playing along with his excitement, Lin Xin pretends to remember him, causing the wealthy businessman to blush with joy for being recognized by the great Mr. Qian. The entitled mother, her brat, and the snobbish flight attendant freeze in utter horror, unable to process why a powerful billionaire is bowing down to an economy passenger. When the brat shouts another insult at Lin Xin, his mother instantly slaps him across the face, terrified of offending someone Mr. Fei respects so deeply. Wanting to curry favor with our MC, Mr. Fei orders the staff to immediately upgrade Lin Xin and Yuxuan to first class on his Premier Gold card. Hearing that the people they try to ruin are getting a free first-class upgrade, the corrupt group screams in utter disbelief. However, Lin Xin casually turns down the offer, stating that seeing the entitled woman's face in first class would completely ruin his good mood. Eager to solve the problem, Mr. Fei promises to call his close friend who owns Spring Airlines to have the entitled mother permanently blacklisted, leaving her in absolute panic. Realizing her entire status is on the line, the arrogant woman drops to her knees, fake fainting and begging Lin Xin to take pity on a helpless mother and son. Lin Xin glares down at her without a trace of mercy, declaring that she cannot escape consequences after how horribly her brat treated Yuxuan. Throwing a full-blown tantrum on the floor with her son, the mother screams hysterically that rich people are viciously picking on the weak. Mr. Fei roars at her to shut up, warning that her public disturbance will result in police detention the second the plane lands. The whole economy cabin breaks into wild applause, while passengers expose the snobbish flight attendant Xiaoying for posting hateful comments online about her customers. As furious passengers threaten to make her viral scandal blow up, Xiaoying collapses to the floor, realizing her career in aviation is completely ruined. Soon after, the flight lands safely at Japan Neo Airport, where police officers drag away the crying mother and son while Lin Xin and Yuxuan walk out freely. Walking through the terminal, Mr. Fei asks about his business in Japan, and Lin Xin proudly answers that he came to buy back all of China's stolen cultural relics at the upcoming auction. Impressed by his patriotism, Mr. Fei lowers his voice to warn Lin Xin to be extremely cautious of a dangerous tycoon named Kameda Kento. He explains that Kameda is a ruthless Japanese chaebol who uses his endless fortune and undercover ninjas to severely injure anyone who bids against him. Realizing that Cao Jun intentionally set a trap to pit Lin Xin against such a dangerous monster, Yuxuan nervously begs him to cancel the trip and return home. But Lin Xin clenches his fist with unshakable resolve, declaring he will never let China's treasures fall into enemy hands, especially when he can farm system points from the confrontation. Astounded by his bravery, Mr. Fei cheers him on while Yuxuan gazes at him with deep affection, boosting her favorability even higher. Unbeknownst to them, a pink-haired female assassin clad in black tactical gear and a face mask blends into the airport crowd behind them. Locking her sharp gaze onto our MC, Iris Sato silently identifies Lin Xin as her assigned target. In a flashback, Chairman Kameda personally instructs his top operative, Iris Sato, to track down the wealthy Chinese man at the airport. Kneeling loyally, Iris promises her master that she will give Lin Xin a painful warning without killing him, ensuring he arrives at the auction alive to bow before Kameda. Returning to the present, Iris tracks Lin Xin's movements from behind as he walks side by side with Yuxuan through the crowded hall. When Lin Xin steps away to buy a bottle of water, Iris spots her chance and prepares to execute her covert strike. She equips a hidden ring spiked with a lethal toxin designed to cause severe vomiting weakness and agony for an entire day. Creeping up silently right behind him like a shadow, Iris prepares to lightly tap his shoulder to inject the poison. But just as she strikes, Lin Xin suddenly stops at the vending machine and freaks out over an 80 yuan bottle of water, leaving the assassin frozen in mid-air shock. Complaining that water in China only costs 2 yuan, our MC refuses to get ripped off and spots a public drinking fountain nearby. Lin Xin walks over and starts gulping water straight from the tap, leaving the deadliest assassin in Japan standing there completely speechless. Wiping his mouth with a bright smile, our hero celebrates saving money on free tap water, making Iris question if the stingy guy is really the billionaire who bought a museum. Shaking off her confusion, Iris discreetly follows him outside, hiding behind a newspaper as Lin Xin reunites with Yuxuan at the pickup curb. Yuxuan blushes as she explains she sent Mr. Fei right away because she secretly wants to spend quality time alone with him on public transport. Lin Xin approaches a yellow taxi, but when the driver quotes a baseline fare of 152 yuan, our MC screams in financial agony. Noticing a nearby airport bus that only costs 30 yuan, Lin Xin convinces Yuxuan to ride the bus instead, to which she happily agrees. As the two walk toward the bus stop to enjoy the local views, Iris Sato watches from behind, thoroughly baffled that an alleged multi-billionaire is taking a cheap bus. They eventually arrive at their hotel lobby, where Lin Xin hands the receptionist a stack of promo coupons to shave 10 yuan off their room bill. Feeling immensely satisfied after saving 30 extra yuan with his discount vouchers, Lin Xin struts off happily while the assassin glares at him, convinced he's just a cheap, penny-pinching fraud. Watching Lin Xin use cheap coupons, Iris Sato assumes he's just Yuxuan's poor assistant and wonders where the real billionaire target is. Lowering her face mask, the female assassin decides to interrogate the assistant directly to find out her target's location. Later that night at 10 p.m., Lin Xin is chilling in his hotel room in his shorts, crushing a mobile game when someone knocks at his door. Setting his phone down, our MC walks over to the door and checks through the peephole to see who's outside. On the other side stands Iris Sato, disguised as a busty hotel room service waitress carrying a tray of snacks and red wine. Lin Xin lets her inside, playing along even though he knows he never ordered room service. As she serves the snack platter, Lin Xin casually picks up a fruit slice and takes a bite. Instantly, a system notification pops up warning him that the food contains truth serum, which is immediately purged by his passive immunity skill. Recognizing the military-grade potion, Lin Xin realizes she was sent by Kameda and decides to trick the assassin at her own game. Pretending the serum is kicking in, our MC dramatically clutches his head and complains about feeling dizzy. Seeing him fall for it, Iris Sato smiles in satisfaction, asking him where the wealthy Lin Xin is staying. A system panel pops up displaying her profile as Sato Kite, opening a new counterattack mission with a negative 30% favorability rating. Playing the role of a brainwashed victim, Lin Xin drools foolishly and blurts out that he loves pretty faces and big chests. Iris blushes red and covers her chest in disgust, while Lin Xin secretly laughs at how truth serum makes weak, willed people spill their thoughts. Recovering her composure, Iris puts on a fake sweet persona, asking him again to reveal where his wealthy boss is hiding. Smirking internally, Lin Xin pats the couch space next to him, telling her he's too hungry to remember unless she feeds him directly. Gritting her teeth to complete the mission, Iris reluctantly agrees and sits right beside him on the sofa. She feeds him fruit slices while sitting on his lap, persistently asking if he remembers where his boss is. Pretending to be under a spell, Lin Xin whispers the billionaire refuses to show up until the auction starts to look classy, matching her intelligence report. Believing she got the exact information she needed, Iris leans over him on the couch with a dark smirk. Whispering close to his face, she playfully offers to play an amazing game with him. Without warning, Iris delivers a lightning-fast high kick straight toward his head, but Lin Xin effortlessly blocks her strike with his bare arm. To keep up his act, our MC sticks his tongue out and fakes getting knocked unconscious anyway. Putting her mask back on, Iris looks down at him, satisfied that the potion's memory wipe effect will erase everything when he wakes up. She quietly slips out of the room and slams the heavy door shut behind her. The door locks securely, leaving the hotel room completely silent once again. The moment she leaves, Lin Xin sits straight up and flexes his arm, noting that her kick was surprisingly strong and eager for the auction war to begin. On the day of the grand event, sunlight shines bright over the massive International Auction Convention Hall. Inside the venue, attendees bow respectfully as Chairman Komido arrives, flanked by his bodyguards and Iris Sato in her assassin outfit. Iris whispers to her master, offering to ambush the target at the entrance, but Komido coldly turns her down. Smirking arrogantly, Komido mocks the Chinese billionaire, assuming he's hiding out of pure cowardice and panic. His associate Tao Jun agrees, while Iris Sato adds that Chinese people are wretched, timid mice, citing the assistant she encountered yesterday. Suddenly, Iris notices a massive crowd of guests gathered in the center of the hall, whispering in excitement. Pushing through to look, Iris sees Xia Yuxuan standing next to a sharply dressed man, making Tao Jun scream out in horror. Holding a wine glass with a confident smirk, the handsome billionaire standing beside her is none other than Lin Xin himself. Pointing in utter disbelief, Tao Jun shouts that he's already here, leaving Iris Sato screaming in shock as she realizes the assistant was the billionaire. Striding right up to them, Lin Xin looks Komido up and down and openly calls him out by name with pure disrespect. Cold sweat drips down Iris Sato's face as she realizes she was completely fooled and played like a puppet. Chairman Komido glares sideways at Iris with terrifying rage, cursing his top assassin as a useless fool. Tao Jun barks at Lin Xin for disrespecting Komido, but our hero mockingly bows and invites the old man to enter the hall first. Forcing a fake smile, Komido welcomes the young Chinese guest, warning him that he better not disappoint him inside. Lin Xin grins back with absolute confidence, promising to give the arrogant chairman a surprise he'll never forget. Inside the main hall, a kimono-clad hostess steps up to the podium and officially welcomes guests to the prestigious Apontang charity auction. She announces that 90% of the funds will go to world relief before introducing the prominent figures attending from across the globe. She first introduces Mr. Takedo Komido, the influential president of the Komido Shoji Consortium. Next, she acknowledges Andy John representing England's wealthy elite. She continues introducing Louisiana from France and Babak representing Saudi Arabia's billionaires. Finally, she announces Lin Xin from China, prompting the high society crowd to whisper in confusion over his unfamiliar name. Surrounding snobs snicker among themselves, assuming Lin Xin is just a random nouveau rich who came to show off. Ignoring all the mocking whispers around him, Lin Xin suddenly stands up from his seat and walks directly toward the main stage, leaving the hostess utterly confused. Taking the microphone on stage, Lin Xin politely introduces himself to the crowd and offers a few opening words. As Yuxuan admires him from her seat, our MC boldly declares that he will personally reclaim every single Chinese artifact at this auction, no matter how high the cost. He then announces a wild game to the audience, promising to double whatever amount he spends today and donate it straight to charity. Before stepping down, Lin Xin leaves everyone with a sarcastic warning to raise their bids higher, directly mocking Chairman Komido in front of the entire hall. The audience explodes into loud whispers, with some calling him an arrogant brat, while others admit his charitable double donation flex is pretty cool. Gritting his teeth, Komido dismisses Lin Xin's grand speeches as a pathetic bluff from a clueless clown. His assistant leans in to report that foreign billionaires brought up to 5 billion yuan, but Komido's massive 8 billion fund is more than enough to dominate the room. The assistant reminds him that winning the auction will headline major news outlets, skyrocket his company stock, and guarantee political victory for his faction. Visualizing himself stomping on Lin Xin like an insect, Komido smirks evil-mindedly, eager to crush the young man on his path to ultimate glory. Returning to the podium, the hostess officially starts the event, presenting the first item, a Shoto air incense burner starting at 8 million. Komido's assistant immediately raises paddle number 1, jumping the bid straight to 30 million as the hostess calls for higher offers. Sitting quietly beside his staff, Komido keeps an eye on the crowd, waiting for the real prize to appear. Sitting next to Yuxuan, Lin Xin flips through the auction catalog and questions if an exported Arhat statue is even worth purchasing. Yuxuan softly explains that ancient artifacts designed for export often possess slightly unique styles compared to traditional pieces. Touched by her deep cultural knowledge, Lin Xin compliments her passion, telling her that serious and intelligent women are the absolute best. Yuxuan blushes crimson at his sweet words, boosting her system favorability rating even higher. Floating heart effects surround the flirtatious duo, leaving the surrounding wealthy bidders completely baffled by their sudden romance. Glaring over at them, Kamita sneers to himself, preparing to unleash a relentless financial attack once Chinese relics come up. The hostess brings out the second item, a rare Qing Dynasty blue and white peacock plate starting at 10 million. Without wasting a single second, Lin Xin raises paddle number 8 to enter the race. Bidders from England, France, and Saudi Arabia smirk alongside Kamita, eager to watch the young man get outbid. But Lin Xin casually opens with an absurd jump bid of 300 million yuan. The international billionaires freeze in absolute terror, utterly stunned by such an unhinged opening bid for a 10 million item. Kamita scoffs at the bid, assuming the kid is just desperately overpaying to prove his worth. When his assistant asks if they should counter, Kamita orders him to stand down, claiming the plate isn't worth going over 300 million. With no one daring to challenge the insane price, the hostess slams her gavel and awards the peacock plate to Lin Xin. Taking Yuxuan's hand gently, Lin Xin whispers that he bought the 300 million relic purely as a gift to match her beauty. Surrounding guests gasp at his lavish generosity, whispering that spending hundreds of millions just to impress a girl is total madness. Yuxuan blushes brightly and thanks him from the bottom of her heart, deeply touched by his grand gesture. Seeing the couple flaunt their romance right in front of them, jealous male attendees clench their fists in pure rage. Next, the hostess presents the third item, a Japanese 8-foot Magatama jewel starting at 8 million. Wanting to secure a local treasure, Kamita bids 200 million, only for Lin Xin to instantly raise paddle 8 and quote 500 million. Kamita's entourage panics in anger, realizing the Chinese billionaire is buying Japanese artifacts just to spite their master. Kamita closes his eyes tightly, forcing himself to stay calm while dismissing Lin Xin's provocation as childish games. Uncontested once again, the hostess slams her gavel, declaring Lin Xin the winner of the Magatama jewel for 500 million. Standing up from his seat, Lin Xin announces to the entire hall that he is gifting the 500 million jewel directly to Ms. Sato Kite. Hearing her top secret assassin name called out publicly, Iris Sato freezes in complete shock, blushing uncontrollably as Lin Xin thanks her for yesterday's message. Furious, Kamita demands to know if she leaked her identity to the enemy, forcing a panicked Iris to swear she never said a word. When Iris offers to reject the gift, Kamita sternly orders her to accept it, refusing to look like a fool who turns down free money. Iris submissively obeys her master's command, but her annoyance toward Lin Xin drops her favorability by 10%. Seeing her points drop, Lin Xin laughs internally, thoroughly enjoying Kamita's twisted, furious expression. Iris glares back at him in frustration, blaming our hero for ruining her standing with her master. But as she looks at the priceless artifact, her heart softens, realizing this is the very first time anyone has ever given her a gift. As her favorability ticks back up by 5%, Lin Xin checks his system screen in utter confusion. Remembering his previous childish behavior, Iris pouts angrily, dropping her points down by another 3%. Lin Xin drops a sweat drop, completely bewildered by her constantly swinging mood. He crosses his arms in frustration as system notifications rapidly spam positive and negative points back and forth. Leaning back comfortably, Lin Xin mockingly thanks the crowd for not bidding against him and announces he'll sit out non-Chinese items. Kamita sits back in his chair fuming with rage, vowing that the arrogant young man won't be smiling for long. Unaware of the drama, the hostess moves on the next item, presenting Lin Xin era paint bottles starting at 5 million yuan. Bidding opens for the Japanese paint bottles, with an English buyer raising paddle 7 to bid 8 million. Louisiana from France jumps in at 10 million, followed by Babak from Saudi Arabia, who raises the stakes to 30 million. Kamita's assistant raises paddle 1, immediately topping everyone with an 80 million yuan offer. With no further bids, the hostess slams her gavel and sells the Lin Xin paint bottles to Kamita for 80 million. Surrounding attendees applaud respectfully, praising Kamita for his bold purchase and offering their congratulations. Chao Zheng whispers to Kamita, warning him that the crowd is secretly watching Lin Xin, who dictated the win by barely moving a finger. Furious that his assistant is giving credit to the enemy, Kamita slaps Cao Zheng hard across the face, telling him to shut up. Clutching his swollen red cheek, Cao Zheng trembles and apologizes profusely for speaking out of line. Lin Xin rests his cheek on his hand, playfully teasing the room that he's ready to bid now since the next item is a Chinese relic. Kamita crosses his arms and grunts in annoyance, while Cao Zheng sulks quietly in shame beside him. The hostess presents the fifth item, a priceless 1,000-mile landscape painting from China's late Tang dynasty, starting at 80 million. Bidders across the hall frantically wave their paddles, driving the price up from 100 million to 300 million within seconds. Stepping in aggressively, Kamita raises paddle 1 and jumps the bid straight to 800 million. Yawning lazily, Lin Xin raises paddle 8 and casually throws out a staggering 2 billion yuan offer. Surrounding bidders gasp in utter disbelief, unable to process such an absurd leap in price. Unwilling to back down easily, rival international buyers scream out a counteroffer of 2.5 billion. Enraged by the defiance, Kamita screams at the top of his lungs, matching the 2.5 billion bid with veins bulging on his neck. His assistant panics, reminding him that overspending here ruins their plan to acquire all relics, but Kamita angrily shouts that his family's pride is at stake, Smirking at the old man's meltdown, Lin Xin raises paddle 8 and casually pushes the price to 3 billion yuan. Refusing to be outdone, Kamita leaps up from his chair and roars out a bid of 3.5 billion. With a relaxed smile, Lin Xin immediately responds by raising paddle 8 to 4 billion. The entire hall erupts into chaotic chatter, astonished that an item worth 200 million was just inflated 20 times over. As Kamita goes to raise his paddle again, his assistant and Iris Sato frantically grab his arm to stop him. A sinister, cunning smile slowly spreads across Kamita's face as he realizes the trap he can set. Kamita lowers his paddle and sneers at Lin Xin, mockingly letting him take the painting for 4 billion yuan. The crowd praises Kamita's psychological warfare, assuming he intentionally drove up the price to drain Lin Xin's limited financial resources. Both men stare each other down across the room, each confident that they are playing the other like a fool. The hostess slams her gavel, officially awarding the 4 billion yuan Tang Dynasty painting to Lin Xin. Kamita immediately instructs his assistant to mortgage his real estate and secure an emergency 10 billion yuan loan from partner firms. He calculates that draining Lin Xin's funds early will force the young man to gamble everything on the final lot, the glazed guanyin. Kamita visualizes holding Lin Xin in his palm, convinced that failing to complete his promise will destroy the Chinese billionaire's entire reputation. Clenching his fist, Kamita vows to secure the glazed guanyin at all costs to gain absolute leverage over Lin Xin. His assistant agrees, speculating that Lin Xin is backed by a patriotic Chinese syndicate, making this an ideological war. The assistant declares his battle must be won, while Iris Sato quietly processes the high-stakes conflict between both nations. Realizing Lin Xin is fighting to restore China's national pride, Iris Sato blushes softly, viewing him in a surprisingly heroic light. Despite her growing admiration, Iris reminds herself that as Kamita's assassin, Lin Xin is still her sworn enemy, boosting her favorability by 5%. Lin Xin clutches his head in utter frustration as system favorability notifications randomly spike up and down again. Moving along, the hostess introduces the sixth item, a Song Dynasty Buddha head starting at 100 million yuan. Lin Xin opens with 500 million, but Kamita instantly counters with 1 billion as their fierce bidding war resumes. Lin Xin bumps it to 1.5 billion, while Kamita glares back, vowing to prevent him from getting an easy win. Onlookers marvel at Kamita's relentless strategy, predicting that Lin Xin will financially collapse if he keeps taking the bait. Over the next several rounds, Lin Xin repeatedly wins Chinese relics against artificial price hikes, spending a staggering 6.8 billion yuan. Meanwhile, Kamita intentionally hoards non-Chinese items, amassing a massive remaining war chest of 12.8 billion yuan. Finally, the hostess announces the event's grand climax, the legendary glazed guanyin statue from China's Yuan dynasty. Flanked by guards on stage, the breathtaking white guanyin statue is unveiled with a starting price of 400 million yuan. Envisioning himself executing his rival, Kamita prepares to unleash his entire 12.8 billion fortune to crush Lin Xin once and for all. As the hostess officially opens bidding for the Yuan dynasty guanyin, both rivals prepare to raise their paddles. Raising paddle 8 with a lazy yawn, Lin Xin bids 1 billion, announcing he wants to win this final piece so he can go home. Kamita instantly counters with 1.5 billion, smirking evilly that the real showdown has finally begun. The audience cheers in excitement, eager to watch Kamita release all his accumulated momentum in this final billion-dollar battle. As the intense bidding war continues, the auction crowd described the clash as a fierce battle between a dragon and an eagle, noting that the young man from China seems to be in serious trouble. Meanwhile, Lin Xin sits calmly beside his companion and mockingly hopes that Kamita can maintain his composure, teasing him for hiding in the crowd like a shrinking coward. With a smug grin, Lin Xin mockingly asks if Kamita is terrified of losing at the last second and never being able to hold his head high in his own country again. Without showing an ounce of hesitation, Lin Xin casually raises his paddle and bids 3 billion. Annoyed by his confidence, Kamita snaps back, claiming Lin Xin has already spent 8.3 billion and couldn't possibly have more funds left than him. Driven by anger, Kamita immediately raises paddle number 1 to push the bid up to 4 billion. Unfazed by the massive increase, Lin Xin simply smirks, amused by Kamita's absolute confidence in his remaining budget. Irritated by his opponent's calm reaction, Kamita glares with popping veins and angrily dares him to keep bidding. Lin Xin smoothly raises the price to 5 billion, but Kamita counters right away with 6 billion. Lin Xin instantly pushes it to 7 billion, forcing a heavily sweating Kamita to jump all the way to 9 billion. When Lin Xin casually jumps to 12 billion, an enraged Kamita completely loses his mind and screams out 16 billion. Seeing the price reach astronomical heights, the blue-haired girl beside Lin Xin grows worried and warns him that the amount is getting way out of hand. Kamita's assistant panics, reminding him that their actual funds are only 12.8 billion, but Kamita furiously insists his pride is on the line and he can liquidate his manners and stocks. The entire audience watches the bidding war in total disbelief, wondering if they are witnessing a battle between gods. Sweating profusely, the auctioneer calls out 16 billion for the first time, asking the hall if anyone else dares to step forward. Kamita glares intensely toward Lin Xin, arrogantly taunting the young man and asking if he's too scared to continue. With no immediate counteroffer, the auctioneer raises her gavel and calls out 16 billion for the second time. Desperate to stop the disaster, the assistant begs Kamita to reconsider, warning that throwing away his last assets for a single item will bankrupt him. However, Kameda secretly schemes that once Lin Xin loses, the group behind him will be forced to buy the relic from him, clearing his debt and netting him massive profits. Hearing the reasoning behind the scheme, Kameda's men suddenly realize what their boss is actually trying to accomplish. But the pink-haired woman points out a massive flaw, asking what happens if Lin Xin simply chooses not to buy the relic from them. Furious that anyone would question his judgment, Kameda snaps at her and declares that Lin Xin will eventually get down on his knees and beg like a dog for it. Right at that moment, Lin Xin cheekily lowers his paddle and announces that he'll kindly let his brother Kameda keep the big treasure. Caught off guard, the auctioneer slams her gavel, declaring bidder number 1 as the winner of the glazed guanian for 16 billion. The entire hall erupts into applause as the audience celebrates what they believe to be a historic record that won't be broken for 50 years. With a strained expression, the assistant nervously turns to Kameda to break the news that he actually won the auction. Kameda sits completely frozen in his chair with a blank gaze, trembling as he tries to digest the horrifying reality that he won. A moment later, the sound of calm footsteps echoes across the hall as someone slowly walks toward Kameda's seat. Trying desperately to save face, Kameda stands up and mockingly asks Lin Xin why he brought so little money after claiming he would reclaim all Chinese relics. He continues to taunt the young man, loudly declaring that his supposed sense of patriotism is completely worthless. The pink-haired assistant then steps forward and presents a ceremonial samurai katana to her master. Unscrewing the blade slightly, Kameda arrogantly preaches about samurai honor and how disgraceful losers like Lin Xin ought to feel. He throws the katana directly at Lin Xin's feet, claiming that the only honorable path left for a failure is to commit seppuku. Remaining completely unfazed by the threat, Lin Xin reaches down and casually picks up the sword. Kameda smugly adds that he knows a coward like him would never dare perform seppuku, so he's generously offering him another way out. Gesturing to the glazed guanian statue, Kameda offers to resell it to Lin Xin right now for 19.9 billion. With a sly grin, Kameda tells him this is his last chance to complete his mission and avoid dying of total shame. Unbothered by the pressure, Lin Xin points a finger at Kameda and mockingly remarks on how pathetically cowardly he looks. Enraged by his calm posture, Kameda and his associate yell at him, warning that acting arrogant won't lower the price by a single penny. Without arguing back, Lin Xin slowly pushes himself up from his chair. Standing directly in front of Kameda, he smoothly adjusts his tie with a calm, subtle smile. Leaning closer, Lin Xin looks down at Kameda and flatly tells him that he really is a bad dog. He doubles down on the insult by calling him a bad fat dog, leaving Kameda thoroughly bewildered by his words. Lin Xin then asks if Tao Jun was the one who told him that he came here to buy back every Chinese relic, while Kameda wonders if he's just terrified and looking for an excuse. Crouching beside the statue, Lin Xin tells Kameda to think very carefully about his exact words, giving him a big hint regarding ancient Chinese export cultural relics. A sudden wave of realization strikes Kameda, leaving his eyes wide in absolute horror. Realizing he was completely played, an enraged Kameda turns around and delivers a violent slap straight across his informant's face. The brutal force of the strike sends the man flying through the air before he crashes hard onto the floor. Holding his swollen cheek, the informant lies on the floor in total confusion, wondering why he was suddenly struck. Hyperventilating in pure panic, Kameda finally realizes that Lin Xin only intended to reclaim relics that were stolen by Japan, not exported trade goods like this statue. Lin Xin points out that the glazed guanian was actually a commodity exported to Japan in ancient China, meaning it holds no real historical weight as a stolen relic despite having basic cultural value. Pointing at the statue's facial features, he adds that this specific style went out of fashion back in the Tang dynasty, proving it was created purely as an export item. He then gives Kameda a smug look, teasingly asking if he went completely bankrupt just to buy a piece he can't even handle. Realizing the massive financial trap he walked into, Kameda stands frozen in pure horror as his face turns completely pale. Enraged by the betrayal, Kameda orders his men to grab the informant Tao Jun and drag him away while the man desperately begs for mercy. The blue-haired girl sighs in relief, admitting she was terrified he was actually bidding, but Lin Xin playfully reminds her that to trick an enemy, you must first deceive your own allies. Immediately after, a large crowd of foreign museum representatives and eager admirers surrounds Lin Xin, showering him with praises and invitations. The spectators burst into hysterical laughter, mocking Kameda for spending a mind-boggling 16 billion on a common export statue. Overwhelmed by sheer rage and humiliation, Kameda screams out in pain as he clutches his chest and collapses to the floor. His eyes bulge in agony as the shock of losing his entire fortune physically overwhelms his body. Trembling uncontrollably, he grips his chest tightly in a desperate attempt to catch his breath. Unable to stay upright, he collapses hard onto his knees before the eyes of the entire room. As Kameda lies panting on the ground, Lin Xin calmly steps right in front of his face. Looking down at the broken man, Lin Xin mockingly tells Kameda that he really ought to take better care of his health. Watching Lin Xin calmly walk away, Kameda glares with eyes filled with burning hatred. He reaches into his robes and pulls out a hidden cell phone. Barking into the receiver, Kameda orders all of his hired samurais and ninjas to mobilize at once. He demands that they recover every single relic Lin Xin bought and eliminate the young man before the next morning's sun rises. Shortly after, the scene shifts to the Chinese embassy in Japan. Inside, an official warmly thanks Lin Xin on behalf of the embassy for spending his own money to secure China's lost cultural treasures. Aware of Komeda's ruthless reputation, the official promises that the embassy will do everything in its power to guarantee Lin Xin's protection. Lin Xin expresses his gratitude but asks to borrow a vehicle, surprising the official who realizes Lin Xin plans to leave the safe compound. Terrified for his safety, the blue-haired girl grabs his arm and begs him not to venture outside where danger awaits. Gently holding her hands, Lin Xin reassures her with a warm smile, promising that everything will turn out fine. Reluctantly accepting his word, she nods softly, tears glistening in her eyes as she trusts him. Arriving alone in the underground parking garage, Lin Xin reflects that hiding away is simply not his style after Komeda tried to push him around. Clicking the car remote, he resolves that he cannot leave Japan without permanently settling his score with Komeda. Suddenly, two sharp shurikens slice through the air straight toward him. With lightning-fast reflexes, Lin Xin effortlessly tilts his head back to dodge the incoming projectiles. Out from the shadows steps the pink-haired ninja, wielding twin swords and wearing a tight black assassin outfit. Lin Xin turns around calmly and notes she arrived earlier than expected, playfully asking why she isn't wearing the Magatama ornament he gifted her earlier. Flustered by his flirty remark, she stammers back while Lin Xin casually insists the piece matches her eyes perfectly. Regaining her composure, she sternly warns him that Seido ninjas strictly execute their employer's orders and cannot be bribed. Hearing that it's purely business, Lin Xin smiles and offers to hire her entire clan on the spot for double whatever Komeda paid. She takes offense, insisting her clan never breaks contracts, but Lin Xin shrewdly points out that a contract naturally terminates if the employer fails their end. Refusing to debate any longer, she yells at him to shut up and leaps into the air with a vicious downward strike. Lin Xin calmly sways back, allowing the twin blades to slice harmlessly past his face. As she lands, the ninja grows frustrated, wondering how a guy with no obvious martial arts training keeps dodging every attack. Deciding to stop holding back, her eyes narrow as she prepares to execute a far more dangerous technique. She swiftly shifts her grip on the hilts, preparing a lethal martial arts maneuver. Sensing the sudden change in her momentum, Lin Xin looks slightly surprised. A massive shockwave erupts as her strike impacts the ground, forcing Lin Xin to take a defensive stance. Thick white smoke fills the parking garage, momentarily blinding visibility across the entire area. Lin Xin scans his surroundings through the dense mist, keeping his guard up. Out of nowhere, the ninja drops from above and wraps her thighs firmly around his neck in a deadly flying grapple. Positioning her dual katanas directly above him, she prepares to deliver a finishing blow. Lin Xin strains under the sudden leverage of her submission lock as sweat drips down his temple. But instead of panicking, Lin Xin firmly grabs her thighs with both hands, completely halting her downward momentum. The ninja is left stunned by his sheer brute force, knowing it should be virtually impossible to exert power from such an awkward position. Realizing raw strength alone won't break her grip easily, she squeezes tighter, knowing the arterial pressure from her leg lock can knock him out cold. To break her tight leg lock, Lin Xin bites down hard on her inner thigh. Stung by the sudden bite, the ninja recoils in pain as Lin Xin breaks free and coughs to catch his breath. Glaring at the fresh bite mark left on her thigh, she angrily curses him for resorting to such a shameless tactic. Lin Xin nonchalantly adjusts his tie, pointing out that since she's a trained killer, any dirty trick is fair game as long as it gets him the win. Dropping low into a crouched stance, Lin Xin coldly announces that it's now his turn to attack. In the blink of an eye, he bursts forward with tremendous speed straight toward her. The ninja's eyes widen in sheer panic as she fails to track his sudden burst of speed. She desperately raises both of her katanas in an attempt to block his incoming strike. Before she can even react, Lin Xin grabs her arms and instantly disarms her twin blades. Pinning her securely against the SUV, Lin Xin smirks as he announces that he finally caught her. When she tries to sneak a knee strike between his legs, Lin Xin casually blocks it with his own leg while teasing her reaction. Without holding back, he delivers a sharp headbutt straight to her forehead to completely daze her. Her twin katanas slip from her hands and clatter harmlessly onto the concrete floor. Panting slightly, Lin Xin rubs his forehead, noting internally that defeating a level 3 attribute ninja takes quite an effort. Realizing he won't survive against an entire army of samurais and ninjas at once, he knows he needs to come up with a clever plan. He binds her securely to the front of his vehicle and inspects all the gear confiscated from her gear pouch. Inspecting a small vial found hidden in her attire, Lin Xin playfully identifies it as a truth serum. Pulling down her mask slightly, he forces the serum into her mouth, telling her it's time to spill everything she knows. As she slowly regains consciousness, Lin Xin urges her to wake up since he's on a tight schedule. Shocked to find herself tied to the car hood, she panics while Lin Xin cheerfully informs that the interrogation has begun. Defiant, she admits her failure but proudly claims her professional training will prevent her from breaking under any torture. Unbothered by her defiance, Lin Xin simply smirks and asks if that's really true. In one smooth motion, Lin Xin uses her own blade to instantly cut through her bindings. Tossing the weapon aside, he tells her there's no reason to keep her tied up, leaving the assassin stunned that he's releasing her without asking anything. Lin Xin explains that his only concern is how to stop her from hunting him without killing her, since her death would cost him money. Touched and shocked by his genuine concern for her life, her cheeks turn bright red. She shyly turns her head away, wondering why he's being so kind to her, which instantly boosts her favorability toward him. Without waiting for a response, Lin Xin climbs into his SUV and slams the door shut. She rushes to his window and anxiously asks if he's going after Komet alone, to which he replies that he has no choice since she wouldn't talk. Cracking under her concern for him, she blurts out Komeda's exact villa address and warns him about the 8 armed samurais and 6 ninjas guarding it. Lin Xin warmly thanks her for the detailed intel, while she flusteringly stammers that she only told him so he'd realize he's walking into his death. She reflects on how cruel Komeda is to everyone and how much she wishes to escape, though her clan's strict rules bind her. Placing a gentle hand on her shoulder, Lin Xin promises that after his upcoming talk with Komeda, the old man will grant whatever request he makes. He softly advises her to go find a safe place to hide while he takes care of business. With that, Lin Xin drives his SUV up the ramp and leaves the parking garage while she watches him depart. Watching his car disappear, her heart flutters as she realizes she's never met anyone like him, causing her favorability to shoot up even higher. Suddenly, her romantic train of thought is broken when she senses a hostile presence drawing close. Other masked ninjas surround her as their commander reports into his radio that Sato Kite has failed her mission and appears to have turned traitor. Realizing her own clan now views her as a traitor, Kite stands frozen in horror. Meanwhile, out on a private island, Komeda's fortified ocean villa sits heavily guarded under the night sky. Inside the mansion, Komeda screams into his radio after his ambush team reports that they lost track of Lin Xin's vehicle. Furious at their incompetence, Komeda orders all ninjas near the embassy to redirect their search and hunt Lin Xin down immediately. Back inside his villa room, Komeda stands over Sato Kite, who has been captured and wired up to an electric shock device. Komeda violently grabs her hair and demands to know Lin Xin's whereabouts, but Kite tearfully insists she was disarmed and knows nothing. Refusing to believe that Lin Xin let her go unharmed, Komeda cold-bloodedly presses the button on the shock remote. Massive electrical currents course through her body, causing her to scream out in agonizing pain. She slumps in the chair, trembling uncontrollably as smoke rises from the harsh electrical torture. Grabbing her chin, Komeda sickeningly admits he won't scar her body so he can sell her off at a high price later, leaving her horrified. Suddenly, loud explosions and gunshots echo from outside the mansion, and guards report that a lone intruder has breached the island's defenses. Hearing that the attacker is using ninja weapons to kill guards, Komeda realizes Lin Xin has arrived and orders all searchlights turned on to hunt him down. Bullets hit the grass around Lin Xin's feet as he agilely dodges the gunfire. Moving like a shadow, Lin Xin slashes the guard's neck before the shooter can even react. Spotlights instantly lock onto him from above as guards alert the entire island to his location. A squad of masked ninjas leaps down from the trees and rooftops to surround him. In mid-air, the assassins unleash a heavy barrage of shuriken and kunai directly at his position. The weapons impale the dirt right where he stood, but Lin Xin smoothly leaps back into the air. Without hesitation, Lin Xin dives straight off the high cliff edge toward the ocean below. He plunges in the dark sea water, and 6 elite ninjas immediately dive in right after him. Hearing that Lin Xin jumped into the water, Komeda sneers in victory, confident that his clan's top underwater assassins will gut him. Under the dark waves, the 6 masked ninjas quickly close in around Lin Xin from all directions. As the lethal underwater ambush unfolds beneath the ocean surface, the trap tightens around him. One of the assassins strikes first, lunging forward with his blade underwater. But Lin Xin glides through the water with terrifying speed, easily dodging the strike. Appearing instantly behind his attacker, Lin Xin draws his sword before the ninja can even turn around. With a single swift slash, Lin Xin kills the ninja, sending a cloud of red drifting into the water. He then accelerates through the current like a dolphin, moving far faster than normal humans should be able to. Seeing his unnatural speed, the remaining ninjas frantically use hand signs to signal each other to form a tight defensive circle. But Lin Xin creates a dizzying vortex of speed around them, leaving the assassins horrified by his inhuman mobility. Lin Xin smirks internally, knowing that underwater they lose their hidden weapons and speed advantage while he can comfortably hold his breath for 10 minutes. Wanting to get out of the ocean water as quickly as possible, he decides to end the battle without delay. In an instant, Lin Xin rocket launches upward from the depths with both blades bared. The ninjas begin to panic as their lungs burn from lack of oxygen. Taking advantage of their desperation, Lin Xin swiftly executes them one by one in the dark depths. With a final slash, he dispatches the last ninja, completely wiping out the entire squad. As the dead assassins sink into the abyss, their final thoughts marvel at the fact that Lin Xin didn't run out of oxygen even once. Meanwhile, inside the mansion room, Komeda notices that all the gunfire outside has suddenly fallen dead silent. Assuming his forces executed the intruder, Komeda laughs maniacally, celebrating Lin Xin's presumed death. Hearing his arrogant gloating, Kite bows her head in quiet grief, believing Lin Xin was killed. Turning his attention back to Kite, Komeda picks up a vial drug with a dropper, declaring that it's now her turn. He brutally grabs her jaw and forces several drops of the mysterious aphrodisiac liquid into her throat. He sinisterly boasts that after he finishes with her, he'll sell her off abroad and tell her clan she died during the mission. Tears stream down Kite's face as she remembers Lin Xin's gentle words, regretting that her savior met such a tragic end. Desperate, she prays with all her heart for a miracle to save her from this nightmare. Komeda licks his lips and disgustingly moves in closer, mocking her prayer. But out of nowhere, a cold voice booms from the balcony window, promising to send Kimita straight to hell instead. Lin Xin gracefully lands on the window ledge, completely soaked from the sea but entirely unharmed. Overjoyed to see him alive, Kite gasps his name as tears of relief burst from her eyes, pushing her favorability to 50%. Wiping water from his hair, Lin Xin smirks softly and apologizes for being late due to those annoying underwater ninjas. Kimita stammers in utter shock, unable to fathom how Lin Xin survived the entire elite squad. Before Kimita can call for backup, Lin Xin hurls a shuriken straight through the old man's hand, knocking the radio away. Closing the distance in a flash, Lin Xin slams Kimita hard to the ground, mocking his clueless guards who are still watching the shore. As Kimita wriths in agony on the carpet, Lin Xin coldly orders him to be quiet and stop making noise. Using his katana, Lin Xin cuts the wires freeing Kite from the torture apparatus, casually joking about his superior swimming skills. Supporting her flustered, trembling body, Lin Xin hands her a katana and asks if she wants to handle Kimita herself. Seeing the blade in her hands, Kimita immediately grovels on his knees, begging Kite frantically for forgiveness and mercy. Driven by pure vengeance, Kite grabs the old villain by his head and forces the entire bottle of aphrodisiac down his throat. Tossing the empty bottle aside, she coldly declares that a quick blade wound would be too merciful for a monster like him. As they speed away across the ocean on a motorboat, horrifying screams echo from the villa, leading Lin Xin to remark on how terrifying that potion truly is. However, as the boat glides across the water, Kite begins breathing heavily with a deep blush, admitting that Kimita Force fed her some of that same drug earlier. Unable to suppress the potent aphrodisiac any longer, Kite suddenly pounces on Lin Xin, leaving him completely caught off guard. Lin Xin nervously suggests waiting until they reach land, but Kite breathlessly tells him to keep driving while she takes the lead. She wraps her legs around him, giving in to the drug's intense heat right there on the moving boat. Embracing her warmly, Lin Xin lets her lean against him as the passion unfolds under the starry night sky. Noticing how bumpy the ride is, a flustered Lin Xin apologizes and offers to slow the boat down. But Kite softly whispers for him to keep driving just as it is, boosting her favorability towards him even further. Throwing caution to the wind, the two spend a passionate night together aboard the speeding vessel. By the time morning comes, the sun rises peacefully over the calm ocean waves. Lin Xin sits on the deck with Kite resting peacefully in his arms, reflecting on how unexpected the whole experience was. Kite mentions that with Kimita dead, she must return to her clan for punishment, but Lin Xin urges her to abandon her assassin life and live normally. With tears forming in her eyes, she explains that Sado ninjas are orphans raised solely to kill, knowing no other way of life. Hearing her plight, Lin Xin pulls out a prestigious VIP bank card and holds it out to her. Handing her the card loaded with $1 billion, he gently pats her head and tells her to spend it figuring out who she truly wants to be. Overwhelmed by his generosity, Kite breaks down in tears and tearfully thanks him from the bottom of her heart. Her favorability skyrockets to 90%, triggering massive system rewards for Lin Xin, including an attribute level up to level 4 and a new skill selection. The next day, news breaks across Japan reporting President Kimita's gruesome death, with authorities suspecting rival chaebols. Meanwhile, at the port, all the reclaimed Chinese cultural relics are safely loaded onto cargo containers bound for home. At the airport, the embassy official shakes Lin Xin's hand, thanking him for his monumental contribution to China before his flight home. Walking toward the plane, Lin Xin jokingly regrets missing Japan's hot springs, while his companion suggests returning under better circumstances next time. Their flight takes off into the clear blue sky, bringing a successful end to his mission in Japan. Down on the ground, Kite stands atop a high skyscraper, gazing up at the departing airplane. Smiling softly without her mask, she promises internally that once her personal affairs are settled, she will travel to China to find him. Upon arriving back in China, the blue-haired girl supervises workers carefully unloading the priceless antique crates. As they finish unloading, Lin Xin suddenly remembers something important he forgot earlier. Opening his system interface, he sees the skill reward timer running out after forgetting to select his choice while dealing with Kite. Looking over the choices, he immediately dismisses the useless options and selects the A-level piano proficiency skill. The system confirms his selection, unlocking master-level piano skills instantaneously. A vast stream of musical theory and technique floods into his consciousness, granting him instant mastery over the instrument. Just as he absorbs the skill, a familiar female voice calls out his name from behind. Turning around, he sees Luo Yaxi dressed in a gorgeous purple outfit, who playfully asks if he's surprised she came to pick him up. She leans affectionately against his chest, admitting how much she missed him while he was away. Surprising him with a sweet kiss on the cheek, she ignores the blue-haired girl watching from behind them. She suggests getting dinner before checking out a 90-square-meter apartment worth 1.5 million yuan that she picked out. Hearing the modest price tag, Lin Xin laughs and insists that 1.5 million is far too cheap, proposing to buy the most expensive villa available instead. Excited to splurge and max out Lu Yaxi's 95% favorability, Lin Xin leads her toward the ride-share vehicle he ordered. Seeing him leave, the blue-haired girl calls out in surprise, asking where he's heading off to. Lin Xin stammers out a quick excuse about meeting friends as he flags down his ride. Looking at Lu Yaxi, the blue-haired girl innocently assumes that the person picking him up must be a very close friend. Before Lin Xin can clarify, the blue-haired girl suddenly leans in and plants a soft kiss on his opposite cheek. Blushing heavily, she softly thanks him for risking so much and working so hard during their perilous operation in Japan. As she turns around to manage the shipping crates, Lin Xin touches his warm cheek in disbelief, wondering if he just got kissed back to back. Liu Yaxi calls him over into the car, leaving Lin Xin relieved that he somehow avoided an awkward confrontation between the two women. Soon after, they arrive at Daili Yipan, the premier ultra-luxury villa development in the city. Awestruck by the opulent sales hall, Liu Yaxi gasps in shock, while Lin Xin casually explains that a wealthy friend recommended this exact location. He recalls how the property owner enthusiastically directed him to Dragon Court No. 1, the absolute crown jewel of the development. As a sales representative approaches, Liu Yaxi anxiously whispers that even the cheapest villa here costs over 100 million. Unbothered by the price, Lin Xin directly tells the receptionist that he came to inspect Dragon Court No. 1 villa. Assuming they are just penniless vloggers looking to film content, the receptionist politely passes them off to another agent while handing over a brochure. Looking at the pamphlet, Liu Yaxi gasps when she sees that Dragon Court No. 1 costs $300 million, asking if it's too much. Lin Xin looks her in the eye and gently explains that since this is her first home, he refuses to cut corners and insists on giving her the absolute best. Deeply touched by his romantic devotion, Liu Yaxi gazes at him as her favorability shoots up to an astonishing 98%. Overjoyed, Lin Xin celebrates internally as he boosts Liu Yaxi's favorability while earning massive system cash back. Just then, a flashy middle-aged man in a brown fedora and gold chains enters the hall alongside a glamorous woman holding a luxury handbag. The man brags to his companion about viewing Dragon Court No. 1, casually claiming he can purchase it in a heartbeat if he likes it. Approaching the model display, the man notices Lin Xin and asks if he's also here to buy a villa. Unaware of the newcomers, Liu Yaxi marvels at the brochure pictures, excitedly showing Lin Xin the gorgeous balcony and pool layout. Smirking patronizingly, the man chuckles about how funny it is that the young guy also fancies Dragon Court No. 1. Lin Xin casually replies that since they already decided to buy Dragon Court No. 1, the couple should check out Villa 2 or 3 instead. Surprised by their bold claim, the man chuckles sarcastically, questioning how a young kid could afford such an expensive mansion. Excusing himself, Lin Xin asks a staff member for the restroom and steps away for a moment. In the restroom, Lin Xin washes his hands at the sink. Suddenly, the bathroom door kicks open, and the man in the fedora struts inside behind him. Leaning against the counter with a cigarette, he smugly asks Lin Xin if he's stuck in an awkward dilemma. He lights his cigarette with a metallic click. Grinning widely, he remarks that the gorgeous girl Lin Xin brought along is way out of his league. Confused by the guy's sudden unsolicited commentary, Lin Xin asks him what he's talking about. The man boasts that Lin Xin's act as a wealthy hair looks totally fake, while proudly bragging about his own perfect, rich routine. Lin Xin stands completely dumbfounded by the man's wild delusion. Slapping a hand on Lin Xin's shoulder, he pulls out a keyring full of high-in-car keys and offers to teach him his pickup secrets. Clicking one of the keys, a flame pops out, exposing that all his luxury car keys are actually fake lighters used to trick impressionable women. He continues lecturing Lin Xin on how a true fake hair should dress, claiming he could spot Lin Xin as an amateur from a mile away. Admitting he also lied to his date about buying a villa, he offers to sell Lin Xin a 30-day pickup guide for 998 yuan and stage a fake argument to help them both escape buying the house. Meanwhile, out in the lounge, Nini stands near Liu Yaxi while they browse the real estate catalogs. Glancing at Liu Yaxi's crocodile handbag, Nini snidely remarks that her Hermes bag is a surprisingly convincing knockoff. Unbothered, Liu Yaxi simply replies that she bought the bag directly from an official Hermes boutique. Nini smiles patronizingly, telling her not to be defensive since they are supposedly in the same line of work. She whispers that they are both just fake socialites trying to trap rich men, leaving Liu Yaxi shocked by her assumptions. Proudly showing off her Chanel bag, Nini boasts about her wealthy partner while bashing Lin Xin as an obvious fake hair. Nini generously promises to help expose Lin Xin so Liu Yaxi can dump him, but Liu Yaxi politely reassures her that Lin Xin is wonderful. Nini offers to introduce her to high society socialites, while Liu Yaxi watches Lin Xin return, reaffirming her love for Dragon Court No. 1. Stepping up to the agent, Lin Xin immediately requests to complete the purchase paperwork for Dragon Court No. 1 without even touring it. Both Mr. Jin and Nini watch with smirk-filled anticipation, expecting Lin Xin's credit card to decline catastrophically. The agent swipes the card, and the machine instantly beeps, confirming a successful 300 million transaction. Handing back the receipt, Lin Xin calmly instructs the agent to put the 300 million villa entirely under Liu Yaxi's name. Liu Yaxi holds her glowing face in ecstatic shock, overjoyed that they now share a 300 million home together. Mr. Jin and Nini turn into literal stone figures, their jaws dropping to the floor in absolute disbelief. Bowing deeply, the sales agent respectfully invites the couple into a shuttle to tour their newly purchased estate. Meanwhile, Mr. Jin and Nini sit together in full clown makeup, realizing that they were the ultimate fools all along. The shuttle arrives at Dragon Court No. 1, a breathtakingly vast oceanfront mansion surrounded by lush gardens and fountains. The staff presents Lin Xin with the master keys, officially confirming him as the new master of the estate. Near the entrance gate, a guard wakes up from his nap as he hears footsteps approaching. Spotting two unfamiliar visitors, the guard's face tightens in anger. He aggressively points his baton at Lin Xin, shouting him to leave what he assumes is off-limits property. Before the guard can finish his tirade, the sales agent flies in with a brutal kick straight to his jaw. Dusting off his trousers, the agent proudly declares that he came along specifically to prevent clueless staff from offending the owner. Waving goodbye at the front gate, the agent wishes Lin Xin and Lu Yaxi a wonderful life as they enter the grounds. Inside, a full team of uniformed maids and valets stands in two neat rows, bowing respectfully to welcome their new masters. The tour continues into a private underground wine cellar stocked with thousands of rare vintages. Outside, a pristine infinity pool glimmers under the sun, overlooking scenic ocean views. Lu Yaxi gasps in awe as they pass through a state-of-the-art private gym. Finally, Lin Xin leads a blushing Lu Yaxi into the master bathroom, showing off a tub big enough for 10 people alongside an attached sauna room. Water pours from the overhead shower inside the master bathroom. Hearing a sudden gasp behind him, Lin Xin turns around in surprise. He sees Lu Yaxi drenched from head to toe, bashfully admitting she accidentally bumped the shower switch. Blushing at the sight, Lin Xin suggests she take a warm bath so she won't catch a cold. As Lin Xin offers to go grab her a fresh set of clothes, Lu Yaxi reaches out and pulls his jacket. Leaning against him, she softly asks him not to leave her alone in such a massive villa. Within moments, their clothes drop to the floor as steam fills the room. The two wrap around each other under the hot water stream, giving into the romantic atmosphere. Gazing into his eyes, she passionately confesses her deep love, raising her favorability by another 2%. System screens flash around Lin Xin, confirming that Lu Yaxi's favorability reached 100%, unlocking max loyalty, a full refund of 300 million yuan, all stats plus 1 level, and a B-rank skill reward. Realizing max favorability eliminates jealousy completely, Lin Xin smirks internally, knowing he can build his harem without any relationship drama. Before he can pick his new skill, Lu Yaxi pulls him back into her warm embrace under the water. The next morning arrives back at the university campus. In a dormitory room, an attractive blonde student stretches and yawns as she wakes up. Lu Yaxi walks in looking completely exhausted, prompting her roommate to ask where she spent the entire night. Flopping on her mattress, Lu Yaxi weakly tells her friend to just check her social media feed. Curiously, the blonde roommate picks up her phone to see what happened. On her feed, Lu Yaxi posted photos of a luxury villa, a romantic dinner, and held hands with a sweet love caption. Gritting her teeth, the blonde girl stares at the screen in disbelief, unable to accept that Lu Yaxi is with Lin Xin. Smiling dreamily, Lu Yaxi happily adds that Lin Xin bought that entire 300 million villa just for her. Jealous, the roommate snidely warns Lu Yaxi that Lin Xin is likely just playing with her feelings and using his wealth. Completely unbothered, Lu Yaxi replies that her love for Lin Xin is unbreakable, and she wouldn't even mind if he has other women. Shocked by such unconditional devotion, the roommate asks if Lu Yaxi has completely lost her mind. Closing her eyes to rest, Lu Yaxi cheekily tells her she's free to try courting Lin Xin herself if she thinks she can win him over. Biting her nails in anger, the roommate vows internally to win Lin Xin's heart and prove she's superior. A few days later, Lin Xin lies asleep in his dorm room as his phone rings off the hook with incoming birthday messages. Rubbing his sleepy eyes, Lin Xin groggily wonders why everyone is messaging him so early in the morning. Checking his screen, he sees a flood of birthday wishes from Lu Yaxi, Lu Cheng, Jiang Xian, and his fan group. A tear comes to his eye as he realizes it's his birthday, touched that girls are wishing him happy birthday for the first time in his life. He carefully types out a polite refusal, explaining that he already made plans with his dorm roommates for the day. Tossing his phone onto the bed, he chuckles that juggling multiple dates on the same day sounds like a nightmare. His three roommates step forward and generously offer to take him out for a special birthday dinner, which Lin Xin happily accepts. The three roommates exchange a sneaky, knowing glance with each other, clearly hiding a secret surprise. That evening, Lin Xin arrives at the front of a grand luxury restaurant. Looking at the opulent facade, Lin Xin wonders how his broke college roommates could afford such a high-end place. Walking through the familiar grand dining room, he recalls visiting this place before as he heads up to the third floor. Arriving on the third floor, he snaps a quick picture on his phone to let his roommates know he has arrived. He texts his roommates in the group chat, asking if they have reached the third floor entrance yet. Out of nowhere, a vain woman in a blue dress angrily confronts him, accusing him of taking creepy, candid photos of her. Sneering with disgust, she dismisses his denial and insists that all creepers say the exact same thing. Pointing her finger aggressively, she threatens to call the police if he doesn't delete the photo immediately. She loudly vents to the whole hallway, narcissistically complaining about how her beauty makes men sneak photos of her everywhere. Lin Xin flips his phone around to display his screen, proving he only took a photo of himself. Shoving the phone close to her face, he tells her to open her eyes, causing surrounding bystanders to burst into laughter. Right on cue, Lu Yaxi appears down the hallway looking stunning in her purple dress and greets him warmly. Taking Lin Xin's arm affectionately, Lu Yaxi gently leads him away into their reserved private dining room. The crowd ridicules the woman for thinking anyone would creep on her plastic face when he has a gorgeous girlfriend, leaving her boiling with humiliation. Inside the room, Lin Xin asks where his roommates are, and Lu Yaxi sweetly admits she colluded with them to set up a private birthday date. She praises his thoughtful friends who readily gave up their dinner reservation so the two lovers could spend the night together. Presenting him with a high-end luxury watch as a birthday gift, Liu Yaxi wishes him a happy birthday, while Lin Xin smiles in relief that the day ended on a sweet note. Out of nowhere, Liu Yaxi shows up wearing a stunning black dress and hands Lin Xin a present, enthusiastically wishing him a happy birthday. Lin Xin is caught completely off guard to see her, while Yaxi, who is sitting right across from him at the table, angrily demands to know why she suddenly appeared. Ignoring Yaxi's outburst, Liu Yaxi leans in close to Lin Xin and presents a high-end designer belt, claiming it is the only gift that truly matches his classy vibe. Yaxi immediately scoffs at the gift, bragging about the 200,000 yuan luxury watch she bought, but Liu Yaxi counters that spending 50,000 yuan meant giving everything she had. Indifferent to their squabbling, Lin Xin cold shoulders Liu Yaxi and tells her to take the belt back, emphasizing that he never asked her for any gifts in the first place. Surprisingly, Liu Yaxi completely misinterprets his rejection as a gesture of deep concern for her finances, causing her favorability towards Lin Xin to instantly surge to 94%. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to a live stream studio where a popular streamer named Cao Cao goes live, quickly welcoming her fans as the chat floods with excitement. Cao Cao introduces a local brand shampoo set, explaining that she reduced the price from 42 yuan down to 38 yuan and urging her audience to spam the chat if they want it. However, the viewers in the comments section remain hesitant, with many questioning the product quality and asking if she can lower the price even further. Seeing the poor initial engagement, her director holds up a sign warning that sales will be low unless they bring out their special guest right now. Cao Cao quickly pivots on camera, teasing her audience that since they aren't interested in the current deal, she has a trick up her sleeve. She introduces her mysterious guest, none other than Lin Xin, wearing a silver mask and using his famous online persona, Mr. Qian. Cao Cao excitedly asks Mr. Qian to give her viewers an unforgettable discount, and he smiles, assuring everyone that big benefits are on the way. Holding up the shampoo bottle, Mr. Qian acknowledges that while this old brand rarely drops its prices, he personally guarantees to change that today. He slashes the price down to 28 yuan by covering the 10 yuan difference himself, adding that Cao Cao will perform a talent show for every 100 sets sold within 10 minutes. With the hype fully built up, Mr. Qian begins a dramatic countdown, focusing intensely on the camera. Cao Cao joins in on the excitement, counting down 2 as the viewers prepare to buy out the stock. As soon as the timer hits 1, Mr. Qian presses the button and officially opens up product sales. Instantly, the sales counter explodes, rapidly climbing past 500 units in seconds and completely shocking Cao Cao. Mr. Qian urges her not to just stand there staring, so Cao Cao frantically offers to perform by riding a stationary bicycle. When the chat complains that plain bicycle riding sounds super boring, Mr. Qian steps in and promises to turn her performance into something way more exciting. He asks Cao Cao to get into position on the bike while he prepares an outfit change effect behind a white cloth screen. In a flash, Cao Cao transforms into a sleek, tight cycling outfit, making the stream chat go absolutely wild with praise. But right as the momentum peaks, Mr. Qian suddenly reaches out to grab the camera setup. He complains to the director that the current angle isn't doing the stream justice and insists on adjusting the camera position himself. Mr. Qian repositions the lens directly behind Cao Cao's attractive figure, panicking the stream crew who fear their channel will get banned for inappropriate content. Cao Cao quickly adjusts her position to keep things wholesome, urging her viewers to keep spamming clean comments so the channel stays online. Meanwhile, in a neighboring livestream room, rival streamer Kia Lulu is busy pushing expensive foreign clothing brands for the Double 11 festival. Despite offering VIP fan club access for big buyers, Kia Lulu notices to her dismay that barely anyone is buying her leather shoes. Her assistant suddenly rushes over and whispers the bad news that Cao Cao's stream is trending everywhere and stealing all their viewers. Elsewhere, the second-ranked streamer Shu Tanghua is trying to sell kiwi fruits directly from local farmers to skip middleman fees. But right in the middle of his pitch, his view count begins rapidly collapsing as thousands of fans leave his room. His assistant confirms his worst nightmare, revealing that almost his entire audience just migrated over to Soka's channel. Even the platform's top-ranked male beauty streamer is busy trying on makeup and promoting premium cosmetic products to his audience. He holds up a high-end lipstick set, hyping up its quality and demonstrating how amazing the shades look on camera. To prove how good it is, he applies the bright red lipstick directly to his own lips live on stream. He eagerly checks his dashboard screen, fully expecting his massive fanbase to shatter sales records instantly. Confident in his popularity, he smiles at the camera, assuming his numbers are soaring as usual. However, his assistant quickly approaches him with a worried look, showing him that viewer numbers are plummeting. Shaken by the news, the top streamer can't believe that even his top-tier room is losing viewers to an underdog channel. The assistant explains that Cao Cao's stream went completely viral because the famous Mr. Qian joined her as a guest host. Meanwhile, back on Cao Cao's broadcast, she and Mr. Qian are celebrating as orders flood in without stopping. Overwhelmed by the massive sales figures, Cao Cao warmly thanks her audience while Mr. Qian smiles approvingly in the background. She bows continuously to express her gratitude, amazed at how much Mr. Qian's presence transformed her stream. Standing tall, Mr. Qian takes the microphone to announce that this is only the beginning and more insane deals are coming. The livestream crew behind the scenes celebrates in utter shock as company executives react to the unprecedented sales surge. Mr. Kian makes a dramatic gesture, keeping the momentum going and hyping up the next phase of the show. A special promo banner flashes on screen, highlighting the energetic spinning bike performance with full team backing. Back in the top streamer's room, his assistant informs him about the exact tactics Mr. Qian is using to dominate the site. Enraged that his #1 spot is being threatened, the top streamer slams his fist and angrily demands an immediate stream PK challenge against them. A notification chime alerts the live stream room as Chaco and Mr. Qian hold up their product, completely overwhelming the audience with discounts. Mr. Qian smiles confidently at the camera, assuring Chaco that even with their massive price slashes, the overall store discount stays perfectly profitable. When rival streamers issue a PK battle, Mr. Qian calmly holds up 3 fingers and accepts, demanding that all 3 rivals face him together. Hearing his audacious condition to take on 3 top streamers at once, Chaco screams in utter disbelief and panic. Meanwhile, Lin Xin's thoughts drift back to his situation at the restaurant, baffled by how rejecting Lu Yiqing's gift somehow boosted her favorability. Right on cue, Lu Yiqing clings tightly to Lin Xin's arm with affection, while Yaxi furiously tries to pull her off him. Their noisy quarrel creates a massive scene right in the middle of the restaurant, drawing stares from all the surrounding diners. Lu Yiqing then brings out another luxurious box, gazing gently at Lin Xin and claiming she understands his true hidden desires. She opens the box to reveal an explicit reverse bunny outfit accessory, reminding him of times he supposedly brought it up before. Flustered to his core, Lin Xin shouts in embarrassment, while Yaxi snaps at Lu Yiqing for being so shamelessly thick-skinned. A female bystander at a nearby table watches the chaotic love triangle in total shock, dumbfounded that 2 gorgeous women are fighting over one guy. Hoping to settle their score, Yaxi suggests going to the washroom together, giving the observing bystander a chance to follow them. Once in the hallway, Yaxi angrily confronts Liu Yiqing, telling her that Lin Xin's feelings are clear and sticking around is completely pointless. Smirking back, Liu Yiqing refuses to back down, insisting that Lin Xin is actually showing interest in her instead. Suddenly, the busybody bystander bursts into the washroom corridor, yelling at both of them to stop arguing immediately. She lectures them dramatically, calling Lin Xin a broke scammer who isn't worth their time, leaving Yaxi confused about who she even is. Preaching about female solidarity, the woman insists that high-quality girls like them shouldn't ruin themselves over a low-quality guy. Both Yaxi and Liu Yiqing glare at her in dead silence, completely unamused by her unsolicited advice. Without saying a word, they turn right back to each other and resume their intense argument, leaving the bystander sobbing over being ignored. Back near the main hall, Lin Xin sneaks toward the elevators to escape the endless drama, only for a familiar voice to call out his name. He turns around to find Xia Yuxuan dressed in an elegant gown, pleasantly surprised to run into her at the hotel. Scratching his head sheepishly, Lin Xin admits he originally planned to dine with his roommates before getting dragged into chaotic plans. Xia Yuxuan smiles warmly, revealing that her family is also dining here tonight and calling their unexpected meeting fate. Taking his hands, she happily updates Lin Xin on their cultural relics exhibition, confirming that all the promotion and prep work are ready. Right at that moment, the busybody woman steps out into the hallway and spots Lin Xin holding hands with Xia Yuxuan. She clutches her head in absolute disbelief, enraged that yet another top-tier beauty is with him, vowing to expose him as a player. As they walk back through the venue, Xia Yuxuan explains that she only stepped away from her family table to greet an incoming close friend. When Lin Xin asks if the friend is male or female, Xia Yuxuan chuckles and mentions she is a female friend she has known for years. Looking toward the entrance, Xia Yuxuan spots her arriving guests and calls out to her friend Cyan. A stunning, well-endowed woman in a red dress named Jiang Jian waves back enthusiastically, accompanied by her parents. Xia Yuxuan greets Uncle Jiang and his wife respectfully, who praise her for being thoughtful enough to welcome them in person. Turning around to introduce Lin Xin, Xia Yuxuan is shocked to find that he has completely vanished into thin air. Tiptoeing through the background, Lin Xin tries to slip away, while the busybody woman secretly snaps photos of him on her phone. Lin Xin breaks into a cold sweat, realizing Xia Yuxuan and Jiang Xian are close friends and dreading another catastrophic confrontation. Desperate to avoid another catfight, Lin Xin scans the room for a hiding spot and notices the grand piano on the center stage. Spotting the hotel pianist performing, Lin Xin formulates a plan to blend in and disguise himself. Approaching the musician smoothly, Lin Xin whispers that it's time for a shift change and that the manager requested him to take over. Before the confused pianist can object, Lin Xin borrows his suit jacket, promising to return it as soon as he finishes playing. To sweeten the deal, Lin Xin assures the pianist that he will still get paid for a full day's shift, prompting the man to leave happily. Sitting at the instrument, Lin Xin feels brilliant, convinced that no one will recognize him while he casually plays music. As his hands touch the piano keys, he prepares to play a simple tune to pass the time undercover. Suddenly, his system-granted musical talent activates, filling his mind with sudden artistic inspiration. His fingers effortlessly dance across the keyboard, sending waves of sublime music echoing throughout the entire restaurant. The captivating melody instantly catches everyone's attention, bringing the entire dining room to a complete, spellbound standstill. Lin Xin plays with breathtaking precision and emotion, transforming the stage into his personal concert hall. Staring at him from across the room, the busybody woman holding her phone is rendered completely speechless by his performance. Xie Yuxuan and Jianyan turn toward the stage and Ao, immediately recognizing the song Golden Hour being played flawlessly. Immersed in the music, Lin Xin plays like a master virtuoso, creating an unforgettable atmosphere. The overwhelming beauty of the piece touches the audience deeply, leaving several guests in tears as nostalgic memories flood their minds. Recognizing the figure on stage, Liu Yiqing and Yapsi stare in absolute wonder, deeply moved by Lin Xin's mesmerizing musical genius. Listening to the enchanting melody, both Liu Yiqing and Yaxi stand transfixed in utter awe, amazed to discover that Lin Xin plays the piano so magnificently. On stage, Lin Xin continues to play passionately, completely lost in the song while golden musical notes radiate across the entire room. Nearby, Xie Yuxuan and Jiang Xian watch him with glowing expressions, completely captivated by his unexpected musical talent. Liu Yiqing and Yaxi stand open-mouthed, utterly mesmerized by his brilliant performance. Mesmerized by the song, Xie Yuxuan envisions a romantic dream of Lin Xin holding her lovely in a sunlit field of flowers. In Jiang Xian's mind, a similar romantic fantasy unfolds, picturing herself walking down the aisle in a wedding gown with Lin Xin by her side. Yaxi imagines a passionate getaway at the beach, picturing Lin Xin holding her tightly in the ocean waves. Meanwhile, Liu Yiqing envisions an adventurous ride on horseback through a meadow, wrapped tightly in Lin Xin's embrace. All four women gaze up at Lin Xin with starry eyes, each falling deeper in love and viewing him as the ultimate ideal man. As a result, system notifications pop up showing massive favorability gains across all the girls, snapping Lin Xin out of his trance and shock. As the last note fades, the entire dining hall erupts into thunderous applause for his incredible performance. The crowd swarms around the piano to shower him with praise, panicking Lin Xin as he wonders how to escape the unwanted spotlight. Noticing all four women looking at him with intense affection, Lin Xin realizes his playing accidentally boosted their liking to extreme levels. Suddenly, a group of suit-wearing bodyguards pushes through the enthusiastic crowd to clear a path. Yanjing's most famous piano master Li Didi struts down the cleared walkway wearing sunglasses and a stylish suit. Lowering his shades, Li Didi praises Lin Xin's performance of Golden Hour and offers to take him under his wing to make him famous. However, when Li Didi turns to address him, he is stunned to find the piano bench completely empty. Having used the piano master's grand entrance as a distraction, Lin Xin slips away unnoticed into the night. While the drama-obsessed girl cries over missing her piano prince, Lin Xin catches his breath outside, hoping no one chases after him. Just as he thinks he is safe, a sharp warning voice shouts at him out of the dark. Before he can react, a high-speed red motorcycle collides directly into him with a sudden crash. Lin Xin gets knocked to the pavement while the bike slides across the road, leaving the rider groaning in surprise. Shaking off the impact effortlessly, Lin Xin quickly gets up and rushes over to check if the rider is all right. The female rider sits up against her fallen Ducati motorcycle, wearing leather pants and a white jacket. As their eyes meet under the streetlights, both of them immediately recognize each other from a past encounter. She asks him to help lift the heavy motorcycle off her stuck leg, giving him detailed instructions on how to handle its massive weight. To her absolute astonishment, Lin Xin casually lifts the 300-plus-pound motorcycle off her with a single hand. She stares at him with wide eyes, completely baffled by his superhuman strength. Demanding to know how he lifted 170 kilograms so easily, Lin Xin awkwardly laughs it off by claiming he is just naturally strong. Noticing the ripped leather on her thigh and scraped skin, Lin Xin points out that she is bleeding. She brushes it off casually, mentioning her tough line of work while Lin Xin sweats at her extreme dedication to her side job. She tries to thank him for past favors and offers to return the cruise ship he gave her previously. Hearing her offer, Lin Xin immediately sprints away into the night, yelling for her to donate the money to charity instead of thanking him.